So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is the son of the Kurama. The movie. If you guys enjoy this, what if? Comment down below. And let me know before I start, please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Chapter 1. Our story takes us not far from the end of the Third Shinobi World War. Minato Namikaze had just been named the fourth Hokage, the fourth leader of his village, the village hidden in the leaves. He was named due to his skill and almost unbelievable charisma. His wife Kushina had just informed him of a great surprise and welcomed the news. She just told him that she was a month pregnant. This made her husband very happy and jumped from where he was sitting to where she was standing and gave her a big hug. The pregnancy was by far the easier than she was told it would be by the other women that knew her. She almost had nightmares after Tsume told her about her pregnancy troubles when she had Hana. But the thing that made no sense was that inside she stopped making himself felt by causing trouble for her. In fact, ever since her pregnancy started, her chakra control had gone through a massive improvement. She could pull off water now like her chains almost as easily as breathing. She of course did not realize it, but the reason was because the fox was no longer inside her, but it was within her growing child. The old fox managed what none of the others had ever even imagined doing. He used his chakra to transform Minato's semen into his own. Minato would think the child was his own, but in reality it was Kurama's. Every night he would sing lullabies to the growing child. He had finally gotten one of his deepest and most wanted wishes, to have a child of his own. The other thing he wanted was to make the Uzumaki suffer for all those years they kept him prisoner. He had been treated as a thing, as a tool, as a damn chair's battery for their own use, and he was never treated with anything that looks like kindness. Typical human behavior he had learned to expect. He slowly but surely began to work with his growing son. He would be strong, capable of great intelligence, a stamina that could run longer and faster than a racehorse, and eyes that had real power that would make most of the Uchiha green with envy. Yes, his son was not going to be the same as the pathetic humans that abused him, and in time he would inherit all of his power, but for now he had much work to be done. The time during her pregnancy was probably the most peaceful her life had ever been. Ever since she found that she was to be the vessel to trap the Kyuubi, she feared that others would treat her badly, and eventually that fear turned to hate. She hated that she had to be always afraid of being maltreated, and for something she did not even want, but her father left her with no choice. It was accept or die. She never visited to talk or attempt to be friends with it. Instead, she only visited once a month to see the condition of the seal, but due to her pregnancy, she had not gone to check on the seal. She would be in for a real surprise if she had. 9 months later, during the birth of their child, Kushina was moved to a safe location. There was a risk during the birth that the Kyuubi would try to escape, but if they knew better they would realize that the in question was not even in Kushina anymore. The birth was painful, more so than expected, because they could not administer any painkillers. The baby finally was born after 9 hours of excruciating pain. The child was pretty big for a newborn, but the thing that made the medic and even the nurse look scared was the way his head looked. He had jet black hair, whiskers on his face, and instead of normal human ears, had fuzzy fox-like ears instead. When the medic hit his rear to make him cry, he swore he heard him growl, just like he would any normal fox baby. To them the child was a freak, to his mother as she held him he was the most beautiful baby ever. Minato could not understand how in the world his child was born looking like that. Kushina explained that it may be due to the fact that she had the inside of her while she was pregnant. Minato relaxed a little after hearing that. As most children grow, they often prove to be a challenge at best and the potential cause of a heart attack at worst. Little Naruto was by far the most unique child to ever be born in the village. Having learned to walk when he was only a few months old and saying his first word before he was 1 year old. Granted, the word was a very typical one. The word was mom. When he was 2, the child simply went off into the village. Minato was thinking someone kidnapped him to get something they wanted from him, making things like that a very good possibility. His mother decided to ask Tsume to help her track down her son. It turns out he simply walked a couple of blocks and was talking, or at least growling, with Kushina and could not figure out what he was doing. Tsume told her that he appears to be having a really nice chat. She could not remember the last time her old partner looked so happy talking with someone. Yay, and mom does not even realize the rats are eating her apples. Kudamaru asked him why he did not kill the rats. "'Cause I have no claws." "How can I kill the rats without any claws? Biting them could work, but there are so many." Kuramaru advised the child to train, to be stronger and faster. If he did that, those pesky rats would run away and his mother's apples would be safe. So that is exactly what he did. He began to push heavy cans around, then began to carry one after the other. In a matter of months he could carry his mother's groceries in a backpack. He took care of the rats, and Kushina was surprised when at least 10 fat rats came running out from under her house, with her son chasing after them. On his third birthday he was given a set of chakra weights by his mother and a book on the history of the village for kids from his father. It was a nice colorful book that had the history of the village, but it looked like the thing you would find in a comic book. Minato wanted to inspire the interest in reading early. Being the youngest reader in the village, he worked and finished the book in 1 month and passed a test by his father the next month. If there was someone who disliked Naruto, that was Fugaku Uchiha. Fugaku hated the brat for several reasons. First, he learned things faster than Itachi ever did at the same age. Second, Makoto simply loved to babysit for Kushina. She loved spending time with the brat, almost more than she enjoyed spending time with him. A few years later, Makoto had her second child, Sasuke. Sasuke, when he became 2, was often seen playing with Naruto, who was now 4 years old. Itachi was barely in his teens, but had already graduated from the academy and even told his father that he wanted to join the Anbu division later in his future. This made Fugaku proud. His son would bring much honor to his clan by being an elite ninja at such a young age. This was what he had hoped to show the village, that there was no one as skilled as an Uchiha, and thus he deserved to be, and not Minato Namikaze. At age 6, Naruto entered the academy. Years of constant training and learning had prepared him for many difficult situations, from killing an enemy ninja to protecting his own mother. The ninja tried to kidnap her so they could claim that was supposed to be in her. Naruto saw that, and with so much anger of what he was doing to his mother, he picked up several knives that he saw on the cutting board in the kitchen and threw them at the back of the ninja, piercing and cutting the man's spine below the neck. "Why would you try and harm my mother?" The Kumo ninja could not move anything below his shoulders. "Your father did worse to my village. I want my village to be stronger so that we never again suffer by the actions of a bunch of tree-loving ninja again." The ninja could not believe what he was seeing. His eyes showed the signs of an awakened Sharingan. Both eyes had a single tomo on each eye. "You will not have to worry about your village anymore, and trust me, if any others try to do this, I will send them your way. Straight to hell." Kushina did not even have a chance to stop her son. He simply pulled a knife out of the ninja and slit his throat. Naruto showed no sign of remorse or hesitation. Her son was going to start in the academy the very next day, and thus she felt it necessary to talk to him. "Son, do you have any idea of what you have done?" Naruto smiled as his eyes returned to normal. "I killed an enemy. He would have killed you if I did not. So I see no problem in ending his life. But mother, we should tell father about it. The body of this man could prove to be very useful." Minato agreed with his son. The body of the ninja could prove to be very useful, to see that nothing like that would ever happen again. All villages had signed a non-aggression treaty. If he presented this body to the other villages, he would be able to force to suffer the consequences of breaking that treaty, which include monetary compensation in the amount of 10 years the annual revenue of a village, or 20 S-class ninjutsu scrolls. The village would have to give up their most prized ninjutsu or be crippled financially. During his academy days, Naruto looked like he was meditating in class. Iruka often asked him questions about the class material, and Naruto always answered correctly. Iruka often wondered how he was paying attention when he was clearly meditating. During their lunch break, he asked him the very question and Naruto smiled. "These ears are not just for show, I can listen very well." That made Iruka realize that he was meditating and listening to his classes. First year he beat Sasuke in every subject and every practical exam. The second year he did the same, which only served to make the young man think that he was getting better grades because he was the son of the. Naruto worked hard and trained hard to bring honor to his family. Kudamaru often was seen teaching the boy control of his senses. He was always very happy to see how much progress the child made. He had good senses, especially for someone who was supposed to be only human. During his third year, Itachi was assigned to be his family's Anbu guard. Itachi hated how many of his clan had grown overconfident because they believed their eyes made them invincible. He knew that the Sharingan was nothing more than a tool, and that without proper training, it was useless. Deep down, he always enjoyed seeing how much effort Naruto put into his studying and training. If only Sasuke was half as committed, then maybe he would be worth teaching too. From all the success Naruto was having and how much attention he was receiving from Itachi, Sasuke started to consider Naruto his rival, and from Naruto's perspective, he was not going to back down if challenged. The two boys began to really push each other's abilities to the limit, and Sasuke was still very much the most admired and desired boy by the girls in his class. Sakura and Ino both consider themselves rivals in trying to get Sasuke to fall in love with one of them. Naruto made one promise, and that is the only thing the two boys actually agreed on. They would not marry a pair of greedy, self-absorbed girls like them. Naruto went as far to say he would sooner quit being a ninja and go live at a monastery. Sasuke said he could also defect to another village. That is what he planned to do if his parents ever tried forcing to marry either one of them. Naruto had to admit it was not such a bad idea. Makoto knew exactly how life was when someone forced you to marry someone simply because her father decided. She tried to pretend that she was happily married to Fugaku, and for that she should have been given an award for her acting skills. She even had to have 2 kids with him, the boys were not at fault, and so to them she was a loving mother. But thanks to something she slipped into his favorite sake, Fukagu was made incapable of ever having an erection again. She simply hated the egotistical, heartless bastard that she was forced to marry that much. Kushina often joked about the way she behaved with her son, Naruto. If she had been born earlier, she would probably be Naturo's girlfriend. Mikoto shocked her friend that indeed she would love to have been able to marry someone as kind, caring and considerate like Naruto, but no, she was forced to marry a complete and utter asshole instead. That made Kushina realize that her marriage was in fact a very happy one. Chapter 2. Naruto began his 4th year, and he was feeling pretty confident about what his chances were to be the top student again that year. In truth, he never depended on the teaching ability of Iruka or Mizuki, he knew that he should try and learn things first on his own, the teachers were simply going to provide a different viewpoint to clarify the class material and maybe answer the odd question. Sasuke had a different reason for trying not to depend on his teachers, they gave Naruto top grades for a few years already, it was clear to him that the teachers wanted to stay in the good graces of their Hokage. Naruto often went through school running and jumping on the rooftops of the buildings in between his home and the academy. It surprised a few Anbu when he first started doing that. Now they saw it as quite normal, some even greeted him as he passed by, wishing him to have a pleasant morning. Itachi could not help but to laugh as he realized the reason he actually was doing that, somehow Naruto had found out how to use chakra to walk on walls and was doing it as a chakra control exercise. The fact he did it every morning was another reason he was such a good student. Naruto arrived at the academy to be greeted by the same person as always. Sasuke, would it kill you to smile? Sasuke flat out told him he had no reason to smile, thanks to him his father spent most of the summer break screaming at him for shaming his clan for getting lower grades than a person who was not even an Uchiha. But Sasuke, that makes it sound like it was my fault you did not enjoy your summer break. Sasuke did not even bother in giving a reply, why answer something that he considered obvious. Now what Sasuke did not realize was that one of the teachers in their class actually hated Naruto. Mizuki hated him since he first looked at his ears. Most of the village hated the Nine-Tails Fox, most because having the thing in the village caused so many problems, from other villages trying to steal the thing, or someone blaming it for a failed harvest, a child dying during childbirth, or milk going sour. All these things and more were blamed on the, if Kushina was not the wife of the Hokage, and an accomplished former Anbu captain, the villagers would have tried to kill her a few thousand times. Mizuki did everything he could to make the freak with the fox ears fail, he switched his tests with questions that should be impossible for Naruto to answer correctly, the weapons training, most had to only hit their targets, Mizuki demanded Naruto to hit vital points that he had not even been taught their location. In Taijutsu he demanded that Naruto wear a very heavy-weighted practice vest and guards. Even with all this Naruto would always pull through and get high grades. During his 5th year Naruto decided to visit Mikoto, he had a feeling something was extremely wrong. As fate would have it he was right. For this was the night of what later be called the Uchiha massacre. Itachi hated the idea of killing his own clan, but he found proof that many of the key members of the clan were planning to overthrow the current Hokage and replace him with Fugaku. Itachi did what he felt was needed, he killed the people he considered traitors to the village. He simply left his family to be the last to suffer their punishment. Itachi walked over to his father and asked him, why would he betray the village? Fugaku made no attempt to make an excuse, he told his son that he should have been Hokage and not Minato Namikaze. Itachi killed him as his mother and brother both came into the room. Naruto heard most of the argument from the nearby window, he jumped through when Itachi was about to strike Mikoto. He blocked Itachi's sword with a single kunai. Itachi, why are you doing this? Why kill so many people? I saw the corpses on the way here. Itachi was surprised to see two Tomo in each of his eyes, angrily spinning. Naruto, I know you heard him declare his reason for betraying the village, that is why you did not stop me before, when I killed my father. That may be a reason Itachi, but why kill your own mother, she is innocent, Itachi told him she never reported the secret meeting her husband was having in his own home. Naruto took out his second kunai and glared at him. I will not let you kill Mikoto or my best friend. Itachi began to see how his feeling made his eyes go to the final 3 Tomo stage. Itachi was smiling when he saw that, he placed him in A, paralyzing him and knocking him out. He defended both his mother and the boy that considered him his rival, to the point that he would risk his life. Itachi was very proud of knowing Naruto, to protect the people he loved he risked his own life. He protected the woman he had a crush on and the boy he considered his best friend. He walked over to Mikoto who had fainted at the idea of Naruto dying maybe, he was not the only one that had feelings for her, maybe his own mother had a crush on him too. Sasuke tried to defend his mother with his arms. Itachi looks at him, his eyes showing his Sharingan staring at him. Foolish little brother, you would waste the efforts of your savior by throwing your life away, you really are such an example of why our clan is always so weak. I will let you live because you are not even worth the effort it would take for me to kill a pathetic wretch like you." Makoto woke up to find Sasuke trying to get Naruto to wake up. She moved to his side and pulled him close till his head was resting against her chest. Sasuke did not expect what happened next, she began to cry thinking that he was dead. When she could not take the idea anymore, she touched his face and kissed his lips. That is when Naruto woke up and not knowing what happened opened his eyes to see Makoto kissing him, a kiss he was very glad to reciprocate. Well, Sasuke had no idea what was happening. One minute his mother held Naruto crying, the next they were kissing like a couple who had been dating for years. He had to put a stop to it, or the way things were going the Anbu who would clearly come during their patrol would find them either kissing or doing something he'd rather not see. "Mom, I think it's pretty safe to say he is alive, so would you kindly tell him to stop kissing you like that? Or we are going to have to explain that to the Anbu once they show up." A purple-haired cat masked by Anbu decided to make her presence known. "No need to wait, I was here by the time they started their little kissing session. I have to say, I had no idea Makoto Uchiha liked younger guys." Yugao decided to take the small group to meet with the Hokage and sent for the doctor to conduct the appropriate autopsy and storage of Fugaku's eyes, as it was mentioned in their clan laws and practices. Minato wondered why his son was visiting him at his office. He was not complaining, he liked the idea of his son being more interested in what his father did. But the thing that did not make sense was his wife's best friend and her child with him, and Kat looked like she had some bad news. That is when Yugao informed him that Itachi had pretty much slaughtered Fugaku and all his known allies. Which pretty much meant that the population of the clan was down by 1/3 of the registered members. There were some who were refused the right to register just because Fugaku did not consider them actual Uchiha. In reality it was because they refused to blindly obey his orders. Fugaku was treated as clan head. The truth was that in reality the clan head was Makoto because her father had said it to be that way in his will. "Sorry to hear about your loss, Makoto. But when is anyone going to tell me what does my son have to do with this?" Minato was first surprised to hear that Makoto actually was not that sad about her husband's death. If anything, she was disappointed that Fugaku died so without feeling much pain, since he died quickly. She also told him that he stopped Itachi from killing her and Sasuke. Minato was shocked to hear his son manage to stop an attack from someone like Itachi. The guy was considered to be an elite, even among his unit in Anbu. Other than that, and the fact your son has a fully matured Sharingan, I would not consider it that strange. Itachi almost placed him in a coma thanks to him putting him in. But I was able to bring him out of it with a little support and some mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Yugao could have sworn Sasuke was whispering something along the lines of bullshit, that was a French kiss. For some odd reason Sasuke was not that happy about how his own mother had kissed his classmate. She just became a widow and she was already kissing someone else, as if he was her lover. Of course he was upset. Minato had no idea what to say. As far as he could remember, no one in his family was ever married to an Uchiha. Well, that was not technically true. There was that incident between Madara and Mito Uzumaki, but that happened ages ago. You would think that someone would record a child being conceived due to what happened. The first was actually quite tight-lipped about it now that he remembered. Maybe he should ask Kushina about it during dinner. He told Makoto that his eyes would be ready to be picked up by her after the autopsy was finished. But considering how he died, it would not take more than a few minutes. Makoto thanked him for his consideration and she left with her son to wait for the autopsy to be finished. Minato thanked Kat for bringing them to him so quickly. She simply said that it was her duty. Minato looked at his son for a few minutes before he decided to leave the office early and asked Kushina if she had any Uchiha relatives. He expected to be told that she did not. He really should have known better. "Oh, sure, I had a relative who was an Uchiha. I am sure I told you about my grandfather Madara. I really don't think I forgot to tell you way back when we were dating." Minato's head hit the top of the kitchen table as soon as he finished hearing that. "Well, it seems our boy has a fully mature Sharingan, which of course it also means our son will eventually become blind." Kushina told him he had nothing to worry about. As long as he did not abuse his eyes or kill his most precious person, he was in no danger of going blind. Makoto had told her the dangers of using the Uchiha bloodline a long time ago. The final year finally came, and Iruka was told that for some strange reason Naruto could not use the normal clone, he had to use a higher form of it called the shadow clone. Sasuke was actually told by his mother that he should keep an eye on Naruto. He would not have the benefit of having someone with their bloodline to teach him the necessary control exercises, so he could unintentionally activate his eyes and do something that he would later regret to a fellow classmate. Sasuke stopped arguing with him and instead followed his training like he was Naruto's shadow. Itachi made him feel that if he ever was going to be considered an Uchiha by Itachi, he was going to win the first match and be better than Naruto. Naruto trained every day and in secret he went off to hunt bandits at night. He left a shadow clone to make it look like he was asleep in his bed. For some strange reason killing a group of dumb bandits relaxed him. Yugao knew better since every once in a while there was a package left at their headquarters entrance. The severed heads of at least 5 rogue ninja and no indication who killed them, only he did it in a vicious way, by the look in the faces. They looked like they had been scared witless by the person who had killed them. The final exam came and Mizuki was running out of time. He promised his master that he would get him the forbidden scroll, and he planned to use the Hokage's own son to get the scroll and cause him to be depressed enough that he might be easier for his master to kill. He changed the exam so that everyone had to use the regular clone. This would make failing Naruto that much easier. Sure, the Hokage told them he could not use it, but as a good teacher, he could not give preferential treatment to a student, now could he? Naruto got up bright and early, got dressed in his best clothes, black and dark blue gear, and had the clan symbol on right above his right shoulder. Kushina wished him good luck, but asked not to hurt his fellow classmates too much. He went like always to school only to find Sasuke waiting for him. Well, the final test, I guess after this we get placed into a team. Sasuke decided to punch a hole in that dream by saying if they graduate. Chapter 3. The 2 boys entered the classroom, and the only other 2 people in the classroom were the 2 they didn't want to meet alone. They were the president and vice president of several clubs that in reality were the same club. The first name was the Sasuke Uchiha fan club, mostly girls that wanted him to use him as a ladder to climb in social status. If you asked Sasuke, he called it something different, the Social Leeches Club. Naruto called it by its official name, the Konoha Gossip Club. The president was Sakura Haruno, who he gave the nickname of Banshee, since she could scream at volumes that no one believed were possible until heard. The vice president was Into Yamanaka, or the Mind Hijacker. Her family used a special kind of jutsu to invade and read people's minds. Naruto called it invasion of privacy, but it was useful when dealing with a particularly quiet enemy. Sasuke, why are you here with a genetic freak when you could be having fun with us? Sakura always found a way to insult Naruto, but Naruto did not even bother to call her by her nickname. It simply would cause too much of a headache and was not worth failing an exam. Because he actually trains and does not spend most of the day worrying about how his hair is, nor does his clothes make him look attractive. Ino simply told him that he needed to train to just behave like a human and not reject some mutant animal. Naruto decided to do the smart thing and ignore the 2 who had insulted him. He simply sat down on his usual seat and waited for the rest of the class and their teachers to arrive. Mizuki came into the classroom in quite a hurry. When Sasuke asked him, he simply told him Iruka was not feeling well and he was doing the final exam all alone. Naruto thought that was strange. Mizuki was only an assistant to Iruka and had only taught the physical skills classes and never anything else. Indeed, something did not feel right to Naruto. It almost made him feel like he was walking into a trap. He would see where Mizuki was going with this. The rest of the class came in and they saw the excuse he gave Sasuke written on the blackboard. Mizuki told them the exam would consist of 3 parts, a written test, an ninjutsu test, and finally a physical skills test. The written test was nothing to worry about. Naruto answered all the questions to the best of his knowledge. The ninjutsu test was the one that was made impossible for him to pass. The transformation was no big deal. The substitution was no problem. The problem was that he asked for a standard clone. Having more chakra than most in the class made it impossible to successfully perform that. In the end he ended up failing only the ninjutsu segment of the exam, which of course meant that he was not allowed to graduate. Everyone was very happy to show their parents their headbands, and their parents were indeed very proud of them, but Naruto's parents could not attend. Minato was busy with his duties as Hokage, and Kushina was going to help Mikoto prepare a secret celebration for their boy's graduation. Naruto was seated under a nearby tree. Mizuki was glad to see his plan was actually working. Mizuki walked over to where Naruto was seated and pretended he was concerned. He began to talk to him. Naruto, as much as I would love to let you pass, if you cannot perform basics like these, it would only get you killed if I let you pass. Naruto understood where the scheme was going. A teacher, there must be another test I can take to be allowed to graduate. Actually Naruto, there is, it's a secret test that only a few teachers know about. All you have to do is show us that you can do the work as. You have to be able to break into the Hokage's private library and take a big red scroll from the wall in the back of the room. Once you have it you must take it to a place deep in the forest and learn a song from the scroll. I will find you and test you on and if you can do it, you become a genin like all the kids that passed the test. Naruto was not as dumb to believe such a pathetic lie. He decided to make it look like he took the forbidden scroll, placing the original under his father's desk. The scroll he did take was simply a modified storage scroll. It looked like the real thing. Naruto was not about to be used for such an obvious attempt to betray the village. Much to his credit, Minato saw the forbidden scroll and it had a note telling him to pretend that he had actually stolen the actual scroll, which he would explain later. Minato saw that his son was definitely up to something, so he did as the note said, but had a few Anbu follow him in secret. Mizuki was simply on cloud 9, he was going to get the forbidden scroll for his master and killed the mutant freak that reminded him so much of the Kyuubi. Everything was going great for him, Orochimaru was sure to reward his success. Naruto waited by a clearing in the forest he knew was used as a hunting camp. Naruto used chakra to enhance his sense of smell, and sure enough, he picked out the smell of a woman's perfume about 100 feet north of his current location. Now the only thing he needed to do was wait for Mizuki to arrive, like any good hunter he had his traps ready, and now it was simply time for his prey to come and fail to even notice them. It would not be the first time a ninja failed to realize that he was walking toward his own demise. Naruto, did you learn from the scroll? Come on, show it to me and I can pass you and give you your headband. Naruto looked at him and clearly looked disappointed. Mizuki, do you really think so little of me? I know that whole test thing is nothing more than a pack of lies. So spare me the whole understanding teacher facade and let's talk about why you would betray the village. Mizuki was smiling, but it was a bitter smile, he had to admit the kid figured it out when no one else would have. I have to give credit where it's due, Naruto. You sure saw right through my plan. Mizuki threw his big shuriken and believed that it would kill Naruto, he was supposed to be a wet behind the ears novice after all. Naruto caught it and began to look at it. I guess this is a late birthday gift, Mizuki. You really shouldn't have, but I always wanted one of these so I will thank you. Mizuki came down to a lower tree branch to look at him. You really want to know why I would betray the village? Naruto said that he would not ask if he did not want the answer. Fine, I have done plenty for this village since my genin days, and after I trained so hard and did so many missions, I am only one that was not even granted the position as a full-time teacher at the academy. I have to help Iruka, and this only makes him look like a success and me the peon under his thumb. Naruto said that he read some of those mission reports and he did cause the death of quite a few teammates during those missions. As he would be in charge of a team, if he could not protect his teammates, how could he protect his team? Mizuki again complained that it happened a long time ago and it was not his fault. See, you are still making excuses instead of facing your mistake and learning what you did wrong. How can you teach others if you are unwilling to learn? Mizuki got sick of the argument and decided to simply tell him that Orochimaru the snake made a village and he promised him a big reward for the forbidden scroll. So he wants to learn about Uzumaki sealing techniques, why did you not simply say so? Naruto tossed him the large scroll and told him to also tell him where this village was so that he could go and pick it up after he was done reading it. Mizuki simply was so happy that he told him where the village was and that he would put in a good word with Orochimaru about him, he even told him that he would probably be welcome to join as he left. Yugao could not understand why he did that, so she jumped to stand next to him and demanded to know why he gave him the forbidden scroll. Naruto smiled at her and looked rather amused. I do hope the idiot can get there in the next 10 minutes or I will simply end up wasting that fake scroll I made. Yugao and her team could not understand what he was talking about. I do hope he is not dumb enough to open it to check. Just as he finished saying that there was a loud explosion and a large portion of the forest was burned to ash. Guess he really was that stupid after all. Well, I guess I will have to think of another way to deal with the traitor. Come on, cat, do you really think I would betray the village? Let's report my failure to the Hokage, boy I hope dad is not too angry with me. Naruto explained everything to Minato, including how he figured Mizuki was trying to use him. The first clue was the written test, it was an easier test that he gave him before. Second, the fake test and the way he acted almost kind, he always knew he hated him, for him to be kind, when he said those horrible things behind his back, it could only mean that he was up to something. Yugao asked what was the scroll, oh, the fake scroll. A large explosive tag had a time set for 10 minutes. I hoped he would meet Orochimaru near the place I was. I could have taken care of him and Orochimaru with a single scroll. But no, the idiot had to take a peek before he even reached Orochimaru. Talk about having some bad luck. Naruto was told that the exam was not going to be considered valid, but they could not have the entire class do the exam over again, it would just make the parents and the people in the village question the reason for having to do it over. So instead you are going to receive a promotion to genin for services rendered. You will buy your headband and you will attend the team assignment meeting just like the other graduates. The only thing we do about the Rookie of the Year title that Sasuke received. Naruto looked at all the presents and as he began to walk toward the door, he simply said to let Sasuke keep it. He did not need the title and he was sure it would make Mikoto pretty happy to see her son having received the title. I will be more than likely on his team anyways. Since I am sure Mizuki doctored the results of the exam to make me dead last. He walked out the door and decided to head for his home. Naruto reached home to find that his mother and Mikoto had planned a graduation party. He apologized to the people present and that is when Sasuke decided to tell him that he felt being given the title of dead last in class. He was not even bothered by the comment. He simply excused himself because he had an early meeting the next day. Makoto would not hear of it. She went to him and took hold of him and pulled him towards the party. She would not have missed him at the party. She even sat down and served him a slice of the cake. We worked really hard in making all this, and if you think I will let you go to bed and not try my cake, you better think again. Now say ah. She cut a small piece of it and put it in his mouth. It really was good and she was happy to hear him tell her. Against his better judgment he decided to enjoy the party and later his father showed up and the party got to hear about his most recent adventure. Sasuke could not believe that he had killed Mizuki and the way he did it. So it's pretty much going to be me, Sasuke, and please dear God not the Banshee or the Leech. Sasuke told him that the top Kunoichi was indeed the pink Banshee. You have got to be kidding me. If that is the case I will not need this juice, what I need is sake, a whole bottle. Kushina told him he was considered a minor. Naruto reminded her old enough to kill, old enough to drink. Makoto was more than willing to share a few drinks with him. Minato told both of them that they could drink, but in his room and in private, so that is exactly what they did. Naruto found himself in a burned meadow and he walked through what seemed to be a large burned segment of a forest. He walked till he found himself standing in front of a massive gate. He did not even notice he did not look like a human, but he looked like a young fox with black fur. So it takes my son getting stinking drunk for you to visit your poor old dad. What an unkind child I have, what did I do to deserve this? Naruto told him his father was a human by the name of Minato Namek is not, a giant nine-tailed fox. Well Naruto I am sure that they told you that, but it simply was not true. Look at yourself and tell me do you look human? Naruto told him he was dreaming it did not matter if he looked in a dream, Naruto you are not dreaming, and this gate is not a seal. You are inside your own mind. The forest is your regret for damaging the forest when you dealt with the traitor. Listen to me son, you see yourself as a fox, because deep down you know the truth. Naruto I am Kyuubi no Kitsune, and I am your father. Naruto refused to believe it, that this was nothing more than a nightmare caused by him drinking too much sake. Listen to your feelings, my son. You know I speak the truth. Trust me I did not want to meet my son like this, but we have much to talk about, especially about the human female that is in your bed. Honestly son I know you had a crush on her, but to lose your virginity, when you both got drunk on cheap sake, I am just glad your aunts and uncles are not anywhere here to see this. Shukaku would be mocking the living daylights out of both of us if he was. Chapter 4 Kurama told his son to try and tell him what he remembered before ending up like he had. Naruto tried really hard and he felt like he remembered most of it. It happened after they got to his room and he just finished telling Makoto what happened. They had been drinking pretty heavily and she asked him what his opinion was regarding her. Naruto told her what anyone would expect, that he thought that she was a beautiful, kind, caring and very good person, that is when she stopped him, pushed him in the bed, and while she was on top of him, she placed his hand on her right breast. It was over her clothes but still could feel the size and contour of her breast. No, Naruto I want to know what you think of my body. Do you find me attractive or am I just some old lady to you? She clearly wanted to know his opinion. Moving his hand from her breast to her face he pulled her closer to himself. I think that actions speak louder than words. Naruto began to kiss her lips and she was surprised by this but was all in favor of continuing. The two kissed and touched each other until she felt a nudge and realized that he indeed found her quite attractive and in a hurry, she took off all his clothes. When she saw his manhood standing erect and the sheer size of it, she began to wonder how big he was going to get if he was this size now. He was older than Sasuke. She began to lick him almost like she was licking her favorite ice cream cone. She really wanted to taste the precum on the tip, to feel the texture of it with her tongue and to lubricate it because she knew that she really, and I mean really wanted this inside herself. While she gave him his very first blowjob he was busy trying to figure out how to get her clothes off. The hooks on her bra were giving him a lot of trouble. When he finally unloaded a massive load of cum in her mouth, she licked it clean and decided to clean it off. She then helped him take her clothes off and little by little more of her skin showed and he would place a few kisses on her exposed skin. The entire thing made her feel more and more loved. Her husband was not one that indulged in foreplay, he took care of his needs and could care less about what she wanted. This made more of a household task than a pleasure, but not this time, she was certainly enjoying this. Her breasts were the first to be exposed and he caressed them, held them, kissed and licked them, one at a time taking his time to enjoy the feel of her skin, the bounciness of them, and to see how erect he could get her nipples. By the time he had kissed even the underside of her breasts, he began to travel down and kissed his way down her abdomen and down to her most delicate part of her body. He pushed the labia aside and began to touch, lick, taste her and massage her clitoris with his right thumb. Fugaku never reciprocated when it came to oral and he was feeling more and more pleasure. Naruto I can't wait anymore, grab me, hold me and please take me. Make me yours, because I need you and me now. He climbed between her parted legs and from sheer instinct, he pushed his cock deep and hard into her until he was completely inside her. She did not wait long till she began to wrap it around it, he plowed her hard and with a lot of passion. Kissing her lips and ears as he kept going at it. Makoto felt that if this was a dream, she never wanted it to end. After hours of the best she ever had, she felt him come hard and deep inside her, which caused her to have a strong orgasm. The two fell asleep on top of each other, and that is how he was until he found himself where he currently was. Well, soon we have a few problems to deal with. First, the fact that you placed your semen inside her means that even if the village does not want it, she is now your mate. This has a benefit and a bit of a drastic change. This has pretty much kicked your growth into overdrive, so I would not be surprised if you both need to shop for clothes. Your body will grow to the age of 18 years old and she will become 18 years old again. Naruto did not understand why this was important. Kurama told him it was nature's way to ensure they both were the closest they could be to an adult form. He went further to tell him his chakra was limitless and because hers was made to match his, so was she. They would grow like anyone else till they were 24 years old and stay that way until either creation came to an end or the planet exploded, whichever came first. Kurama told him he was his son and he was as much a force of nature as he was and therefore he was practically ageless, not immortal, just ageless. So can I have any kids? Kurama told him that of course he could, he was alive after all, if he could have him then there was no reason for him not being able to give him a few grandkids. This entire thing felt crazy, he got to make love with the most beautiful woman he had romantic feelings for and because of that she was now for all intended purposes his wife and she was going to be his forever. This entire thing was going to be hard to convince Makoto, she was not going to believe this simply because he told her. Kurama told his son not to worry if she did not believe it, then after she looked in the mirror, then he simply needed to have her touch his body and he just needed to concentrate on him. That would take them both into his mind and he would be more than willing to explain the entire thing to his son's mate. As they both woke up, he saw that he could not tell she changed at all. To him she was the very definition of a beautiful woman. Not wanting to wait he moved close to her face and gave her a sweet good morning kiss. Naruto, do you know what time it is? Naruto told her close to 5 in the morning. Makoto, I have a few things to tell you and some of it is unbelievable, so please brace yourself. You are currently 18 years old, my mate, and I am the son of Kyuubi no Kitsune. After we grow to be 24 maybe 25 years old, we stop aging and you have limitless shares, like I do. Now how do I explain to Sasuke that his mother is now my mate? Makoto took it all quite well, she simply smiled, thinking that she would be able to enjoy like she did last night, practically forever. Fugaku considered him now a nightmare she was happy to awake from. Her husband was kind, tender, sweet, caring and an absolute hunk in bed. Actually the only problem I see is how is he going to deal with the fact that you are his new stepfather. Naruto did not want to even think about it. He went through his father's old clothing to find something to wear. Makoto told him she could alter her clothes, all she would need is a sewing kit and some thread. They both knew that they had to get a place to live, which made Makoto tell him he could simply move into the Uchiha compound. The old Uchiha council was dead and no one would dare to question her decision. He asked her if she could go shopping for some clothes for him, which included underwear. Makoto was more than happy to do that. As the two walked out, Naruto marveled on how fast she modified her clothes. Makoto told him that Fugaku was the cheapest bastard to ever live. She pretty much made most of her and her kids' clothes. He told her that she would not have to worry, he was going to do everything he could to make her happy. Makoto told him that having such a sweet, caring and appreciative mate had made her long-forgotten dream come true. Naruto, have you seen Makoto? Sasuke keeps asking where his mother is. Naruto marched right into the living room. Sasuke could not believe the tough-looking guy wearing the old-looking clothes was Naruto. People heard of growth spurts, but this was ridiculous. Alright, dope, where and what have you done with my mother? You did something to her I can tell, so where is my mom? An angry voice was heard behind Naruto. Sasuke Uchiha, you will apologize to your stepfather this instant. I will not have my youngest son disrespect my mate. And yes Sasuke, he did something to me, something I wish your future wife gets to feel, he made me a very happy woman. He was about to call her a liar when he saw the pattern of the Sharingan appear in her eyes. Kushina basically was begging to be told how this happened. Sasuke was on the ground having fainted at the idea that his new father was Naruto. Naruto picked up Sasuke and placed him on a sofa. The guy was rude, a little too egotistical for his liking, but he had considered him his friend. Mitoko sat down close together on chairs at the kitchen table. Minato was off to dreamland, he always had trouble getting out of bed early in the morning. Well, let's do the obvious, mother, check inside your mind if you will. Don't worry, Makoto will wait. It took her only a few seconds, and Kyuubi was gone. Before she could answer he told her that it was inside him now. He jumped from her to him during her pregnancy. Since I was born under the influence of his chakra, the big fox pretty much considers me something close to being his son. He used his chakra to change me, and when we were asleep, after all we pretty much could hardly move after what happened last night. Kushina went over to Mikoto and asked her what she and her son did last night. As Mikoto whispered her answer, he began to blush more and more. So long story short, I am her mate and she is mine. Now if you will excuse me. I need to wake up my son, dear God, that is going to take a while to get used to saying that, off the sofa, or we are going to be late for our team placement. That reminds me, Mikoto needs access to some of my money so she can buy a few essentials. He walked over to her and kissed her lovingly on her lips. I wonder why Minato does not kiss me like that. Come on son, time to wake up. We have to get there before the leech and Banshee get there. Sasuke opened his eyes and demanded that he not call him son, at least not out in public. They both left in quite a hurry to reach the academy. So much in fact he forgot he never got his headband. In a yellow flash his father appeared and told him he had to be faster than that. Minato gave him his headband and walked in. Both Sasuke and Naruto realized that he was actually pretending to be asleep just to listen to their entire conversation while he was hiding somewhere. Well, he is not the Hokage for nothing. Come on, we are going to be late. Naruto looked extremely bored as he heard his father give his little speech, and especially when Iruka began to tell them which teams they would be placed at. Sasuke hit him on the side with his elbow when he felt his team would be called. And on the 7th team, Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Namikaze, and Sakura Haruno, your teacher is Kakashi Heikate. Sasuke was busy banging his head on the bench that made part of the school seat. He kept saying, why me? Naruto was patting his back and trying to get him to stop and kept trying to make him feel better. Like it or not, the guy was now his son, he had to be a supportive father figure. Sakura glared at him for even touching Sasuke. Chapter 5. Kakashi was seated on a nearby tree branch, watching his potential student wait seated on the roof of the academy. They must be really bored because Naruto and Sasuke were throwing a kunai in between them. Each time one threw it, the other caught it and threw it back. Sakura was doing everything she could to avoid being hit by their kunai throwing game. Enough, what would happen if you accidentally hit me with it? Naruto smiled, beheld the kunai. There is nothing accidental about it, that is what we have been trying to do all along, right Sasuke? Sasuke simply said it would help her develop some skills in avoiding projectile weapons. That was his cue to make his entrance. Kakashi appeared right in front of the pink-haired girl and smiled. Sorry that I am late, but a black cat crossed my path and I had to take the long way around the village to get here. Sakura glared at him, clearly she did not appreciate the joke. Let's all calm down and introduce ourselves. Likes, dislikes, and dreams of goals for the future. My name is Kakashi Heikate, I like a few things, I hate even more, and my dreams are none of your business. You next, Pinky. Sakura stood up. My name is Sakura Haruno. I looked at Sasuke, I hate glares at Naruto, my dream is. She stood blushing and her nose was leaking a little blood. Great Haruno, who was obsessed with using a noble clan member to gain prestige and power, is not like it's the first time that has happened. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, I like training, I hate manipulative selfish women, my dream is to one day be the head of my clan. Kakashi was surprised, he was almost worried and expected him to be completely focused on getting revenge. He guessed training him would not be as much of a pain as he initially believed. My name is Naruto Namikaze, I like my clan and training, I dislike the very same as Sasuke, my goal is to bring peace to the world and enjoy the rest of my life with someone special. Sakura was thinking that in his dreams, there was no way she would be interested in him. Kakashi thanked them for the fine introductions and proceeded to tell them that tomorrow they would have to take a test and to be sure not to eat. With that said, Kakashi left them alone. Sasuke, now that we are free for the day, mind going out on a date with me? Naruto stepped right in between them. Denied, no, I forbid you to date him. No son of mine is going to get used and abused by a pink banshee. Sakura glared at him and told him to romance a tree, he had no say in whether or not Sasuke dates her. She left in a huff as she was told no to her request for the 1000th time. As soon as they were alone, Sasuke smiled at Naruto. Thanks, Dad. Naruto smiled and simply told him that he would always look out for him, that is what a good father should do. The two left towards where Mikoto was carrying a large bag. Naruto made 6 shadow clones to help her carry it home. Sorry for being late, dear. I was at my first team meeting with our son and was trying to help our son. Dear, let me help you with that. Mikoto was happy to see her mate being so willing to help. Indeed, her life was getting better and better. Mikoto asked him what did their son need help with. Naruto simply told her that he was trying to free his son from the clutches of a certain pink-haired banshee. Sasuke did not spare any details about how Naruto tried to scare the living daylights out of her. He mentioned who their teacher was and that he forbade her from dating him. You can hardly blame me, I was not about to let my son date that banshee. I would sooner kill her than let her use our Sasuke as a social ladder. Makoto simply said that he should have mentioned this to Minato, he was Sasuke's grandfather after all. He then got the memories of the shadow clones that had been dealing with the massive amount of things she purchased. Some were obviously groceries, and quite a few items that could be called clothes, a few sets for home and everyday wear, a few for missions and working out, and some underwear. The underwear was the thing that caught the clones' attention. Some rather silky, provocative lingerie. It was clear that Makoto wanted to continue the honeymoon. But the thing I am not happy about is the supposed test we are going to take. Do you have any clue what it is about? Naruto could only guess, but he figured that it was a test to see how they work together, teamwork could save, or the lack of teamwork could cause their deaths. Either way, I do not expect the copycat ninja to give us an easy test. So be sure to sleep early so we can have a nice breakfast before we leave for the training ground. Sasuke complained that he told them not to eat, and Naruto looked at him as he was about to leave the room. And you believed him? Deception is a ninja's friend. Go to sleep soon, I will explain on the way to the training ground. Later that night in their bedroom, Makoto decided to put on a little something extra special. It was a silk baby doll, and it just made Naruto realize that he was not going to get as much sleep as he had planned. The couple spent a few hours making love, a few just kissing and cuddling until finally they fell asleep in each other's arms. I love you, Makoto. And she told him she loved him too. In the morning, Naruto woke up bright and early to cook breakfast. He got dressed in one of the sets of clothes Makoto bought for him. It was a traditional black ninja gear with dark blue highlights, but the thing that struck him as odd was he had a black headband and the top of the gear had the Uchiha fan on the right side where his chest would be. Oh well, he was practically married to the head of the Uchiha clan. It would not surprise him if the council later forced him to change his last name and conduct a normal wedding ceremony. Makoto woke up to the smell of breakfast being cooked and jumped from her bed, got dressed and tried to help Naruto prepare their breakfast. He flat out refused and told her she had done a lot for him yesterday and now it was his turn to help her. She was truly happy to have a mate that was this considerate of her. Sasuke woke up to a great smelling breakfast, so of course he thanked his mother for preparing it. Makoto told him that it was his new dad that cooked it and he did it to help her. He was skeptical about how good the food would taste, but as soon as he took the first bite he knew this was delicious. Now eat up, son, we have a busy day ahead of us. Dealing with a banshee will be hard enough, so we do not need to have to also deal with an empty stomach. Sasuke found it weird because he was feeling a lot of contradictory things. Naruto had been his best friend and academy rival. But somehow he found it quite easy to call him dad the day before, and now after eating the food he prepared, he had to admit that he felt pretty happy to be called son. It was almost like deep down he was happy to have him as his father. The two left their home, and Naruto gave him a kiss. They both had to hurry to reach the training ground. As they ran, Naruto explained that the test was probably going to be about how they work together as a team. At this point, Sasuke also mentioned that Sakura was going to be a cause of trouble to pass such a test. Naruto agreed with his son, but he told him that maybe her sick desire to be with him would be an incentive to actually try and work as a team, but he had nothing to worry about. He was not going to let a Haruno Banshee join their family. They both reached the training ground, and Sasuke noticed they were the only ones there. Dad, do you mind if I ask you a question? Naruto told him he could ask him anything. Say, Dad, what is the significance of that stone over there? Naruto walked up to it and he told Sasuke to sit down. They had time so he might as well explain correctly. This sun is a monument to all the ninja that lost their lives in the service of the village. We must always remember that it is thanks to these people that we have our safe, happy and prosperous village life. In a sense, they are heroes of the village. Kakashi and Sakura had just arrived when Naruto was telling his answer to Sasuke. Kakashi was surprised that he understood the meaning of that particular monument. Well said, Naruto, mind if I ask you why did Sasuke call you dad? Naruto told him because his mother was his maid and thus he was also Sasuke's stepfather. He also told Kakashi that it made him feel happy to hear him say that and made him feel like he truly accepted him as part of the family. Sakura was not happy to hear that, it meant that he really had the authority to forbid her from dating Sasuke. How was her family to rise in social status if she could not marry a noble clan member like Sasuke? Kakashi told them they had 1 hour to take a pair of bells from him, the one that did not have a bell failed, and that person would be sent back to the academy for more training. Sakura called that unfair, they had passed a few tests and had graduated from the academy already. Naruto did not want to waste time listening to her argument and decided to put a stop to it. Those tests were just to make sure we could actually take this test, stop complaining and think before you ask. Kakashi again was surprised. He agreed completely with Naruto's explanation. He took off and left the three alone, or so he thought they believed. He simply hid and listened to their plan. Okay, here is what we will do, Sakura will attack head first and distract Kakashi. When that happens, me and Sasuke will jump in and take his bells. Sakura again complained that the plan would make her fail. Banshee, this is about working as a team, again think. Use your brain. As much as I would love to get you as far away from my son, I will not betray my team. Those who abandon a teammate are the worst scum that ever lived, and I will not dishonor my clan by doing something like that. The plan seems to work until Sakura decides to try and take a bell for herself. Naruto did a quick shadow clone, and the clone gave her the bell he was carrying. Sakura could not believe that Naruto did that. She was truly surprised to see he was not kidding. At the end of the hour Kakashi found all of them, and each had a bell. He had to admit it, if Naruto was with them teaching this team would not be such a pain after all. Kakashi told them all they were ready to be a team. They all walked over to receive their first mission. All but Kakashi and Naruto were really excited. Naruto knew better than to get excited. He knew that the missions they would receive were nothing more than glorified chores. True enough, paint an old lady's fence, weed the backyard for another place, help a woman carry her groceries, on and on and on. Sakura wanted to scream that these so-called mission little kids could and should do them for their allowance, but not ninja like them. It teaches us to work together in a relatively safe environment, and if you must think of it being a waste, then think about it being community service, which is what most missions we will have to do. The only difference is the level of risk and the consequences if we fail. Once again Naruto took it upon himself to explain something to the team, and just like before Sakura was ignoring him to simply stare at Sasuke, and Sasuke understood exactly what Naruto was trying to make them see. The ninjas served the village, and these chores no matter how annoying it was in the end serving the village. Chapter 6. The long, miserable, annoying day had finally ended. The problem was not the missions, in fact Sasuke and Naruto also used the time as almost as father and son binding as Kakashi told them almost as a joke. It was true they did work well together, and Sasuke truly found it hard not to think and compared Naruto to Fugaku, and he found that his new father was a lot better than Fugaku. Fugaku's character flaws were that he focused on himself, and only himself, his career and potential power gain was the only thing he cared about. The second was never caring about their son's troubles. The annoying part of the day came from Sakura asking time after time if they either were done, or if Sasuke would go out with her. Naruto was wondering if he could look inside her skull, would there be a sign that read space for rent here? He told her each time she asked if Sasuke would like to go out on a date, that he forbade it, that only made her scream that Sasuke could make his own decision, and that this did not involve a dope like him. He lost count how many times he said that he would not allow her to date him, and that he was in fact his father, so it did in fact involve him. Dad, seriously take it easy, I am grateful that you defended me all day, but if this keeps going, you will get so angry one day that you might actually kill her. This would cause our family all kinds of trouble. Naruto told Sasuke that if she ever became a rogue ninja, he would kill her for free, but since she was a leaf ninja and their teammate, he would not kill her. No matter how much he would enjoy killing her, he was not going to do something to either betray the village or cause problems to Mikoto. When they reached their home Mikoto was waiting for them to arrive. She gave her son a hug, and Naruto got a kiss. So how was your day? Sasuke was the first to answer that it was annoying, he even asked if he could transfer to another team. Mikoto looked like she was really thinking about it. Naruto decided to squash that idea flatter than a piece of paper. I suppose you could switch if the teacher agrees. I think the only one who would actually agree is the green beast of, so ready to hear about how to increase your flames of youth till you become a. On second thought mom, I had a wonderful day. And then she asked Naruto what he was thinking. Naruto told her he was trying to remember the record for a team getting one of their own kills. Mikoto smiled at him and told him that for the Uchiha clan it never happened, for the village the last time was a person named Obito Uchiha. Naruto told her she said that for the clan it never happened. She was quick to remind him that the Uchiha clan were at one point in time not a part of the village and lived on their old clan grounds. Sasuke entered, thanking them both for the brief and indirect history lesson. Hope this helps to stop any ideas he had about revenge. Mikoto held him close and asked him why he worried so much about Sasuke. Naruto said he could not help it, the punk was his son. This made her really happy as they entered arm in arm. You are going to love our dinner tonight, but I will leave you to imagine your dessert for later tonight. She began to whisper in his ear something that made him blush and smile. Sasuke had set up the table rather quickly. Naruto simply attributed it to his son being hungry. The meal was wonderful, a salad, soup, a few nicely cooked fish with herbs, and a tall jar of freshly squeezed orange juice. This is a wonderful meal like always, thank you. Mikoto was glad to be appreciated. Well all in all we got a metric ton of these D ranks before we even get to the C rank missions. Dad, is there a way we can speed this up? Mikoto had an idea, it was to use they both knew exactly what they were talking about. Mikoto, I cannot teach our son the shadow clone, he simply doesn't have the tea of chakra he can hold is too little for him to use, and I do not want to send our son to an early grave. Mikoto explained that he could make the shadow clones and have them transform into their team members, they could simply say they lost the mission scroll and get a new one. Then each shadow clone team could complete it and head it in. Nice idea Makoto, only one problem, it would mean I would have to lie to the Hokage, and we both know the punishment for that. Maybe you could discuss it with him? I mean Grandpa is not completely unreasonable. Both Makoto and Naruto looked at Sasuke, almost wondering if that would work. I don't know son, I truly do not know, on the one hand I know he will listen to my request, but on the other I know he hates showing favoritism of any kind. I guess I could ask him, but the only one to get any experience if we do this is me. Since they will be basically me doing all those missions. Makoto had to agree that it would harm them more than help them, she knew that some of the C-rank missions while mundane were still dangerous. Well I guess you two will have to either ask or have to tolerate the pink banshee. Me on the other hand it only means a few more days of not worrying about my beloved mate or my son doing something that would be life-threatening, at least for a little while. Naruto picked up the dishes and began to wash, dry and put them in their rightful place in the kitchen cabinets. Sasuke decides to help by taking out the trash. Makoto could not help and looked at them and smiled at the image of a happy family. Naruto, have you given any thought of having another kid? Makoto sure expected him to look shocked. Naruto had thought of this, and he gave her his answer after kissing her and holding her close to him, as they both moved in their bed. In truth, I have, but I need a more substantial and steady income before I even consider it. I have been depending on you so far, and D-rank mission pay is not enough to feed a canary. Much less the added needs of bringing a new life into this world. But yes, Makoto, I do feel that Sasuke can handle being a big brother to a little boy or girl. I love you, and I do want to make you happy. I know darling, and you do make me happy, but now that I am young again. I was thinking of having at least 2 more children, a boy and a girl. Naruto promised that he would love to make all her dreams come true, but he had to be able to secure a steady income. You don't have to wait so long, you already have made some of my dreams come true. You are everything I ever wished for in the man I would spend the rest of my life with. I love you, Naruto. Thank you for looking out for Sasuke like you do. He is my son, what kind of a father would I be if I did not look out for his well-being? Naruto was about to fall asleep when he heard her say that he would be like Fugaku. There was something about sleeping with the person you love and that loves you. Something that made the bed seem like a tiny piece of heaven. He enjoyed sleeping like it was, with his arms wrapped around her and his head on her pillow so close he could smell her hair. In the morning he woke up and gave her a small quick kiss and left to make breakfast. Dad, why do you always cook breakfast? Naruto told him he liked to do it so that his family enjoyed a nice warm breakfast. He reminded him that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. HR told him that no man should do things women did, he gave him a rather disapproving look. Sasuke, if your mom got sick and she could not cook, what would you do? He said he would eat at a local restaurant. Son, that can get expensive if you always eat out. It is better to know how to cook just to be prepared. Makoto woke up seeing Naruto teaching Sasuke how to make an omelet. Sasuke learned the basics quick enough, but he still had to learn to use the utensils properly. Makoto was smiling at what she was looking at. Sasuke learned to make an omelet, toast, and to cook bacon and a few sausages. Makoto told him she would be happy to lend him some of her cooking books. My son, if he was popular before, waits till the girls find out he can cook. Naruto told her that he was just learning, and he was sure that by the time he would have at least a girlfriend, he just had to make sure it was not a girl like a certain pink-haired banshee. The two of them helped clean the dishes, and they both left towards their usual meeting place, the training ground. The two decided to do some training while they waited for the rest of the team. Naruto threw a kunai into a faraway tree. Since we have to wait, why don't we play a game? The goal is simple. Throw a kunai to where it hits the tree, but don't hit it. Let's see how close to it we can hit it without actually hitting mine. Sasuke had to admit it did sound like fun. They began to throw one kunai that had a long string attached to it. The more they died, the more accurate Sasuke got and the less effort it took for him to aim. Naruto was ahead by a few inches. As Sasuke threw his, he saw something move above their target tree. He threw his kunai extra hard at the thing that moved. A person was seen falling down on the ground, trying to evade the kunai. Darn it, I missed it. Sasuke saw their teammate get off the group and headed where they were. Sasuke clearly did not care and he was still throwing his kunai. What was the big idea, where you were trying to kill me? The banshee was clearly upset. Naruto told Sasuke to stop and get his kunai back. Sasuke did as he asked and saw how Naruto was smiling. Not at all, I simply missed the target. I guess I really need to work on my aim, don't you think so Kakashi? Kakashi jumped down the tree he had his back to. I don't know, I think you came up with a rather nice way to practice your aim. How long have you known I was here? Naruto told him by their 10th throw. HR gave away his location by that whistling sound he made then. Guess I was excited to see how you both were improving your aim. They decided to go and get their missions for the day. Minato could not understand the sour look on Sakura's face. He gave them the usual amount of D-rank missions. Kakashi and the others were about to leave when Naruto told them he had something to ask the Hokage. Could you let me use the shadow clone so that I could complete more missions? Minato told him he needed a good enough reason to even consider it. Naruto looked at him and smiled. As you are a father Hokage, I am sure you know that being responsible for a son can cost quite a bit. Minato had to agree with that, being a parent was by no means cheap. So since I can't do higher missions, I figured if I cleared enough D-rank missions, I would be able to help with my family's expenses. I don't want my beloved to have to carry the burden all alone. It brought a tear to his eye to see his son thinking about Mikoto and their family. He had no choice but to agree, but he would only consider 10 extra missions for their D-rank completion quota. Sasuke was quite happy as they did their missions. Sakura asked why he was so happy, he simply said that they would complete the D-rank quota that much quicker than they could before. Kakashi had to agree with that, but he asked Naruto if that was his plan all along. Naruto told him he would never lie to the Hokage. He truly wanted to supplement his income to help his beloved mate with the expenses. Chapter 7. After seeing the cat run away from his owner so many times, Naruto was about to tell the lady that if the cat ran away one more time, that was because she was making the poor feline suffer. So she either was more gentle with him or he was going to keep him at this home. The woman screams about how dare he talk to her in that way. The situation was clearly seen when they put the cat in question in front of both of them and asked for them to each call the cat. The woman used every trick she could figure she could try. She even tried bribing the car with a can of very expensive sardines. Naruto had to call him with both his hands open and called for Tora. The cat ran towards him and was purring up a storm while he was touching him. The woman asked why her caste hated her. Naruto explained that the reason, she simply was too rough on him. She moistened to his advice and before too long the cat and woman left feeling a lot happier. The next day Sasuke seemed to be extra excited. Mikoto and Naruto knew exactly why. They both got a message telling them that Kakashi's team would now be able to do C-rank missions. Mikoto actually bought some rather nice pieces of gear for both of them to celebrate in secret. She knew her beloved would tell her to buy only for their son and that he did not want to be a further burden on her. The teacher's salary was not as much as say a good C-rank mission, but it was a safer profession than doing missions after all. Naruto began to wonder why his beloved placed the Uchiha clan fan where it clearly should be the Uzumaki swirl. She told him that the new Uchiha council had decided that he was to take the Uchiha name and the clan symbol as soon as he was able to do C-rank missions. It would help the remaining clan to build a good reputation and to be known they were still around. Itachi only killed Fugaku and his co-conspirators. There were still quite a few Uchiha and his clan head he was supposed to represent them. So as they both ran towards the tower Sasuke asked him, "Dad, are you angry that the council decided to change your name? And are you excited to do anything other than D-rank missions?" Naruto did not look back and only answered that the council changing his name did not affect him, but if they tried to separate him from his mate and son, that was a different story. As for the missions he would have to see first. No reason to get excited if the only thing they did was bandit extermination, message delivery and escort missions. They both arrived and Sakura was the first to scream that he should not wear the fan symbol. A quick glare by both him and Sasuke put a stop to the ranting of the pink banshee. They both entered the Hokage's office and he looked like he was going to give them another D-rank mission. The C-rank mission scrolls were in the same shelf after all. An escort mission, a bridge builder came to our village to buy construction supplies and is in need of an escort to return safely to Wave. His name is Tazuna. I think that is the man knocking right now. Tazuna looked more like a homeless drunk than a respected bridge builder. When he looked at the group he began to laugh. "Hokage, don't tell me these useless brats are my escort. The Cyclops who is a wonder he can even get dressed in the morning. The pinkeet that looks weaker than your average waitress. The brat next to her looks like he has an entire pole up his ass." He then walked over to Naruto and touched his ears. "And don't get me started on the freak who looks like he should be in a circus sideshow." Naruto walked over to Minato. "Lord Hokage, we are sorry to say that we will need another mission. It seems the client does not want to live very long." Minato did not understand why Naruto was being so formal till he saw what he had in his hands. "Oh, shit, I need to stop him." In a blur he disappeared and was about to cut Tazuna's head clean off with a pair of dual Kodachi. The infamous dual Kodachi he heard from his hunter reports. It took Minato a great deal of effort to block the strike and to calm him down. Tazuna looked like he was going to faint. The murderous glare he was receiving was nothing to joke about. "Naruto, you can't kill your client I covered for you last time, but not again." Naruto glared at him too. "This bastard made fun of my son, he insulted me by calling me a clan head, a sideshow freak, and he insulted the son of one of our greatest heroes, the White Fang. I should kill him for the insults on my clan alone." Minato remembered then that indeed Naruto was considered the head of the Uchiha clan. Tazuna was surprised by hearing the brat had a son and was a clan head. "I believe introductions will help." This is Kakashi Heikate, former Anbu captain, this is Sakura Haruno, and these two are Naruto Uchiha, honored head of the Uchiha clan, and his son Sasuke Uchiha. Izuna asked Naruto to forgive him, he was just testing them to see if they had the backbone to do the job. Naruto puts his swords away and he accepts his apology. But he looks your age, how is he your father? Sasuke only said it was a clan secret. Sakura called it complete bullshit. Kakashi told him to get ready for a 2-week mission. Both Naruto and Sasuke held out a storage scroll and told him they were ready for a month. Sakura was the only one that had to haul ass and get ready. The other walked towards the village gate. Izuna began to ask him if he had any trouble being a parent at his age. This led to a much more friendly discussion on the difficulty of parenting. Izuna had a daughter and he knew too well that Naruto was indeed a parent when he heard him talk. Sakura took an entire hour to pack, Izuna and the others looked bored. Naruto was twirling a kunai using his chakra and Kakashi was complimenting him on his execution of a high chakra control exercise. Sasuke took out another and did the same exercise. Dad is always pushing himself and me to try and master our control. I have no clue why. Naruto put away his kunai and told him to ensure he was properly prepared. Any parent wants their child to be safe after all. The group began to walk towards Wave, and Naruto commented how nice the weather was. Sakura mentioned that he was nuts, they had no rain in about a month, and the sun was hot enough to bake an egg. That is when they noticed the puddle Naruto was looking at a few hundred feet away. The one walking with the group was a shadow clone. The real one had sneaked beneath and was behind the two idiots who were arguing. Brother, the pink brat is right, this is a stupid idea, if they had not rained in such a long time, would we stick out like a green thumb? His brother yelled back that he did not have any brilliant ideas before they were genin. They could easily kill the target and get away, Naruto had just about enough of the bickering. I agree with the first guy, this sucks. Only a complete moron would even think of using it, see brother, someone agrees with me. Wait a second, what the hell are you? He used his lightning style. Paralyzing jutsu on both of them. Who am I? Just one of the worthless genin walking with your target. Now boys, we can do this 2 ways, you can tell me who your client is and what is your mission, or I will mindfuck you both and then kill you. Oh, and don't bother with the chain. I already cut it. We work for Zabuza Mamachi and he was hired by a gangster named Gato to kill the bridge builder, his bridge would cause him to lose control of his territory. We are refugees from Kiri, we only did this job to earn a living, they both explained about the civil war that still was happening in Kurigakure. Naruto understood and told them to go and tell Zabuza he wanted to have a word with him. They understood and left. Who was that Naruto? Kakashi clearly wanted to know what he had done. I think it is more important that Izuna came clean about this mission. We are up against Zabuza Mamachi, and I want to know how is this a C rank when we have the Demon of the Mist as our opponent. Izuna told them that his village was poor and that they did not have enough money to pay for a higher mission. Kakashi wanted to call the mission off due to client dishonesty. We can still do. Izuna fell down on his knees thanking them for not simply cancelling the mission. Get up, we are wasting time, and I have a meeting to get to. The group had no clue what he was talking about when he mentioned a meeting. The group walked quite a bit till they reached a white rabbit. Sakura was going on about how cute it was. Damn, a substitution target, everyone get down now. Naruto clearly understood and both Kakashi and him had their weapons in hand as the rest stuck the big sword that came their way. Naruto deflected the sword and it came to get stuck on a tree. Hey, Zabuza, I told the 2 clueless wonders to tell you I wanted a word with you. Did the 2 morons fail at delivering my message too? A person was heard laughing and they looked at where the sword was, standing on it was Zabuza Mamachi. Sharingan, no wonder my subordinates were so scared, got some rather nice killer intent there too, I just wanted to make a good first impression. How about you and your daughter get down and we can have a nice discussion about a few topics. Zabuza was clearly surprised by the mention of his daughter. Sure thing, why not, a person wearing a hunter mask, and Zabuza came down. Kakashi had no clue what was going on. The hunter masked young woman thanked him for not harming her pet rabbit when it was easy for him to do. Gato is going to betray you. I hunt bandits and they sometimes talk about potential employers, some say he is broke, others say he killed friends of theirs when it was time to get paid. Zabuza said Gato told him and his group that there were rumors by rival crime bosses. Look, if the civil war was not happening, you would still be one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist and would not be caught dead working for such scum. Zabuza could only smile as Naruto was indeed right. So what is your proposal you want us to do? Naruto shut off the chakra flowing to his eyes and they returned to looking quite normal. Fake an injury and give me a month's time to get irrefutable proof of his betrayal. When that happens we take care of the scum or we fight if I fail to get the proof. Sakura looked like she was about to crap in her pants from all the killer intent between the masked guy and Naruto. Sure, we can do that, but better train during that time, cause your 2 friends will need it by the looks of it. If we fight I want to have a decent fight and if not I want them to be useful. Naruto agreed to that and Zabuza and his daughter left. She took off her mask and was petting her rabbit while Naruto and Zabuza were having their meeting. Sasuke got a real close look of her face as she was playing with her rabbit. As soon as she left he could have sworn she winked at him. Well, that could have gone worse. Kakashi was clearly worried for the group. Hey dad, don't you think she was rather cute? Sakura glared at them both when she heard that. For you maybe son, for me I have the single most beautiful woman alive with me, your mother. Tazuna laughed as they walked towards the shoreline. Most husbands either think that or say that. I felt the same thing about my late wife. Chapter 8. The bridge was half completed and it looked like an impressive sight. Sakura was amazed at the sheer size of it. Kakashi only wondered if they actually had enough materials to complete it. Tazuna told them that the problem was not in obtaining materials, it was in manpower. He told them how Gato pretty much either threatened his construction workers to quit or bribed them with false promises of riches once Tazuna failed. Naruto was quick to remind him that as long as he was present manpower was already available. Tazuna was quick to remind him that these men worked at this their whole lives, the knowledge of these men was obtained through long hard work. I already know how to operate most machinery and know all the basic theory on basic construction, the rest I can learn rather quickly. Tazuna could not understand how someone so young would know as much as he said he did. Dad enjoys reading. Reading a dozen books a day tends to make you want to read about all kinds of things, after all he keeps running out of reading materials. But why do you call him your father? Isn't he your age? Sasuke explained that he was actually a few years older, but he actually was married to his mother and behaved more like a father than his own biological father ever did. His mother was a widow and she got to marry a man who made her happy. Why wouldn't he call him father? The discussion continued till they reached what looked to be the offices of Tazuna's construction company. If the size of the place was any indication, the man had been quite successful at one time. They were greeted by a young woman who hugged Tazuna while shedding tears of sheer joy. Dad, you are alive. Gato's goons told me he had sent people to kill you. Tazuna touched her shoulder and made her feel at ease. Actually he did, but thanks to these ninjas I was able to return alive. Now let's go home, I am sure they are quite hungry. Sakura's stomach made a very easy to understand noise as he finished saying that. I see, cooking dinner was the next thing I was planning to do. But first an introduction is in order. Ah, where are my manners? This is Kakashi Heikate, their leader, the Pinkite is Sakura Haruno, and is very hungry. This is Naruto Uchiha and his son Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke was blushing as she looked at him. I am sure there is quite a tale behind the father and son, but first follow me, our home is actually a few houses away from here. Sakura was not happy to be called Pink Eye. Naruto quickly asked if she preferred the nickname he and so many in the academy gave her. She flat out said the Pink Banshee. How can someone as cute as her be given such awful nicknames? Sasuke and Naruto followed the young woman, still waiting to hear her name. As soon as they reached the house she remembered. I am Tazuna's daughter Tsunami, and this is our home. I think my son Inari is playing upstairs. The group entered the house and she told them to relax while she cooked dinner. Naruto would not hear of it, he walked into the kitchen and helped make dinner. Dad always does that, he believes a man should help around the house, so he helps mom cook all the time. Tsunami was quite happy to have someone help, cooking for so many people was tough by yourself after all. So tell me Naruto, how does it feel to be married? Naruto continued to do the cutting of the vegetables and helped with some of the cleaning of the fish. I would have it no other way, my beloved is kind, sweet and tender, my son can be a bit of a handful sometimes, but that is just the challenge of being a parent. My other son does not even know I am his new stepfather. I hope things go better the next time I see him. I worry constantly about their future and smile when they show signs of maturity. In short, I married the woman I adore and have some nice kids. What could make my life better? Tsunami knew exactly what he was talking about as he gave her the fish and began cooking a very nice dessert. She wondered how in the world someone so young seemed so mature and what could motivate her own son to try and be half as mature as the young man helping her cook. The food was done quicker thanks to the extra hands, and Sasuke helped them set the table. Tazuna asked where his grandson was, he was going to miss out on a feast. That is when Inari came running down the stairs crying and with snot running from his nose. He looked at them and began to yell how everyone was clueless that Gato was going to kill them all, he was invincible, and they were just pretending to help to see what they could get out of them, and when they saw how tough Gato was, they would turn tail and run. So this crybaby is your son? Sasuke, I guess I never told you this enough times, but son, I am very proud of you. And you crybaby, I will deal with you after we have this delicious meal your mother cooked, so clean your hands and your face and come and eat dinner. But you better thank your mother, or so help me, I will tan your behind so much you will dream about being able to sit down. Inari must have been scared that he actually obeyed him. He washed his hands and face and thanked his mother for the food. He sat down right next to his grandfather who was speechless. They all had a wonderful dinner and all thanked her again for the food. Tsunami was happy to hear their words of appreciation. Now you say Gato is invincible, listen up boy and listen good. Evil prevails when good men do nothing. We have to fight this creep, but do it alone and it is just suicide. I am not alone, and mark my words I will make Gato wish he was never born. So tell me boy, what have you done to beat him? What is your latest contribution to the defeat of Gato? Come on, you were quick to say all that nonsense before, let's hear what you have done. Inari said that he could do nothing, he was just a little kid. Now you make excuses, and lame excuses at that. You could help your mother, that would take some stress from your grandfather, and he would be more motivated to finish the bridge. You could write letters to the nearby villages to send help, you could send messages in bottles toward other fisher communities, you could watch for strangers around your house, and alert your mother when she and you need to hide. Should I go on? Inari began crying once again. Walk up boy, tears fix nothing, actions do. I am going outside to work some of this off, and Sasuke will help the Tsunami with the dishes will you? As Naruto was walking towards the door, he heard Sasuke tell him, sure thing, dad. He walked out and closed the door. Kakashi decided to tell him that Naruto was the sin of their Hokage, he had more death threats and kidnapping attempts than most had teeth in their mouths. He does not live in fear, he studied, trained and became as strong as you see him now. Crying would not help, action does. He must have told himself that 1,000 times as he trained. Sasuke told them his dad would never break his word, he would die first. Inari could not say anything after that, he simply looked at a picture of his stepfather. Naruto decided to henge into a rather mean-looking thug and went to the nearby bar, he bumped into some other thugs, he was asked what his problem was, no money, crappy job, and no chance to kill for some good pay, isn't everyone having the same problems? One of the thugs must have liked the killer look in his eyes, because he told him of a wonderful boss that paid really well for roughing the idiots in the dump they were in. And even more for killing them. He decided to introduce him to Gato. Gato was more than happy to get another hired killer on his peril. The plan was going perfectly, he would gain the trust of the other killers, and even Gato. He would then send the people he would have to kill into hiding, and would burn some of their homes. When Gato asked where the bodies were he simply would say that he took care of them. He could even use a shadow clone to do this as he helped Sakura and Sasuke train and another to help Tazuna out in the construction work. According to plan he managed to get some rather nice pieces of information from the people that worked for Gato. It took him less than 1 week to know everything from Gato's schedule, the combination to his safe, and even where he kept his real safe. Sasuke was close to mastering the chakra scalpel exercise, and Sakura was having good progress on the tree walking exercise. The construction was also proceeding quite nicely. During his second week he decided to begin undermining Gato's organization. He first made it look like several of his key killers died from alcohol poisoning or some other accident. Then after a few days he killed some others and made it look like Gato ordered their deaths. Gato denied it but many of them left during the night. They liked easy money but they were not willing to die for it. The last he broke into his safe and got all his money and his own personal journal and ledger. He then pretended to be killed by his very own top lieutenant. This was done with a henge jutsu and some shadow clones. The idiot lieutenant tried to tell Gato that he had been loyal to him, but Gato had the man tortured, he wanted his money and other items returned at once, but the goons had no self-control and ended up killing him. Gato was beyond desperate, if Zabuza found out he did not have the money he promised him, he was a dead man. 2 weeks ahead of schedule Zabuza and Haku showed up to the prearranged meeting point, Naruto was actually waiting at the agreed time. So did you get the proof or do I kill the bridge maker? Naruto threw him the ledger and the journal. I think you will find those a fascinating read. Hake read the journal and he went over the ledger. Haku waited for her father to finish. What he told her was that essentially Gato was broke, he needed to stop the bridge or his criminal business would fall into bankruptcy. That is not old ad, here he says that he planned to kill us when we were weak from injuries the people guarding Tazuna would cause us. Zabuza was beyond angry, he was furious, he wanted to gut the pig right that moment. Naruto told him to wait and catch him by surprise. He agreed to follow his plan. But what do we do after all this? Go back to running and hiding from Hunter Ninja. Actually I had planned to offer you two the chance to come back and join the village hidden in the leaves. Zabuza asked why would the Hokage allow it and Naruto gave them 2 reasons, he would recognize their talents and a second he would ask him, he was the man's son after all. Zabuza and Haku imagined a life where they could actually work as honest-to-goodness ninja again. If they were motivated for mere revenge, now they were motivated to show what they were truly capable of doing. When they decided what they would do Haku stayed behind to talk to Naruto about something of a personal nature. Zabuza had a pretty good idea what it was about, so he left her to talk to Naruto. Naruto, would you mind talking with me about the other guy in your team? Naruto looked at her blushing face. So I was right, you are interested in my son, Sasuke also made a few comments about you too. She wanted to hear them, only to blush more and more as he said every comment he made about her. Aku, you seem like a kind, caring and focused young woman. As his father I would approve of a relationship with you, so all that is left for me is to see if you ask him to consider that, or he asked you first. Traditionally I would want both of you to go out for a while before deciding to get serious, but that is a choice you two would have to make. Aku was very happy to hear that, and from what he said his son did not have a girlfriend. I see what you are saying, and that indeed would be reasonable, but what about the pink-haired girl? Do you approve of her wanting a relationship with your son? Naruto felt sick to his stomach and had to really try hard not to throw up. Haku asked him if something was the matter. Nothing medical, it's just the very idea of my son, and that girl having any kind of romantic relationship is not something I would ever approve or feel good about. Chapter 9. The remainder of the time was spent training and continuing the construction of the bridge. Gato was every day more and more furious that his own hired killers had either deserted him or they had been killed on his orders. The cause was the same however, their failure to stop the drunken bridge mammoth from completing the bridge that would ruin him. Gato could not understand how a bunch of brats could defend the bridge so well, planting bombs, putting acid on machinery, pushing concrete bags into the river, nothing worked. Inari had taken Naruto's advice to heart and he had been busy the entire time either helping his mother or trying to get the neighboring kids to motivate people to volunteer in the construction effort. This made sure that Tazuna had plenty of people to help him do menial labor while his crew did the heavy-duty construction, then, and about 50 shadow clones of Naruto henge into ordinary citizens. Tazuna had to agree with him, he was a quick learner, he never figured out why he learned so quickly, but it was not as important as finishing the bridge. It was when the bridge was almost complete that Gato hired some sellswords to attack the construction site and sent another group to kidnap Tsunami and her son. Too bad that Naruto left at least half a dozen shadow clones to wait for such a thing. They heard Inari make a racket about letting his mother go. His kid waxed kicking, biting, and punching them, but it had no success. One of the shadow clones changed into Tsunami and substituted himself with her. He then proceeded to kill the guy that had been holding Tsunami by cutting his throat. In the confusion of the spray of blood the other shadow clones killed the rest of the men, who were blinded by the blood that was spraying from the first guy killed. Tsunami began to cry, worried about her son, until he ran to where she was. The two quickly agreed to clean the place to prevent Tazuna from any stress. Inari cleaned most of the blood after he and Tsunami dragged the bodies behind their house. Gato was not happy to see Zabuza and his helper helping to defeat the people that he hired to kill the brats and Tazuna. Zabuza, are you out of your gourd? I hired you to kill the drunken fool and instead you are there helping them, what in all hell is the matter with you? Zabuza looks at Naruto and they both throw his missing ledger and journal for all to see. What I should ask is why are you guys working for a deadbeat who will not pay you? Cause he is flat broke. The sellswords stopped on their tracks. They each looked at Zabuza and saw in his eyes that he was telling the truth. They all told him to go and be a stray dog's bitch. They all left him to a very pissed off Zabuza and Naruto. Okay, let's decide who gets the fat baldy Zabuza, and Naruto began to play a game of rock, paper, scissors. This made Gato angry enough that he picked out a sword and ran like a crazy person trying to kill at least the brat. As soon as he was 20 paces away from them, they both took out a kunai and did the shadow kunai. As the kunai hit Gato making look like a human pin cushion, they both said at the same time and high-fived each other. Just kidding. Gato was bleeding pretty badly and they clearly aimed to injure, but not kill, Tazuna, and the village decided that he should hang by the neck and be given a watery grave. The entire construction crew and village celebrated as the kids took big broomsticks and tried to use the body of Gato like a pinata. Haku was pretty busy on a wonderful date with Sasuke and Sakura was simply glaring at them from behind some crates. Zabuza and Naruto decided to have a sparring match and it came to a draw. Zabuza began telling him why he left Mist in the first place and how it was caught in a civil war. How a few of the 7 swordsmen scattered looking for people to join the rebels and help put an end to the civil war. The Mizukage was clearly insane to order the execution of all bloodline users in Mist, it was like eliminating their most powerful ninja, it made no sense for him to do that. Why do you use 2 blades instead of a single sword? Zabuza clearly wanted to know. Naruto had no way to answer except show him. When he placed the blades back to back and infused them with chakra, they became this rather brutal-looking katana. He pulled the chakra and put together as the pummels touched and infused one again became a 2-bladed staff. Once again he pulled the chakra out and placed them in a cross, and once again he induced them, they became a 4-blade shuriken, it looked almost as big as to be able to cover half his back. Once again he returned the blades back to normal. I have a lot of options thanks to these blades, I would be a fool not to use them. Zabuza was impressed, but he asked him to spar with him again, but this time with the almost demonic-looking katana. Naruto told him that was not such a good idea, but seeing his friend honestly wanted to spar, he agreed. He threw Zabuza's blade like a hot knife through butter. Thank goodness he was using a disposable blade. See, this thing when in that form you tend to eat metals. He asked what it ate in the other forms. The staff ate minerals, the shuriken ate liquids, and 2 twin blades ate energy. All this was later converted to chakra he could tap as they continued fighting. So you don't run out of chakra as long as there are enemies to fight. Naruto corrected him and said he still had his own chakra. I don't spend chakra as long as there are enemies to kill. Zabuza had to admit he was glad he was not his enemy. How do you feel about my girl and your boy having a relationship? I know Haku has quite the crush on him. She would not stop saying how cute she found him. Naruto sat down on a log and looked at him with a serious expression. As long as she truly loves him for being him and does not want him to use him for just her own benefit, I have no problem at all. She is skilled, kind by the way she was holding her pet. If they want to have a relationship, I have no problems with it. But I am no fortune teller. I will just have to wait and see. The group left together and it was rather funny to see. Zabuza, Kakashi and Naruto were talking like they had been friends for years. Sasuke was walking pretty close to Haku, who was blushing at some of the things they were whispering to each other. Sakura looked like someone just ate the most sour thing in the world at one moment and a dog that had a bad case of rabies the next. I guess even she noticed how close Sasuke was walking with Haku. Or maybe it was that now that Haku was not wearing her hunter ninja disguise and instead was wearing something more form-fitting, her figure was clear to see, and Sakura was not happy to find that Haku indeed had a much more attractive figure than she did, but she was not going to say that she was jealous of how much bigger Haku's breasts were or how she clearly had some really nice looking skin and hair. Sakura worked constantly on her appearance to the point she neglected her own training, but Haku managed to make herself look good and still managed to train. She just could not figure out how in the world she managed it. There were only so many hours in the day after all. How did Haku manage to train and keep her appearance to look that good? It was by the time they reached the village that Sakura just had to ask. No major secret, my housekeeping tends to give me plenty of chances to train, and if you spend a few minutes before you sleep, you can always brush your hair and use some nice moisturizing creams, a facial mask would not hurt. Sakura could not believe it was something so simple. Naruto commented that Mikoto always looked wonderful to him, and with him helping around the house, he knew how much of a workout housework really was. Sasuke also told her that he also knew since he also saw the benefits of helping around the house. Have to learn to be independent, don't I, Dad? Naruto began to laugh. You sure do, son. You sure do. The Hokage was more than happy to allow Zabuza to join them, in fact he was made for the job he had just created. Zabuza would be something close to an inspector to see how the teachers were doing and teaching their students. He would then report to the Hokage about what was good, bad and plain ugly. It was the day teachers would cry into their sake every year from that day on, the day that their easy job died and they would actually have to earn their pay. The village hospital accepted Haku as a new doctor and then the doctors really became happy. The young woman had begun to share some of the innovative ways she came up with to deal with pesky recurring illnesses. Nothing made the doctoress happier than to be able to have a simple standardized method to deal with such illnesses. It simply allowed more time for research and development of cures for other things. Mikoto had a bit of a difficult situation. On the one hand her son was more motivated and happy than she could have seen recently, if that was even possible. The other was that she was seeing how her baby boy was getting closer to adulthood and that would mean that it was not far in the future before she saw him say his vows and marry some lucky girl. All indications pointed that the lucky girl was going to be Haku. Naruto simply was happy to be able to sleep again in the most comfortable bed he ever found, the one that he shared with Mikoto. When he first introduced Zabuza and his daughter, that was something that made him still laugh. When he mentioned Zabuza's name, Mikoto tried to kill the man with a kitchen knife. She would have succeeded too had it not been for Naruto's timely intervention. Zabuza knew that moment to never, and I mean never, get on this lady's bad side. Kakashi could not understand how a brat like Naruto could maintain a relationship with Mikoto, and Sasuke even called him dad. He was still very much single and very much alone. He was drinking pretty heavily in the local bar. Just what is his secret? How can a guy like him keep a woman so happy? He has not been with her for that long and they behave like they have been married for years. I just don't get it. Anko had enough of hearing this and decided to tell him what she believed. Anko sat down next to him and taking his glass she drank his sake. It is really simple, he is not a pervert, or at least not with anyone else but with her, and he makes an effort to be irreplaceable. It is just a matter of putting in the effort. Any idiot can see that as plain as the headband in front of your face. Kakashi told her that drinking out of his cup was called an indirect kiss. Maybe you will get to directly kiss that and a few other things if you put in the effort. That is the day Kakashi stopped reading Icha Icha, or at least not in public and not alone. He decided that he would put in the effort and much to his surprise Anko would indeed prove worth the effort. It only took Kakashi 2 weeks and some very nice dates before Anko was quite happy to call him her boyfriend. Chapter 10. For all Sakura Haruno fans, if you think that I am bashing her too much, I suggest a beautiful story entitled I Wish You Happiness. It is even on this very site. As for this story, I will show her the same consideration she did to Naruto during the anime. Which is to say, the bashing is not bashing, it is a matter of overdue justice. Thank you to all readers for your constructive criticism and suggestions. You have got to be kidding me, you tell us now that we have been entered into the Chunin exams. Kakashi apologized that he simply forgot to tell them. With everything new in his life, his new relationship with Anko for one thing, he was simply so happy that he sort of forgot till a month later. I don't see what the big deal is, Dad has been training with me for all that month. I am pretty sure we are ready for the exams right now. Sakura asked how in the hell did they know of this if Kakashi forgot. The renovations the hotels and restaurants are doing mean they expect heavy customer traffic, the streets and parks have had major maintenance, and the Anbu are doing more night and daytime patrols. All this means visitors, and pretty important ones, so of course it means the Chunin exams. The Jounin exams are done in private by each village after all. It's just a matter of simple common sense. Naruto did not understand why he even needed to tell her this. So what is this rumor I hear that Sasuke is dating the frigid daughter of Zabuza Mamachi? Naruto told her they were not dating, he had begun talks with Zabuza to draw a formal marriage contract, they are only waiting for them to choose the date. We plan to marry after I make Chunin, after all I need to secure an income for our family. Naruto was very proud of his boy. That is what I came to expect from my son. Very well said, son. You make me very proud. Sasuke looked embarrassed. But remember, son, we want no less than 3 grandkids. Sasuke blushed so much his face was the color of a boiled crab. Dad, please, that is something me and Haku have to decide. Naruto then asks when Kakashi is going to marry Anko. He told them he did already, last week as a matter of fact. I guess congratulations are in order, I hope you two are very happy together, just like I am with Mikoto. Kakashi thanked him, and Sakura was silently fuming mad. Excuse me, so my Sasuke is going to marry the ice doctor of Konoha. Kakashi already is married, and Naruto was married even before he was in our team. So I am going to be the only one single in this team. They all looked at her and told her at the same time, pretty much, it's not like it is any of our business if you chose to remain single for the rest of your life. She said she wanted to marry Sasuke, but he kept interfering and saying that he would not allow it. Sasuke is my son, and as his father I will safeguard his happiness. I will not let anyone abuse my son. Especially a woman that just wants to use him as a social stepladder. Samichiha heard him speak and began to clap in approval of his words. That is what I expect from our clan head. Well said, my lord. I fully support the idea that a parent must safeguard their children's happiness. Sakura told him he could not be a clan head. He was the same age as Sasuke, and he did not possess the Sharingan. The Tudo decided to put this to rest once and for all. Sakura, do you love Sasuke Uchiha to the point that you will let him marry someone else, if that will make him happy? Sakura turned around and she could not believe what she was seeing. A fully matured Sharingan staring at her. I would because I love him. I am not trying to use him. The 3 Tomo were spinning and he knew for a fact it was a lie. He could clearly see her own feelings. Sakura, you might not know this, but any member of my clan does. You cannot lie to an active Sharingan, especially one that has reached my level. I know the truth and you just want to use him, you do not love my son. Sakura could say nothing against that since she was found out, in the presence of not just 1 but 4 active Sharingan including Kakashi. She ran away crying, or at least pretending to cry. Tell the other clan members that tomorrow we shall have a meeting. If I may ask, what is this meeting about? Naruto deactivated his Sharingan. To discuss the future of our clan, I will propose some radical changes on how we live and relate to others in the village. It is time we discuss the possibility of ending our own self-imposed isolationism. The few that listened said that it was a wonderful idea to be true parts of the village at long last. One voiced his concern, but he was told to make a decision after he heard his complete proposal. The old man agreed to do that. So what kind of training have you been doing with Sasuke? Naruto told Kakashi nothing major. Just 3,000 push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups and 30 laps around the village, take a 5-minute break, and repeat 5 times. A simple warm-up, some ninjutsu, taijutsu and sealing theory in the evening. If we finish the warm-up quick enough, some. Kakashi had no words to describe the sheer insanity of the training he just heard. Is he trying to work him into an early grave? My guy just happened to hear his explanation of his training routine. Yosh, finally someone has their flames of youth as bright as mine. Why the long face of my eternal rival? Rock Lee on the other hand was furious. Yosh. I must do more than him, I shall eclipse your fire of youth and claim the heart of my beautiful Sakura from you. Naruto and Sasuke told him that would not be so difficult, they both said at the same time. Please take her, if you want that for a girlfriend, please be our guest but it is your funeral. Both Kakashi and Guy could not see that scene without laughing their heads off. It simply was too funny to see. Then I shall defeat you to earn her love. Sasuke began to walk away as he whispered for them to play some distance from him, his stupidity might be contagious. No son, that is natural talent to be sure, he's a natural born blockhead. No suggestion or advice is getting in that thick skull. When Guy heard that he demanded that he spar with him, Kakashi called it a duel. Hope you are ready to fight an army then. They both began their fight and Naruto made 50 shadow clones. The next thing they found strange was that each threw a 3-point kunai at him, Guy deflected them easily. No, don't tell me he can do that jutsu. I tried to run and hit one of the clones, and in a massive series of black flashes, each clone delivered a punch, kick or jab at a pressure point. Guy was on the ground barely able to move and was breathing quite hard. Cheater. Guy said as he fell unconscious. He never said I could not use it. Kakashi watched as the clones dispelled at intervals of 10. So Naruto, can you use the other our Hokage is known for? Naruto asked for him to look down, and his hand was perfect. The guy does not realize I took it easy on him. If I used this, we would be picking Guy in tiny chunks. Sasuke asked if he could teach him those moves. Sure son, just wait till you finish my training and. These require master chakra control and be a seal master. That is going to take you time, since you can't use the shadow clone yet. Kakashi asked why he needed to be a seal master. The seal array for the flight of the thunder god is individual. No seal array is the same, mine is different from my father's, that is why you or anyone else cannot copy it. Even if they tried using it, the result would be gruesome to say the least. If wants to be able to use it properly, he has to be able to make his own sealing array based on himself, thus the need to be a seal master. Naruto and Sasuke went to continue their training, little did they know someone was watching them from afar. This someone was a rather pale-looking young man by the name of Sai, having been trained as a rude Anbu practically from birth, his loyalty to Danzo, his leader, was second to none. Danzo had ordered him to keep an eye on Naruto and what he did with the Uchiha clan, since the failure of wiping them out Danzo was afraid that the truth would come out and his plans being discovered sooner than he would like. So far he saw a pair of people, Naruto and Sasuke, train like they were getting ready for war. This always bothered him somehow, why train like that during peacetime? It was not like they were expecting an attack. This was always on his mind, deep down he felt like Naruto knew the true plan to finish what Itachi was almost tricked into doing for them. But he was just a brat playing to be a responsible father figure, what could a brat that grew up pampered and loved by his parents could do against him or his fellow rude Anbu? Dad, just how long are you going to let that creepy pale guy follow us around? Naruto smiled at him. Till he makes the first move son, he is up to something, it would not do that if we jump yo early and fall into a trap. I will do everything I can to keep our family safe. I just wish your brother came home and told the Hokage the truth. Sasuke asked if he still believed there was more to that night than Itachi going on a killing spree. Sasuke, your brother, was a captain in one of our most elite forces in the village. Trust me, if he had another reason it must be a good one, but till we find the truth our hands are tied. As their training was done they went home. Mikoto was waiting for them to arrive. She told Sasuke to take a bath and prepared for dinner. As soon as Naruto heard her tone, he knew that she had something in mind. She saw the look of understanding her mate was showing. They both sat down together and he kissed her first, to break the ice as it were. What is this I hear about the clan meeting happening tomorrow? Naruto pulled her close and he whispered he was putting his plan in motion. Mikoto looked relieved as she was worried about something bad happening. I am proposing to bring down the barriers our clan has, both physical and social. As long as we remain as we are, it will only continue to breed mistrust in our clan. I am just doing something for our family, so relax my love, I thought of everything and would do nothing to make you sad, I love you. Of that I have no doubt, but why do so? I really want to see why. Mikoto leaned on her mate and looked at his eyes. Because there is someone in the shadows that wishes us harm, my love. If I manage to get our clan to be felt and accepted as another part of Konoha, this individual will have to accept that harming the Uchiha is in turn harming Konoha. And if I am right, this person would sooner kill himself before harming the place he loves so much. With our clan safe, I can finally begin my search for the truth and thus our eldest son can finally return home. Would that not make you happy, my beloved mate? Mikoto was amazed at the lengths he would go to see her happy. Fugaku only cared about his own happiness, his own ambitions, but Naruto cared more about seeing her happy than obtaining power for himself. Even the position of clan head was something he accepted so that she would not have to put up with the stress. You teach our son to seek something besides revenge, you seek our safety, and you make me happy with almost all that you do. Do you know how fortunate I feel to be your mate, my love? Naruto kissed her passionately, I am fortunate to have you by my side. Chapter 11. Time sure flies when you are having fun or training as much as Naruto and Sasuke were. It did not seem that long since the clan had the meeting. The meeting turned out to be a major success. Almost the entire clan accepted that indeed they needed to be more open and involved with the village. Only a couple of the older generation said that they should remain isolated because of the danger of being betrayed. The large majority did as their clan had proposed. The wall around the Uchiha compound and around the district was torn down. Minato smiled as it happened. The next big thing was that the grandson of Hiruzen Sarutobi finally got tired of challenging Minato to fight for the position of Hokage. Even though Minato took it easy on the kid, he did give the kid quite the severe beating. It was clear that if he ever wanted to be Hokage, he needed to train a whole lot longer and harder. Naruto smiled as he heard the kid say that to his own personal trainer. He even told him to stop with the nonsense of the easy path to being a Hokage. In his words, if you know such an easy path, then why aren't you Hokage? Naruto just finished his current training session with Sasuke, and he felt that he did so good they were on their way to Ichiraku to buy him a few plates of the ramen of his choice. That is when he saw Konohamaru being picked up by the throat by a ninja from Suna. The guy had looked like a bundle on his back, makeup on his face, and was wearing something he considered a cat-eat hoodie. Next to him was a blonde girl with the most extreme hairstyle he had ever seen and had what looked like a huge fan strapped to the back of her waist. I know you three are here for the exams, but the kid you are holding is the grandson of the third Hokage. If you don't want to have a political incident that could have your entire village banned forever from taking the exam here, I would put him down gently. The guy said the brat bumped into him and he did not apologize. I did apologize, but you want someone to kiss your rear and not an apology. This was going nowhere. He looked at the three and smiled. Brother one, are you going to sit on that branch all day? Come on down and join this friendly discussion. Both Kankuro and Tamari feared the worst as their brother jumped down from the tree. I do believe you are right, brother 9. I can almost say mother would find the taste of your blood quite tasty, but let me deal with this and then you can help prove my existence in the exams. The guy was called Gaara by his two siblings. Do as he says right now, or I will kill you both. Kankuro gently let go of Konohamaru and apologized for being so rough. Konohamaru again apologized for his comment and bumping into him. The three left a very grateful Konohamaru. Dad, do I have a bunch of aunts and uncles I don't know about? Naruto told Sasuke to follow and he would explain. As they reached Ichiraku they both took their seats. No Sasuke, I only called him brother one because it is common courtesy to do so between. That guy is the one of Shukaku, the one-tailed beast. So I called him brother one, I hold the 9 tails, so he called me brother 9. See, we can know what tail beast we have because they can identify the others. No need to be rude in a situation like that. Naruto, we have not seen you in a while, what's new in your life? Naruto smiled and simply decided to be open with him. The man was an old friend of the family after all. Well, you know how busy married life is, my wife likes it that we eat at home. My kid did something that made me really proud, so I decided to treat him to some delicious ramen. So go ahead, so order whatever you like, you earned it. Sasuke was blushing and rubbing the back of his head. Dad, you are embarrassing me. Tucci had to ask why did Sasuke call Naruto when he remembered his father was someone named Fugaku Uchiha. Makoto and I got married, I got to marry the girl I had a childhood crush on, talk about being lucky. So since I am his stepfather, Sasuke here is my youngest son. Sasuke said that he was nicer to him and more interested in his life than Fugaku ever was, he was even teaching him better than Fugaku ever did. He treats me like a son, so why should I reject such a good father? So I call him dad. You should see how much happier mom is. You know Naruto, I always pictured my daughter married to a nice guy like you. I guess Mikoto won and she lost. Naruto stopped eating his miso ramen and watched his son eat his beef and chicken ramen. I know the wish of a parent for his child's happiness. But I would not despair if I were you. I think AM had a good friendship, if not a starting romance with my eldest son. If everything works out the way I am planning, AM will be able to retake that romance once again. Gucci asked him how he would overturn the council's declaration of his treason against the village. Naruto finished his ramen and watched his son do the same. The truth, Tucci, the truth shall send my first son free and allow him and your daughter a chance at happiness. Tucci could not believe it, he hoped, but it was simply too hard to believe. I will keep it a secret till Itachi is back and then we shall see if my daughter can still love him after all this time. Naruto paid for the ticket for both him and Sasuke. The two then decided to go and see how the new renovations were coming along. The wall was replaced by a beautiful pathway of flowering trees and benches for people to sit under. Yamato could definitely work miracles with that wood release. The cherry trees looked beautiful as they were getting ready to blossom for the first time. Dad, why make the space here the wall something like this? Naruto smiled. It is a symbol and a gift, my son. This is meant to show the village and the people that visit the village that the days of isolation are over for our clan. This is what I call a beautiful welcome to those that wish to visit us. Sasuke asked if this would not make it easier for people to try and do them harm. Nature explained. I said we were now more open to the village, but did I ever say that we were not secure? Come and take a closer look at the trees and by benches. Sasuke could not understand until he got closer to look. They had surveillance seals carved into the trees and into the benches. It was made to look like an artistic rendition of the Uchiha clan symbol. See son, I want the clan to have the trust of the village, but I would sooner die than to put my family at risk. My decision will not cause your mother a single tear, at least not while I live. The two went home but felt like someone was following them. Naruto turned around and with only one hand sign he released a wind style. Great breakthrough jutsu. It sent the person flying till she hit a wall. Sakura, I told you time and time again. I will only train Sasuke, go ask Kakashi to train you and stop wasting my time. Sakura recovered from hitting the wall. I just want to talk to my future mother-in-law. Because Sasuke will be mine. Sasuke did not bother telling her no for the 1000th time. Feeling chakra being used near their home, decided to see what caused it. Deep down she was sure it was her husband. She arrived as Sakura finished talking. Thanks to her loud voice she heard every single word. She appeared next to Naruto and kissed him with a lot of passion and love. My husband has told me of your intentions to woo our youngest son. His decision stands. Sasuke is quite happy with Haku. I like my husband. She'll never let you or any other woman use him as a social stepladder. The next thing they saw was Ino leaving her hiding place in tears. It was clear Makoto sensed her presence, and her words made her sad that like her rival, she would not be allowed to marry Sasuke. She could not help but to go to the hospital. There she found the one named Haku, even though she had to admit she was rather pretty. But what shocked her the most is the cheerful kindness she treated her patients with. She simply had to ask one of the nurses her opinion of her. So this Dr. Haku, what sort of person is she? The nurse smiled and told Ino to take a seat. Dr. Haku, well she is the most kind doctor we have, she treats everyone with such tenderness that it makes our patients simply be completely relaxed even in our hospital. She will treat you regardless of your financial situation. She has even paid for the hospital costs of treating kids of the local orphanage. You should see her smile when she tells our nurses how happy she is with her lover. I would never imagine Sasuke Uchiha being that romantic, but he sends her a dozen roses every Saturday. If you look at the nurses' station you will see them. Ino saw the large bouquet of red roses and it had a card, to my beloved ice princess, Sasuke. There was no mistaking the handwriting, it was really Sasuke who sent her these flowers. Ino, unlike Sakura, accepted what she saw and decided to let Sasuke be happy, even if it was not with her. Maybe she should reconsider Shikamaru's proposal of being her boyfriend. The guy was lazy as hell, but he was nice and she knew him most of her life. Sasuke and family discussed what happened when they went to have their ramen. Makoto was not happy to hear they went out to eat when she actually could have cooked a healthier meal at home. Naruto told her it was a reward, Sasuke had earned it, he finished learning all the basic knowledge about sealing techniques after all, he deserved a reward. Makoto understood why her husband did it, she was still frowning at them, but she understood his reason. Honestly Makoto, I did not know it would make you this upset. I guess I should have bought him a book. Sasuke, hearing that, told him that if that was the case he would ask for the new Icha book that just came out. That made Makoto realize that their son eating that ramen was not such a bad reward after all. The last thing she wanted was for her to start reading those perverted books. The following morning Makoto got up bright and early to pack 2 storage scrolls with everything her husband and son would need for their exams. Naruto prepared a snakebite kit just in case. They both look rather impressive dressed in the same clothes and color. She wished them good luck and asked them to come back safely. Naruto told her that the minute he got his vest, they would start planning for their church wedding. This made Makoto so glad that she kissed him. She kissed her son on the forehead too, not wanting her son to feel left out. Mom, stop it, I am not a little kid anymore. Chapter 12. Sasuke and Naruto looked ahead and as they got near they both saw someone that neither liked very much but had to put up with her. Sakura Haruno was trying her best to seduce Sasuke. Sasuke was not even interested in what she was wearing at all, his relationship with Haku had become too valuable for him to even consider messing up, especially since he truly loved his ice princess. Well, since we are here let's go. We do not want to be late for our first test now do we? Naruto began to walk towards the room where the test was scheduled to happen. Wait a moment, that is the wrong room. You idiot, it says it's room 34, we need room 24. We are in the wrong place. Honestly he knew Sakura was not the brightest of women, but to fall for something like this was just pathetic. Naruto looked at her with a glare. Use the stuff between your ears for once in your life. We came up 1 flight of stairs and walked to the 4th door on this floor. What number do you think would be in this door? This is not a test, it's an insult to my intelligence. You two should feel ashamed of making such a lousy decision. The 2 genin looked at him as if he was insane. But just as he stepped through the door he heard one of them apologizing and that was when they both appeared standing right by the door. Honestly, like my dad would fall for something like that. He is not the head of the Uchiha clan for nothing, you know. Sasuke could not be more proud of his father. Sakura was berating herself for not figuring it out sooner. Listen up, you two, these exams are no joke and we could very well die in them. We need to use our heads and work together. But you can be sure of one thing. Nothing is going to harm my boy. And those that even try will have to go through me first. Kabuto was sure that this person was not kidding around. Good thing he was not going to do anything harmful to Sasuke. Hey guys, new to these exams. This is my 7th one and I can help you. The name is Kabuto and I know everything there is to know about the people in this exam. Thank you for your offer, but these children are no problem for me or my son. I could kill every single one present without even breaking a sweat. The entire room became quiet as a graveyard and they began to move aside. All except a ninja from the new village. He had a music note as a symbol. He rushed into attacking Naruto, but as soon as he was ready to strike, he disappeared and appeared right next to him, just by his side, and grabbed his arm, and with an unexpected force, he used the interceptor style and threw him against a wall. The wall cracked as the fool hit it hard. Naruto, please remember that you are not allowed to kill yet. As much as I would thank you for cutting the number of people taking the exams, please wait till I get through with them. You will be able to kill soon enough. The man looked like he had gone through hell and back. He had scars on his face that made most wonder how he was alive. Well, do get started, Ibiki. I am getting tired of these insults. I might end up killing someone if they try to attack me again. Naruto, just have a little patience and don't worry, I am getting my test started now. Just as soon as they bring me the forms. Kabuto again tried to make himself useful and he offered the cards of anyone here his team asked for. Sasuke asked for Naruto's, Gaara's and Niji's. As Naruto heard the information on his card he knew something was not right. Clan, bloodlines, number of missions and specially elementals and mastery level. He was sure as he looked over the card this wasn't something a genin would have. The level of information was of a specialized in information gathering and infiltration. Excuse me, but I will keep this and the one for Sasuke and Itachi. I don't like others having this kind of information about myself or my kids. Kabuto told him that it was no problem, he even said to consider them a gift. As the forms arrived, Ibiki took his place on the podium. Naruto had hidden several shadow clones around the room on the walls and the ceiling. With all the commotion from other genin talking and moving, it was easy for him to place them. This exam is in 2 parts, 9 questions in the form you are being given. The last question will be given after the first part is done. Each wrong answer you lose 1 point, if we catch you cheating it's 10 points off. You have 50 points for the first part and 50 points for the last question. If a team member gets caught 5 times or fails the first part, the entire exam gets kicked out of the exams. You have 30 minutes to complete the first part. And the time started when I said the word exam. Naruto knew that the goal of the exam was information gathering and working under pressure. He closed his eyes and began to dispel his shadow clones and had one shadow clone deliver the answers to his team. They transformed into flies and would look like they were bothering his team members, but in reality they stopped on the correct answers. When the last answer was given, the two pretended to kill the annoying flies. He called in some of his shadow clones and he pretended to be playing cards. Ibiki knew he wanted to tell him something. Naruto, what are you doing? Naruto looked at him and smiled. I am bored, so I decided to play some poker. He saw the card he had shown him. Come to think of it, it is pretty boring to deal with. Using Anbu sign language he asked what he was really up to. Naruto told him that he should read the mark on his exam. He told him as a message written on one of the cards. So he thinks someone knows Anbu sign language, this must be serious. Looks like you win this time, Ibiki, I guess the ramen is on me next time. Ibiki got up and the shadow clones disappeared. I had to win, you would put a severe dent in my wallet the way you eat. The message was understood and he took back his place on his seat. Ibiki took his exam and began to grade it, or at least it was what it looked like he was doing. Ibiki, I got the smell of a snake from a guy named Kabuto. I think he is a sleeper for Orochimaru. He had information that should be for the Hokage's eyes only. If he is a genin, then I am the Kyuubi and I eat the souls of children as a snack. Okay maggots, the time is up. Put down those pencils and here is the last question. Your team was sent to steal a scroll from an enemy village. It was supposed to have the plans for an attack on your village. Your team is injured and you are in enemy territory. Do you complete the mission or abandon it in favor of getting your teammates some medical attention? This question has an added risk. Get it wrong and you will be banned for life from taking these exams again. For those that want to quit, you can leave and try again next year. The people taking the exams complained that it simply was not fair. Well, tough shit, I am the proctor of this part of the exam and I decide how the exam is conducted. You crybabies really lucked out when I was chosen as proctor. Half the people in the room left as soon as they heard that they risked being stuck ad genin for life. Naruto did not seem bothered at all. Hell yes, I take the mission. I will do it alone if I have to. My teammates can heal themselves while I go get the scroll. Most of the people that stayed said that they need to have confidence in each other and to be able to believe in each other's abilities. If it is for the safety of my home village, there is no way in hell I would fail that mission. I succeed or die trying. Only 27 people were left. Very well, I declare the ones present having passed this portion of the exam. Naruto smiled at him and he knew what the real question was. So what is the point of asking the question? Anyone patriotic enough would answer the same. Naruto got up and looked at the people and laughed. The part of the mission is just a smokescreen. The real question was if you took the risk of being stuck as a genin for life. As Chunin we have to be ready to make tough decisions, and those that can handle the risk have no business even thinking about being a Chunin. Damn, you figured it out, I guess I will not be getting that ramen after all. Just as he finished saying that Anko appeared right next to Ibiki. 27 applicants Ibiki, you are losing your touch in your old age. Ibiki smiled at his friend. You can complain about how they are so many, but admitted you would be angry with me if I left you too few of these kids to torture. Anko began to laugh as she heard him say that. I guess that is true, where would be the fun then? Ibiki understood her almost like she was a sister, their familiarity came from the long period of time working together and the interrogation and torture division. Alright, follow me. We are going to my favorite place in the village. She nearly laughed when she heard Naruto say that if she was taking such a large group to the dango shop. He even mentioned the limited seating space at the place. Not quite, it's my favorite place to have fun. The group finally arrived at the large fence and they saw a sign of danger and a name that read Training Ground 44. For those that have not figured it out, I am the proctor for the second phase of the exams. I am Anko Mitarashi, some might call me the Snake Mistress of Konoha. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the Forest of Death. The test will be a survival and retrieval exam. Each one of you will be given a scroll and you can only pass when you get one of each. You need a heaven and an earth scroll. You are forbidden to open those scrolls until you arrive at the tower in the center of the forest. Now before you get your scrolls I need you to sign a piece of paper, it is a legal waiver in case you die. The team from Kumo led by a woman asked why the need for the waiver. For several reasons to avoid being sued by your parents for one, second the forest is full of animals and some of them might find you lot to be a nice meal, and last but not least dangerous, you are allowed to kill a team to obtain the scroll you need to pass. And before anyone asks you have only 5 days to complete this phase. Sakura asked where they would supply, such as food or water. Naruto decided to help Anko. I would not worry about food there, it is a practical grocery store if you know where to look. Plenty of food, water and even shelter. The Kumo woman got close to Naruto and smiled at him. It sounds like you have an advantage over the rest of us, I wonder if you would not be willing to have our two teams work together. Naruto was getting a strange smell off her. She smelled just like Kabuto had. I don't think that will be necessary, but thanks for caring. That is a lovely perfume you are wearing by the way. I would never have guessed you to be such a flirt. What would your wife say if I told her about what you said? Sasuke did not like the sound of her laughter, it sounded like an insult, neither did Anko, it reminded her too much of a person she wanted to kill. There is no need to glare, I was just joking. Thank you for the compliment. Naruto stayed to be the last person to leave, it was clear to Sasuke his dad wanted to talk to Anko. Anko, have to keep this brief. The Kumo Kunoichi that was laughing so close to me. She smells of snakes, gets the Anbu ready and sends her to the forest. I think she is Orochimaru in disguise. I will need their backup if we are to finally kill the traitor. Yay, that laugh did remind me of him. Don't worry about Naruto. I will get them to the forest as fast as possible. I will also be your father so he will be ready with the security measures. Get going, don't keep your son and the Banshee waiting. Chapter 13. Sakura was trying again to seduce Sasuke by the time Naruto got to them. Sasuke was very glad to see him arrive, Sakura not so much. Okay, here is what we know, we got the Heaven Scroll, which means we need the Earth Scroll, and we got only a week to find it and make it to the tower. So first thing first we make a base up on the trees where we will be safe from other teams that want our scroll, or just plain kill us. Sakura asked why they would want to kill them if it was not for their scrolls. Sasuke decided to clear her doubts. By killing us they can limit the number of teams that get to advance to the next phase and achieve two things, weaken other villages and secure their chances of becoming. Remember, the proctor said that we had permission to kill our opponents. They will not hesitate in trying to kill us. Why should we? Sakura didn't like the sound of that one bit. She was almost expecting that Naruto would try and kill her. He was one of the people who were most against the idea of her marrying Sasuke, what was worse, he supported the idea for the ice bitch to marry Sasuke. As soon as the camp was set up, they looked at the camp they managed to make on the rather nice and sturdy platform, the tree branches made high off the ground as they crossed and grew close to each other. Well, I have to say this is a nice easy to defend location. I hate to say it, Sakura, but you actually did something good. Like I really care about your opinion, you genetic freak. I only picked it so I may get lucky and you fall to your death. Sakura pretended to appreciate the sentiment. How about we begin looking for a team that has an Earth scroll? Sakura was on roll about smart decisions. Naruto decided to split up and look for team locations and possibly food. Naruto knew that this would make them rather easy targets, and so after they left he summoned over 30 shadow clones, and they left to follow Sakura and Sasuke. He knew that she was going to try and seduce his son as soon as they were far enough away from him. He also knew that he could trust his boy to keep his mind on his objective. Much to the shadow clone's surprise, they did in fact look for teams in different directions. They could not believe that Sakura was actually doing something that was beneficial to the entire group. The second surprise came from a rather mean-looking snake that caught them by surprise. Naruto got some nice bear meat and some fruits and nuts. It was when he made it to camp that he got really dizzy. He has the memory of 15 shadow clones being eaten by a rather large snake. He did not like this one bit, it had the feeling that the snake was the infamous boss of the snake clan. He decided to leave the food in a safe place and run toward Sakura. Well, look who decided to pay me a visit. If it isn't Sasuke Ichida's girlfriend. What do I owe the pleasure of you coming to meet me here? Sakura told him she indeed wished that the comment about being Sasuke's girlfriend was true. I did not study those history and strategy scrolls for nothing. Thanks for sending Manda to take care of the annoying shadow clones, Lord Orochimaru. Kukuku, you actually figured it out by looking at my summon. Nice, very nice indeed. But you also are in my way to getting what I want, and that is not nice or wise. I want the power of the Sharingan, and so far only your love interest has a body of a true Uchiha. I want that power. Sakura began to think of something to get what she wanted and get to use him for her benefit. Here is what I propose, you welcome me and Sasuke into your village. I marry him and have plenty of his kids, you then can possess one of said kids. You could have a much better chance of studying that power and keeping it that way. I do have to admit, that prospect sounds intriguing, but how do I know you will not betray me? Sakura smiled an equally nasty smile at him. I don't give a damn about this village or its people, I only want to be able to marry Sasuke and make him mine. I am willing to swear my loyalty and blood if that is what it takes for you to help me make my dream come true. Such an ambitious and cunning girl should be rewarded for having come up with this in so little time. Orochimaru, still in the Kumo Kunoichi disguise, stretched his neck and sank his fangs on her right breast. The bite mark became an intricate pattern and she felt stronger than she was before. This seal will be your proof of loyalty and my gift of power to you. Take this scroll as my gift to your future husband. Orochimaru threw her the earth scroll that their team needed. Orochimaru may have agreed to the plan made by the Pinkheat, but that did not mean he was about to stop his own plan to try and capture Sasuke. As he jumped towards the location where Sasuke was headed, he also began to plan some serious body modifications on Sakura, even though he found her unattractive and undeveloped. That had to be corrected if he planned to use her as a vessel. Sakura first berated Naruto for sending shadow clones to keep an eye on her, instead of sending them to find a team with the scroll they needed. Second, she berated him for sending so weak clones that a simple forest creature could do away with them, which must mean the original was not so strong after all. Lastly, she told him the same creatures ate a team that had the scroll they needed. It took quite a bit of digging through their guts to get it. Naruto knew better than to believe she killed a bunch of beasts that could kill an entire team of ninja, and she clearly had no idea that he knew it was Manda that killed his clones. He knew that only Kurama could stand on equal ground with that snake. Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence, son, it almost felt like you forgot I was even here. Dad, I really don't have time to chat. Sorry, but I have to try and not kill this backstabbing batch and then rescue my own kid from the grip of an insane pedophile. How about we reschedule the father and son chat for later? Kurama agreed that he should find him fast. He told him said pedophile was trying to do something to his son. Great work, Sakura, but if you will excuse me, I have a meeting to attend. It seems a pasty-faced pedophile is trying to abuse my son. I will listen to your complaints and your self-adulation later. Sakura was left to wonder what the freak was talking about. There was no need to capture Sasuke, once she made him hers, Orochimaru could have the first batch of kids, no need to capture him. Naruto ran towards where Sasuke was, which surprisingly enough was their base camp. Naruto saw something that made him feel very proud. Sasuke was fighting toe-to-toe against Orochimaru. He was so busy he did not even notice the shadow clones throwing kunai at Orochimaru's neck as he tried to give him the seal. If I didn't let Sakura have a go at my boy, what makes you think I would let you give a love bite to my son? Orochimaru began to laugh as he jumped away from Sasuke. So what, my snakes were shadow clones, no wonder they complained about the bad taste of their food. Naruto, you are still young, why not let me have him and you can have another kid with that hot woman that is his mother. I might even let you leave here alive. Naruto was angry, and I mean really angry. He was sending killer intent all over the camp to such a degree the branches were cracking and it was making Orochimaru and even Manda feel fear. You not only want my son, but to give me advice on how I should treat my son, and to top it off you think Mikoto is nothing more than a baby-making machine. I hope those guys from Asia did not want you alive, cause I really want to kill you and the oversized worm you are standing on. His eyes went to full Mangenkyo stage and he looked like he was not kidding around. He went to attack not Orochimaru but looked directly at Manda's eyes and began doing something that looked severe. The black flames around him made him able to feel what was going to happen. The black flames of Amaterasu went his way and Manda slithered away as fast as he could trying to evade the flames. What the hell Manda, we can beat him and Sasuke would be mine. We can beat the punk easily, there is no way he has the Mangekyou Sharingan, it was just a Genjutsu. Manda told him if he was so sure, get off him and do so alone. He had no plans of being roasted alive by those black flames. Well, why in the world did they run away? I was just using the flame to take a better look at him anyways. Sure, I was going to hypnotize him, but the most he has to fear is get sent back to his realm. You alright up there, son, mind giving your dad a hand here? Sasuke helped pull him up to where the camp was still there. Naruto cut off some wood and began cooking the meat he caught earlier. By the time Sakura arrived the food was ready to eat. Finally made it back, Banshee, come on, get over here, dinner is ready. Just don't ask where the meat and vegetables came from. It looks delicious, but it did not before dad cooked it. Sakura took a piece of meat saying that there was no way a guy like Naruto knew how to cook better than her own mother. The meat tasted like the most savory, delicious of meat she ever tasted. Low on fat by the looks of it too. I do help your mom with the housework. It should not be strange that I can cook. I actually cook dinner in our house every other day. Sasuke began to dig into his food and sure enough he did remember eating this recipe before. The three had their fill and each took a branch to sleep on. So mind telling me what are you going to do with the backstabbing Banshee, son? I know you can smell the smell of snakes in that scroll. Naruto looked at Kurama and told him he was not going to do a damn thing except keep his boy and village safe. I will not be the cause for Mikoto to shed a single tear. I have to figure out a way for my eldest to come home. I would not worry about it too much. I heard from my brother and sisters that there is a group probably going to hunt us eventually. If he is part of that group, he will come to you looking for me. He woke up the next morning and it was to an unpleasant sound. The sound of Sakura wanting Sasuke to take her out on a date and Sasuke reminding her he already was spoken for, he was not about to cheat on Haku. For several reasons. First, he would have to deal with the pain of losing someone else he really loved, but worst, he would cause her to cry. I am my father's son. I will not be the cause that makes my beloved cry. Well, good morning to you too, son, I have some news, but that can wait until breakfast. Scrambled eggs, some nice vegetables and some very nice looking fruit squeezed into juice. So as we eat I have to tell you, Sakura found the scroll we needed in the bodies of some beasts. He took the scroll and showed it to him. I personally don't believe her and I don't think this was just luck. But no matter, we got the scroll and we can spend the rest of the next 3 days training in chakra control and physical exercises. Sakura told him he was a fool, that they should go to the tower early and claim their new ranks. Somehow I don't think this is the last phase. I am almost sure we will have to fight each other. Sakura glared at him with a glare that screamed of her calling him a fool. Why is that you feel this way, dad? Naruto looked at each and answered. These exams we've been through so far tested our skills, but the only skill that has not been tested is combat. 1. Information gathering and resolution. 2. Search and destroy, stealth and survival skills. I imagine the next will be weapon usage, taijutsu and ninjutsu. For the last, a big show for the big wigs in the business sector and some members of the nobility. All this to obtain more contracts and increase the potential income for our village. Chapter 14. 3 days of training as they used the natural surroundings to push themselves to be stronger, better and faster. Sasuke seems to actually be enjoying his time doing so. He felt like he was getting some much appreciated time with his father. Sakura, however, felt like he was delaying to try and drive her insane. She had done more physical training in these 3 days than most of the previous week and the surroundings were clearly not to her liking. Sleeping on a tree branch was clearly not what she called comfortable sleeping arrangements. She often complained that her bruises had bruises and that she felt pain in places that she didn't even know could possibly hurt. On the 3rd day she flat out had to ask if he was trying to kill her so that she would leave his supposed son with the ice bitch he was dating. Naruto smiled at her and took a drink of his juice cup. Actually, it is quite the opposite, I am doing this more for your benefit. If you are properly prepared, maybe you will make it through these exams. I am even hoping that you do become, and yes, gain the amorous attention of a young noble somewhere, one rich enough to make you feel more comfortable than I or my family ever could. Sasuke was laughing as he saw her look of sheer disbelief on her face. She was clearly so obsessed with the idea of becoming his wife that she clearly had some sort of tunnel vision. She showed no evidence that she noticed that even Makoto disliked the idea of her marrying her son. They would have continued for a few hours, but the thing was, they were ambushed by the ninja from the new village. They had been given a promise by their cage that if they managed to kill Sasuke, he would give them the rank, regardless of what the results for these exams were. We got 2 faggots and a girl who spends most of her time taking care of her looks. How much trouble could they possibly be, they are a bunch of tree huggers anyways. The guy had no idea what he just stepped into. Naruto could care less if you insulted him, and the Banshee was of even less concern. But the idiot insulted his son, and by doing so he also insulted Makoto, and for those 2 reasons he dropped on all fours and began to transform. His hands and feet became claws, he had 4 tails on him, and his face and head became that of a fox, all covered in black hair that was slowly becoming golden blonde. The first was attacked by one with a few weird tubes coming out of his forearm. He ran fast enough to be seen as a yellow blur. He slammed into him and with a bite through his arm, he threw him hard against a tree, where he was about to rip the idiot's throat. I would not move if you value the pink-haired slut. I will slice her throat if you harm or interfere with us. The girl had no idea who she was threatening, but he pretended to release her teammate and she fell for it as she seemed to relax. That is a good dog, maybe I should give you a treat. Naruto ran towards her next, but with his back legs he did in fact kill the idiot he was biting before. Damn you, I told you I would kill her. She stopped dead on her tracks as she saw the wheel design on his eyes, Sharingan in full view. She found herself nailed to a cross and had barbed wire tied around her torso. The monster before had reverted to a human form, he was wearing red armored ninja gear, it almost made her think of a samurai. If you are going to kill someone, don't waste your time with useless threats. If you are going to kill then kill. But it will not matter to you. Since your time in this world is over. 1,000 shadow clones appeared out of the ground like they had been monsters from a zombie movie. Each had a sword and began to stab her in every painful but non-vital point in her body. When she was crying begging for him to end her pain. That was 5 seconds. We still have 59 minutes and 55 seconds to go. Sakura looked like she was losing her mind, screaming like she was slowly being fed to a wood shredder. Sasuke knew what was going on and he was smiling at what he saw. Dad is just showing her what happens to those that insult our family. You can relax Sakura, the other fool ran straight into another trap we prepared and is dead. Guess he did not expect me to be so good at sealing. He stepped on one of my landmine seals. The large fox slowly got up on 2 legs and was back to looking like Naruto. Boy, this hen sure took a lot of me. I really need to practice more. The foolish Kunoichi from the sound fell to the ground and it looked like she was just an empty husk, there was no sign that she was alive at all and her eyes had a glass-like look to them, but empty of all light. Why did you save me? Sakura asked Naruto as he walked by. You are a teammate and fellow Konoha ninja, I might not agree with your obsessive way of trying to seduce my son, but that does not mean I am going to abandon you. Naruto told the group that they needed to go and reach the tower, he could use a nice long nap after what he went through. The 2 others followed him and Sasuke was a bit worried about him. Dad, you can lean into me, I can give you some support. Naruto smiled at Sasuke and told him that he was doing fine, it was just that he was a bit tired from running so fast. When they got to the tower and entered the scrolls began to emit some gas, Sasuke believed they were explosive tags disguised as the scrolls and threw them both away. Who tells us to get scrolls and never bothers to tell us they are explosive? Well, they did tell us there was a time limit. Sakura told him as she watched him get back expecting the thing to explode. Naruto simply smiled as he saw something in the smoke. That was not a very nice prank for Kakashi. You nearly gave my kid a heart attack. Kakashi smiled as he saw Naruto was not fazed at all. Well, I guess you figured it out then, the meaning behind the scrolls then. Naruto explained that the Earth Scroll was the body and the Heaven Scroll was the mind. It was necessary to have both parts of the seal or they could not teleport him here so quickly. Basic reverse summon seal, nothing to get excited about. So I need to tell you the old snake was in the forest. Anko walked in the room as she heard that. You were supposed to keep him busy so I and a few Anbu could deal with him. Anko was clearly upset about it. It's not my fault you took your sweet time getting there and that his summon ran away from seeing a little fire. We found the remains of the sound ninja by the way. One had his throat slashed and the other was in chunks, but what exactly did you do to the one that looks like she had her soul removed? Naruto did not look bothered at all and he smiled at Anko and Kakashi. I only used Tsukiyomi. It's not like that should be that unusual. Anko was clearly shocked as she heard that. So the little flame was probably Amaterasu, no wonder Manda ran away. Who wouldn't run from something that can burn your soul? So how long till we start the fighting? Do I have time to sleep, take a nice nap, and meet with my wife? Kakashi told him that he actually did have time, as far as Makoto she was already here waiting for him, something about being nervous about him and her son making it through the forest. Naruto left and Sasuke followed him only to ask him, "Dad, why would mom be nervous?" Naruto walked up to his son and rubbed the top of his head with his palm. "Simple son, because she loves us, don't worry too much, you will understand when you and Haku give us a nice grandchild or two." Sasuke was laughing as they finally reached where Makoto was waiting for them. It was one of the designated resting areas for the teams that passed the second phase of the exams. "I see that you took care of our boy, I really was scared that you two would run into someone like Orochimaru out in the forest." Sasuke smiled at her and did something even Naruto wished he had not done. "Oh, sure we ran into Orochimaru, but dad managed to scare this huge snake he was standing on into running away, and he also used a real weird ability to destroy a sound ninja's mind and killed 2 others. So basically your father could not keep himself from trying to butcher some innocent ninja that simply wanted to pass these exams." Naruto was upset after hearing that from his own wife no less. "Innocent? Would you still feel that way if you knew Orochimaru was their cage and he ordered them to kill our boy?" Makoto looked a bit sorry for the way she reacted to what her son said. "Well, as sorry for thinking the wrong thing and jumping to conclusions. Can you ever forgive me?" Naruto kissed her lips and told her forgive what? She was always entitled to her opinion. That is when Makoto saw Sakura trying once again to seduce Sasuke. "Darling, did you have to stop them before they killed the Banshee? I know she is a ninja of Konoha and all, but let's face it, neither you or me would be terribly sad if she did not survive these exams. I know Haku would be jumping from sheer joy if it happens. Which brings me to a good question, what are you doing in this room, Sakura?" Sakura smiled at him and tried to be civil. "This is the designated room for our team, and I am a member of the team. If Sasuke is taking a nap, why shouldn't I do the same thing?" That was the final straw that broke the horse's back. "Yes, you are a part of this team, that is true. But listen to me and listen well. If you move near my son's bed, I swear I will stick you in a place where Ino Yamanaka is madly in love with you and begins to screw your brains out with a dildo a mare would find uncomfortable from the sheer size of it." Ino just happened to be walking outside the room. "I object to that. If you want to make someone say screw the Banshee there, pick someone else. Not only do I even have such bad taste as wanting to sleep with her." Naruto ignored the look of loathing the pink-haired girl was giving both of them. "Who do you suggest then?" "I am not using Tsunade Senju, I am not suicidal, and the same goes for Anko, she would shove a snake so far up my ass, its head would come out of my mouth." "So who do you suggest?" Sasuke had to get in the discussion, "and I don't want her to be Haku, the image alone is making me feel nauseous." Tsume decided to put an end to the discussion and flat out said that she would be happy to volunteer to be the one he used to say. "I know it's not me getting lucky, but it has been years since my last roll in the hay." "Okay, so it's decided that Tsume is screwing your ass off with an extremely large Strapen dildo if you try to get near my son, and you will get it once more from me since I can cast the same on you as my husband. Is that clear, Banshee, or do you need to feel to be able to understand?" "Crystal clear that you two are completely nuts. I will sleep in another room. Thank you very much." As she let Naruto look at Makoto and smiled. "At long last we can spend some time as family, you will be so proud to hear what our boy learned while we were in the forest. This boy of ours sure made me proud." Chapter 15. Kushina had volunteered to look for teams in trouble in the forest of death. The only one she found was a bright red-haired young woman. She had to be saved from the mouth of a hungry bear. The only tragedy was that her teammates did not make it. The bear injured them beyond even what she could heal. It was during their journey to the tower that she found that she was actually the long-lost cousin of Naruto. "So you ended up in Kusagakure, no wonder we lost track of each other. Well, I will not take no for an answer when you are coming home. Son Agakure can complain all they want, but you belong with us here in Konoha. So welcome home. Glad to see you again, auntie, my mom believed you died with the rest of the clan back in our island home." Kushina could not stop smiling, she was no longer the only Uzumaki in the village, and having her niece around was making her really happy. It is good not to be the only Uzumaki in the village anymore. "What about my cousin Naruto? You told me about him. Isn't he in Uzumaki too?" Kushina laughed as she remembered her son. "He is, but then again he isn't. Naruto may have been born in Uzumaki, and trust me, he has our unique chakra, but he married one of my friends from my academy days. He is married to Mikoto Uchiha. Since she is the matriarch of the clan, he became Naruto Uchiha." Karen was initially doing the numbers in her head. "Wait, you mean to tell me my cousin is married to someone your age? A woman who is old enough to be his mother? What was my cousin thinking? Is there a shortage of single young women in Konoha, or does he have a screw loose?" Kushina laughed at how she had reacted. "Naruto received it from me when I was pregnant with him. I was one of the 9 tails before I was pregnant with him. So he used the chakra of Kurama to reduce my friend's life. She is as young and perky as the day she first got married. Trust me, my son married the woman he loved since he was a little boy." Kushina could not help but to keep laughing at the surprised look on her face. which is even compounded by her youngest son, a guy his age accepting him as his new father. My son treats Sasuke as if he was indeed his son and they could not be happier as a family. Any chance I could ask Sasuke out on a date? Kushina and her arrived at the tower when she asked her that. No, I am afraid not, my grandson is very much in love with a local doctor by the name of Hakumamachi. They are practically married, but don't you worry with such a beautiful face. You will find a good man. Naruto woke up bright and early when he heard the verbal tick of his mother near the door to the tower. Mom, would you mind if some of my team are still asleep? How will I be able to sneak off from my morning exercise with you making such a racket? Kushina told him he was way louder than she and his cousin were. Karen had to agree he was. I have no cousins, Mom. I guess you really are hitting the sauce since I am not around. Kushina took hold of him and gave him a hard hit on his head. Don't talk that way to your mother. I did not raise you to be such a brat, Dadabane. She let go of him and pushed Karen in front of him. This is Karen Uzumaki, your long-lost cousin. So at least say hello to your cousin. I can't believe my son would embarrass me like this. Naruto walked over to her and looked at her with his Sharingan active. Are you really my cousin? It was a simple question, and it was answered as quickly as he asked, yes, Naruto, I am. But the real question is, why do your eyes look like that? Yes, you really are my cousin. Naruto gave her a warm hug and she was happy that he believed her but wanted to know how he knew she was telling the truth. You can't tell me that you believe me because you looked at me with your strange eyes. Naruto explained that it was impossible for her to lie to an active Sharingan. I can see if you lie simply by looking at you with my eyes active. Now if you will excuse me, I plan to run a few hundred laps around the tower. It should be a good warm-up. Karen could not believe what her cousin said. The tower looked massive and he was going to run a few hundred times around it as a warm-up. Why not join us for breakfast first? Kushina asked him. He told her not to worry, he would kill something with his shadow clones and cook it. There is no reason to stop his morning warm-up just because he needed to eat breakfast. Karen wanted to go in and eat breakfast, but she had to see it for herself. Naruto was good to his word. He made shadow clones as he ran 4 in total, and they did catch something of a river snake and cooked it. He ate it while he continued running. Karen counted 3,597 complete laps when he finally stopped and it only took him 4 hours. Now that's what I call a good morning warm-up. I am going to beat my opponents in the preliminary fights. What do you mean the preliminary fights, cousin? Aren't the exams over? I thought that this death trap of a forest was the last exam. Naruto laughed and told her there was going to be one more, but since it would take so long for the fights to finish. The village decided to hold a preliminary round to cut down the number of people that would participate on the final exam. Naruto walked over to her and gave her something. It was a strip of cooked meat. Saved you one, cousin. I would eat it, that is some tasty snake meat on it. She did eat it and she did find it rather tasty. I guess if you were part of my team I would not have been so weak from not eating for such a long time. Naruto, why do you train so hard? Naruto smiled at her and sat down next to her. He then looked at the sky and smiled. I have a lot of things to do and they are not that easy. I got a whole bunch to rescue, I got 2 kids I need to see live happy lives, and I want to live for a very long time with my beloved wife. If I want to accomplish all that, slacking is not an option. What is it like being a father to a guy that is just as old as you are? Karen really wanted to know. No different from any other father. I worry about his future, I want to make him feel happy, and I want to be sure he can protect himself and his loved ones. I get angry when someone bullies him and when he does something immoral, and proud when he does the right thing. I am his dad and he is my son. I love him as such and I do everything I can for him. Karen laughed and then smiled. I wonder if I will ever feel like that. Sasuke saw his dad sitting with some red-haired girl he had never met before. Naruto waved to his son to come over. Hey dad, why are you so friendly with Kusa Kunoichi? Don't tell me you are cheating on mom. Naruto grabbed his son in a look and told him to watch what he says without knowing the facts. Alright, I get it, sorry dad. I will watch what I say. But who is she anyway? Karen smiled at him as Naruto let go of him. Who am I? I am your dad's cousin. We have not known each other in our whole lives, so I decided to see what kind of a person my cousin was. So what do you think of my dad? Sasuke just had to ask her opinion. Well, on the one hand he really is a nice guy, on the other he can take things to the extreme sometimes. Did you know he ran around this tower over 3,000 laps before you even came out? Sasuke laughed as he heard Karen say that. Well dad, looks like you took it easy today. What finally decided to stop trying to leave the rest of the world behind? Naruto took hold of him and patted his back. Not at all son, I always give it my best. Just wanted a nice warm up before you finally decided to stop sleeping. Makoto decided to figure out where her husband went and she found him and their son talking with a complete stranger. So here is where you were. Done with your morning exercises? And who is the girl you two have been talking to? Naruto could not help but to think Makoto was a bit jealous. I was getting to know a cousin that I never met before. Funny thing is she lived in Sunagakure her whole life and she just found out she had relatives in this village. Makoto seemed to relax a little. I see, it's nice to meet family, but I think my husband and son are forgetting something. Has anyone seen the Banshee today? I would worry if she decided to do something stupid and ended up causing you two to fail the exams. Honestly, Makoto from now on will be pure individual scores. I might even have to fight my son, so trust me, I am not worried about her doing something stupid. I am worried that I might have to fight our son. All depends on who we get to fight. Makoto knew that the idea of hurting Sasuke was not something he would enjoy. Funny, isn't it, had he fallen in love with another woman he would have gladly beaten Sasuke up and probably glowed about it. But because he fell in love with her, the same idea became something to avoid. He truly wanted to make her feel loved and happy. Makoto walked over to her husband and kissed him passionately on his lips. Naruto enjoyed the kiss he got and even more to kiss her too. You know, I was worried when I woke up and you were not in bed with me. Naruto apologized for worrying her, but he assured her that he was only doing a little warm-up. Be it as it may, did you have any breakfast or do you need me to run and get you something to eat? Sasuke told her that he picked a few fruits in the back of the tower before coming to greet his father. Naruto told her he made some snacks with beef sticks with his shadow clones. Well, at least you two had something to eat, but what I wanted to have for breakfast was running around the tower early in the morning. Maybe next time he will let me wake him as I had planned on doing today. Naruto smiled as he understood the meaning behind her words. Well, after we are done with these exams I will have to work hard to be ready for the next exams. I want to one day catch up to your rank, my love. Maybe then we can start doing missions as a family. That does sound like a plan I can completely get behind. Sasuke asked him if he changed his mind about Itachi. Makoto waited to hear what her beloved had to say about it. I have not, Sasuke, I will find a way for your brother to come home. If only to make my beloved wife happy. Eren secretly wished that someday she would find a man to treat her and think of her happiness as much as her cousin thought about his wife's. It sure seems like Makoto really had found someone that truly loved her and her children. I am truly blessed to have him be with me, but I will not risk losing him so that he can get my son from taking all the blame for something he was tricked into doing. Looks like I will need to train too if I want to get to spend any time with you two. Karen left as the family began to spar in their family's Taijutsu style. Kushina was just inside seated looking at the arena and the big electronic board that would announce the matches. To think that thing will determine who fights who by random. There has to be something wrong in a world where adults bet on who will beat who when the people fighting are not even old enough to drink alcoholic beverages. Eren smiled at her and said, old enough to kill, old enough to be an adult. That is the way I grew up. Karen told her what she saw her cousin do and what his family was doing outside the tower. My son just loves to train with his son and wife. It is because he doesn't want to lose any of them. I would hate to see what would happen if someone truly hurt Sasuke or Makoto. You have never seen my son really angry. Chapter 16. Naruto and his family walked in just in time as the big speech was over, and for some odd reason, Minato was not that happy he actually missed it. As a result, he and Sasuke got placed right in the middle of the group of examinees that made it so far. As I was saying, we need to cut down the number of people participating in the final phase. Some very important people will show up and they simply do not have more than a day to watch the final phase, so each one of you will be selected at random and those that win will go to the final phase. Sasuke, watch out for the guy with the sun on his back. I don't think he is going to be able to hold his bloodlust for much longer. Sasuke looked at Naruto and smiled as if to tell him not to worry. I know, Dad, don't worry so much. I remember all of the things you taught me. Naruto liked to hear his son felt so confident, but deep down, he simply couldn't help worrying about him sometimes, especially since the guy he was looking at was smiling in a way that would make him look like an absolute psychopath. Kurama told him it was his trying to turn him insane so he could break free from his jail. No kidding, Dad, we both know the One Tail is a guy, but this guy keeps saying his mother wants blood. So either the One Tail is pretending to be a woman or our One Tail is also so crazy that he forgot which gender he is. Kurama was leaning towards the fact that he hates being inside him since he did not ever seem appreciated by the people of Suna. They treat him like a weapon to be used and collected when the current dies. No one that is treated as a thing can actually form any sort of positive feelings towards other people. It could so be a side effect of being inside a person who had constant attempts on his life. Trying to find someone to offer comfort or even love, even if that comfort and love is fake. He figured he had to do something to make his life better and doing so would save his kid's life. He could almost see that they would try to pit his son against him. He did not like the idea of Sasuke facing the current instability of the One Tail. He fears me. If you tell him that harming my grandson would anger me, it should be enough to get him to stop. But we need a more permanent solution. Naruto walks along his son to a nearby walkway so that he can watch the fight and continue this conversation with Kurama. How about you absorbing him? He is energetic and you can almost consider it a nice midday snack. If he doesn't have he is no longer that much of a threat and your brother would have a final release from his nightmarish existence. Kurama could not help but to laugh, that is why he fears me in the first place. I told him when we were little that if he ever really made me angry I would eat him whole. If he truly upsets me I will eat him simply to fulfill that old promise. Dad, you've been awfully quiet, is something wrong? Naruto looked at his son and smiled. You mean other than the two women who had a crush on you, the one that can take a hint and the one who can't get the idea through her thick skull knocking each other out when said pinned her opponent with a headbutt. Makoto was happy that he actually was paying attention. But Dad, you have to admit it was pretty funny. Naruto was not laughing. You mean pretty embarrassing, especially since we got foreign ninja watching this. Thank God this did not happen in the final phase. The amount of work our village would lose if the nobility and the business owners saw this would be enough to make the heads on the Hokage monument want to cry. Several of the ninja that hear him could not help but to nod their heads in agreement. The board displayed the next fight. Naruto Uchiha vs Neji Hyuga. Neji looked like he just won the lottery as he walked towards the arena on the ground floor. Naruto just jumped off the walkway and landed on the arena floor like nothing was wrong. It is your fate to lose to me, you cannot escape your fate. Neji had no clue who he was messing with. Naruto looked at him and smiled a rather scary smile. You keep saying that, Neji, but many believed my fate was to die alone. But I have a loving wife and a loving family. Hey Proctor, can we get this started so I can teach this fool a lesson? With a great deal of coughing he agreed the fight was called to start. Neji rushed him and as he was about to give his little speech on how he was in his field of divination. Naruto opened his eyes to reveal Magenkyu Sharingan on both eyes. The entire crowd hears him call one of the most powerful abilities of his clan. Tsukiyomi. Inside his mind he found himself crucified. You can try to break free from Neji, but here I rule that everything in time and space is at my command. I know you plan to kill Hinata in your fight with her. Sorry, but that is not happening on my watch. You are done trying to hurt your cousin. Neji gave him a look of pure hate. You don't scare me, I will have my vengeance for the death of my father. If that useless whore had been killed when she was kidnapped by Kumo, my father would still be alive and I would not have this wretched seal on my body. My hell is her doing and so I am going to kill her and send her to her own hell so she suffers like I have for all eternity. 1,000 sword-wielding Narutos appeared to come out of the ground. They all stab him in the most painful but not fatal places on his body. He feels as if 1,000 swords had hit him. Patience Neji, that was 5 seconds. We still got 5 minutes and 55 seconds to go. In the span of 6 minutes the crowd heard him scream like he was put through a wood chipper and then put together and put through it again and again. This is the reason why you should never make your father angry with Sasuke. Not even I have the mastery of what he has. The fight was over and Naruto was declared the winner. Neji would be in a coma for the remainder of the exams. The medics did say his life was not in danger. Hiashi decides to have a conversation with Naruto. He did not look happy at all. He walked with quite a bit of anger shown in his body language. Naruto, would you mind telling me why you decided to put my nephew in a coma? Naruto did not answer, instead he held his hand out as soon as he touched his forehead. A fellow Uchiha appeared and handed him a scroll and left after bowing. Naruto handed the scroll to Hiashi. He planned to murder your daughter during the finals as a form of revenge against her from the death of your brother caused by the kidnap attempt on her. Even though he is a branch family member, I know you still care for your nephew. So I decided to stop him and not outright kill him. I would not let an innocent girl die because of something I could prevent. I hope you can talk some sense to him and get him some mental help. Hiashi had not expected this kindness from him at all. I am the head of my clan, as such I must do everything I can to restore the respect and honor of my clan. Your daughter is simply too kind-hearted to show you what she is capable of. You wish to see her fight, pit her against someone that he does not love as much as her own little sister. It will be quite the eye-opening event. Hiashi left not as angry and smiled. I will take your advice under consideration, thank you for what you have done and prove that the Uchiha are still good friends to my clan. Should you require aid you need only ask. Hiashi left and Makoto was very proud of her husband. He was slowly building bridges with the other clans. Something Fugaku would have never done. The next fight was between Gaara and Rock Lee, most expected Lee to get his stuffing knocked out of him, but he was actually doing a good job beating through Gaara's defenses. He simply was so quick the sand had very little time to react to him. It was pure taijutsu at its finest. The match came to an end when Lee managed to break through Gaara's most hidden defense. The guy was wearing armor made of sand on his entire body, no wonder he had supposedly done so many missions without ever sustaining an injury. When he saw this he looked at Guy and he nodded his head. With the permission of Guy he took off some belts from his body. Most did not expect what happened next. The belts hit the arena floor and made a big hole on the floor on the impact of the belts being dropped on it. Lee cannot use ninjutsu, jinjutsu, or any form of chakra powered. I told him he would have to give up his dream of ever becoming a ninja. But instead of giving up, he became one of the best at taijutsu. He became a ninja through pure physical work. Now he is no longer wearing his chakra weights. It is time, Lee, to show these people the flames of youth inside you. Gaara was not expecting this at all. He was not only faster but stronger now that he did not have those weights holding him back. It took a matter of seconds before Lee busted right through the sand armor and caused him to be injured. To this point he was only going on and on about how his mother hungered for his opponent's blood, but now he was screaming about someone making him bleed. Naruto knew this was not going to be good. Shukaku would not waste a chance to push the kid into a complete psycho blood rage, and it was easy for Naruto to recognize this, as his eyes could clearly see Shukaku releasing more and more of his own chakra through him. Gaara spread his sand around him, and the second he felt Lee stepped on it, the entire sand on the floor came to wrap itself around him and make it impossible for Lee to move. You made me bleed my own blood, I guess I should do the same for you. But I will not stop with a little bit like you, I will squeeze you dry like a lemon. The proctor declared Gaara the winner and he told him to stop, but he was not showing any signs of him stopping at all. Naruto decided to jump down and looked at him. Let him go, or suffer my wrath. I will go in there and drag you out kicking and screaming. Make no mistake, Raccoon, I am a nine-tailed fox. You do not want me to be angry, brother one. Gaara saw the way the Magenkyo Sharingan was active in both his eyes and he did not look like he was kidding. Very well, brother 9, I will let the speedy one go, but I want a better fight than I had with him during the finals. I am so bored fighting these supposedly normal humans. The rest of the fights were not as bloody or as insane as the previous ones. It was a simple no-hold bar, obeying the proctor decision of civilized fights. The preliminary fights were over for the day and they were allowed to rest for the night. Mikoto and Sasuke wondered why he went through such an effort in saving that particular student of might guy. That would really help me to understand why father did you save not only Hinata from a possible murder attempt, got Neji some much needed therapy, and even saved Lee from the one-tail. Naruto looked at his son and then his wife. Because by doing so your father is trying to make our clan more involved with the village and stop our harmful isolationist mentality. We are part of this village, Sasuke, we need to care about the lives of our fellow Leaf Ninja. Trust me that doing so will create a more trusting attitude and relations with the other clans in this village, and in the long run it could even come to save your life one day. As the family woke up the next day, it turned out the final was going to be a fight between Naruto and Temari. Mikoto looked a bit worried for several reasons. First, she was the sister of the very one who he just treated. Second, she was actually rather cute, which worried her that she might try to seduce her husband if only to win, and last, that her husband would take it easy on her since her brother held within him a. Sasuke saw the look of jealousy and told her that she did not have anything to fear. Come on mom, do you think someone as honorable as dad would ever cheat on you? It is simply silly to even think about it. The fight started and Temari was clearly upset about the way he threatened her brother. She sent a series of winds, which he avoided when she was catching her breath. He used a shadow clone to make a dozen clones and each threw a dozen shuriken and kunai her way. Most felt like this was foolish because she could send them all back to Naruto, which is exactly what she tried to do, and with a flash he disappeared and knocked her out by punching her from a dozen places as he flashed from one place to another and each time he punched her hard. The proctor was forced to call him a winner, if only so that he did not continue to beat her. Chapter 17. In the end there were only 10 people left to participate in the finals. Naruto walked over to Mikoto and seeing that she was a little distracted, he kissed her on her lips and she became aware of this as she was feeling his lips on hers. It was a loving, tender kiss that slowly became a passionate embrace. The other Kunoichi even began to blush as they saw him kiss her and she was clearly enjoying it. Does that mean that you made a decision about our little family, Naruto? He smiled at her and told her that maybe he just wanted to show her she had nothing to worry about. You are the love of my life, you do not need to worry about anything. I will do my best so that we can always be together. Am I that easy to figure out? When did you learn I was secretly worried that the Sand Kunoichi was going to try to seduce you to win the fight? Naruto held her in his arms and kissed her behind the ear. Did you know that your Sharingan becomes active when you are jealous? It starts doing something really weird, the Tomo begins to spin in the opposite direction they normally would. She laughed as she remembered how she saw her mother's eyes do that when she found her father was looking at a neighbor bathing in a rooftop bath. I guess I inherited that from my mother then. But please Naruto, don't risk your life for this. I want to be with you forever and I would be so sad if you died during the exams and any time after. Naruto kissed her cheek and whispered in her ear that he too wished to spend more time with her. I know that I probably say it too many times, but you are the reason for me to wake up each day and try my best for the clan. I promise Mikoto, one day our eldest boy will come back home. I would do almost anything just to make you happy." The family left through the forest and had quite a lovely time getting home. It was rather fun seeing their son beat some beasts and watching in case he needed help. Mikoto was also happy to see that even though Naruto was not Sasuke's biological father, he still showed that he indeed cared for him more than Fugaku ever did. They made it home, and Sakura was waiting for them wearing a pink blouse and matching dress. Naruto had to admit the look was nice, clean and very proper. It was the person inside the clothes that he did not like. He walked up to her before Sasuke even said hello. "Banshee, read my lips. My boy Sasuke is in a very nice relationship with Haku, and I will never accept or permit him to date, much less marry you." Sakura tried to calm down and looked at him with a cold glare that even he found surprising. "When he becomes he will be considered an adult, and if he wants to marry me instead of the ice bitch, then he will marry me, and your opinion will not matter." Naruto decided to tell the Banshee off again. "Even if he is considered an adult, I am the head of his clan, and all marriage proposals in this family must be approved by me and Mikoto, not to mention we would discuss it with the Uchiha clan council. If somehow it made it through all that I have told the Hokage in no uncertain terms the minute you marry him, I will kill you, and me and my family will leave Konoha for good. Trust me Banshee, the Hokage will need to lose my clan or me. Especially with how much easier I am making his life." Sakura had to admit that he did have a point, and with the approval of the others in the clan, if he decided to leave Kumo and Iwa would welcome the Uchiha clan with open arms. She saw that Sasuke was not even looking at her. She left feeling angry but faking some tears as she walked past Mikoto, who decided to trip her and make her fall flat on her face. "You are not going to manipulate me with crocodile tears, Banshee. My husband and I both do not approve of you being in any sort of relationship with my boy." As the family entered their home, Naruto smiled at his wife. "So now we need to figure out how we are going to train for this month. I initially figured that Sasuke and I could train together." Sasuke was the first to say that would be a bad idea. "Sorry dad, but let's face facts here. You might end up fighting me in the final match. I need to develop my skills separately if I am to have any chance against you." Naruto smiled at him. "Fine, I guess I will have to find someone to train within." Sasuke mentioned that maybe he should consider training with Kakashi. "As much as I would like to son, I don't think that is wise. I think you would be better off training with him." Naruto kissed his beloved wife and told them he needed to think and relax. She suggested we visit the local public bathhouse. "If anything I can try to keep a certain pervert from trying to do as he calls it research." Mikoto could not help but to laugh as she realized what he really was up to. "So mother, mind telling me why is dad taking these exams so seriously? He is already head of a noble clan, what more could he want? To do what no other clan head has ever achieved, to gain true allies for our clan, and to make this village safe for the people he cares about. You must know by now that your father tends to think a few years ahead when he plans things. But let's talk about something else. How is your relationship with Haku doing these days? Can I expect a grandchild anywhere in my future?" Sasuke began to laugh as his mother said that. "We are doing just fine, thank you very much. I think I would rather be and marry Haku first, rather than have her father chase me around the village because I knocked up his daughter while not doing the decent thing and married her first." Naruto smiled as he heard his son's words. In truth, he also wanted to see him settle down and have at least a pair of kids. The way the Banshee was trying to seduce him was disturbing to say the least. It truly seemed like she had no reservations about the different ways she would try and achieve her goal. Sakura was walking her way home, and she looked mad enough to kick a baby to death, skinned the poor kid, and made a belt out of the skin. Naruto has no right to decide who Sasuke dates, he is a no-clan loser, and Mikoto is only listening to his words out of pity. She truly believed those words, and what was worse, she did not see how wrong she was. The plan was actually quite simple. Have Sasuke fall madly in love with her, this would allow her to have his children, and thus the Tsukumo family would be recognized as a noble clan. This was all to make their family recognized as a noble clan and be able to have a seat on the ninja council. If she managed to do that, she would have a way to obtain some real power within the village. Her mad plan went further after she received the cursed seal. She began imagining controlling her then husband behind the scenes when Sasuke became Hokage. The wife of the Hokage would be able to manipulate her husband's opinions on so many topics that it would almost make her queen of the Fire Nation. She reached home as she pictured herself seated on a throne and forcing Naruto to worship her and kiss the ground she walked on. She smiled as the pictures of the humiliation she imagined for Naruto grew darker and more disturbing. Her own mother welcomed her home and asked her how she planned to train for the next phase of the exams. Sakura could not tell her mother that both her and Ino were disqualified since they both knocked each other out during the preliminaries. The very idea of a mutual disqualification would have made her mother scream at her for days about everything between her embarrassing the family and how glad she was that she was not there to witness such a disgraceful performance. Sakura had enough on her plate with Naruto and especially Mikoto undermining every single attempt at seducing Sasuke. She felt that maybe the only chance she would ever have if Orochimaru attacked the village and caused Haku to die during the attack. The chances of Orochimaru attacking were good, but he would never do it without the backup of another village or a couple of them. When she started to really think about it, she could name 2 villages who would love to destroy Konoha. They were Iwa and Kumo. Ever since the last great shinobi war, these 2 villages seemed to always holding a grudge against Konoha from the severe beating their village gave both of their villages during the war. Naruto also realized he needed to do something about his wife, not wanting her to feel neglected. He decided to go back to the Forest of Death and picked up a few choice ingredients. He felt that he needed to make sure his beloved knew that he loved her so much that sometimes he simply wanted to show her with these romantic gestures. He made dinner that night and the entire family was surprised by the feast he managed to make. Each dish was made with care and understanding. The entire meal was tasty, nutritious and healthy. Mikoto was amazed at how much thought he had placed on every single ingredient and how it was cooked. "Naruto, why did you make dinner? You know I can do that for us all. With you so tired from those fights, I would think you would take it easy today to recover." Naruto simply smiled and looked at her, a look that made her blush. "I simply felt the need to show you how much I love you with something more than just words. I do hope you find the food to your liking." Sasuke just had to ask where he found the ingredients for their meal. There is no way this came from a grocery store. The closest one was already closed when we got home. "So where did you get the things for this meal?" Naruto smiled at his boy. "I just went to a not so popular grocery store that is alright. You would be amazed how many things can be ingredients in the Forest of Death. I got all the ingredients for this meal there." Sasuke could not believe he found everything in that death trap of a forest. "I guess that you did quite a bit of hunting and gathering, then Naruto. Here I was hoping that we might have some fun tonight." Mikoto was quite clear about what she was referring to, and Naruto smiled again, and she knew that even with all the hunting and gathering, she was going to get her wish. "Mom, would you mind not talking about that while we eat dinner?" Naruto and Mikoto could not help laughing as they heard Sasuke say that. "Could you please try and think that maybe you are doing the same thing sometime in the future and you want your own son talking to you like you just did to us." This made Sasuke realize that it could happen, and so he stopped complaining at seeing his parents act all ovey-dovey with each other. "Not anywhere in the near future by the sound of it." Mikoto looked at Naruto as he said that. "Well, enough about our future grandkids. Have you decided what you are going to do about your month of training?" "I think our boy will be training with Kakashi, and what do you plan to do with my love?" Naruto smiled at her and gave her a very suggestive look. "Oh, I would not worry too much about my beloved wife. I am going to be very busy with you, and Dad told me he was going to train me to control my chakra and elements better. I might even reach the 5 tails stage of control and finally learn and master my last elements to be a full 9 tails myself." Sasuke looked scared when he said that he could become even stronger. "Why so serious, son?" Sasuke tried his best to smile. "Dad, I haven't seen you fight at full strength yet and now you are telling us you might even grow several tails stronger than you are. Who wouldn't be scared? I have to fight you during the final phase, you know." Naruto got up and walked over to him and gave him a big hug. "You see, they more than likely will be thinking of your decision-making skills when you fight during that phase of the exams. It has to think about the hard decisions of possibly leading a team of genin or even responsible for a class while teaching at the academy. I will not harm you too badly, I will simply show them what I am capable of." Chapter 18. As Naruto concentrated on his own training, he felt that someone was watching him. It came to no surprise that the one watching him was none other than Kakashi Hatake. He kept doing what he was doing, meditating while his shadow clones did the same. Kakashi found it rather odd to see Naruto and 100 shadow clones just sitting there meditating. He decided to be more active and walked up to Naruto. "Naruto, would you mind answering a few questions? Your clones seem to be able to continue your current training without you." Naruto did not like to do it, but he had no reason to deny his request. He walked far enough from the group of shadow clones so that they could talk and it would not disturb them. "First thing I want to know is why are you meditating here in a public park?" Naruto told him that he was working on his chakra control and was using chakra to improve his senses. Currently he was improving his hearing and trying to listen to a single leaf drop. Naruto told him that he planned to use the technique for many things: detection, information gathering, and even assassination missions if need be. "I do see how the chakra flow technique could be useful for both training and out in the field. My teacher showed me a skill he developed when I was in my genin team, similar to what he said and called it chakra flow." Second question is in regards to Sakura Haruno. "Why do you always seem to hate the poor girl? She is just a young woman in love with Sasuke. I don't see why you should get involved with their relationship at all. She wants to use him as a stepping stone so that her family gains power." As to why I hate her, how would you feel if a person tried to use your son to fulfill their selfish desires without even considering your son's happiness? Would you not hate this person? I know Sasuke was the biological son of Fugaku. Naruto looked at the man with a smile on his face and continued. But he is also the son of Mikoto, and I love Mikoto with every fiber of my being. Since he is her child, I love him and Itachi as if they were indeed my children. I interfere in what Sakura is trying to do because as any father I want my son to be happy and be with a woman that truly loves him. These words made him realize that Naruto indeed felt a great deal of paternal love for Sasuke. He also made him realize he was not a child at all. He might be a genius at present, but he was showing planning and forethought that was equal to that of a last question. Naruto, why is the one tail in the village, and why didn't you say anything to your father? Naruto smiled and told him he did not need to say anything without proof. He told Kakashi that either he was in the village to try and destroy the village as a part of a mission, to try to weaken the village by killing the next generation of, or he really was there for the exams. Without proof he could not act. If he killed him without actual proof it could lead to a major incident between Konoha and Suna, and thus he needed proof, or to wait for him to act. Since your son is going to participate in the final phase, one think you will take it easy on him. Naruto looked a bit upset after he heard him say that. My wife will be sure he is properly trained, and no, I do not plan to take it easy on him. It would be an insult to our clan and him for me not to try my very best. The only thing I will not do is kill him. I will however incapacitate him as quickly as I can. Kakashi saw that he was not kidding. So what are your plans after you make Chunin? Naruto looked at him and looked at his clones. I need to have an official ceremony and not just be married through a piece of paper. I plan to take the exams and possibly take a squad. I also need to see what my eldest son has been up to and if possible bring him home. Kakashi could almost see that he indeed had a very thoroughly thought out plan. Naruto Itachi is considered the enemy of this village. What would you do if he is indeed guilty of the crimes he is accused of? Your clan law states if that is the case he must be killed and his eyes removed. Naruto looked at him and looked up to the sky. That will not happen. I know that Itachi would never betray the clan, the village or Mikoto. I will find out the truth, and when I do and find the one using my boy as a scapegoat, I will expose him and make him feel the full consequences of using my son that way. Kakashi saw the clones disappear one after the other and knew that Naruto was going to go somewhere else to train. Say Naruto, have you signed any summon contracts? I can tell you having a summons is rather useful, I might even let you sign my dog contract if you want to sign it. Naruto smiled and told him he already signed one, and it was a very special one. It was the Biju contract. He could only summon the Biju he had obtained permission from so far, only the Nine Tails Kurama had actually given his approval. He would need to meet with the other Biju and gain their approval. That was when he remembered that Gaara was going to be in the final exam, and knowing that he made a goal, that by the end of the exams he would do two things, speak with the one-tailed and fix the poorly done seal. The lack of sleep was causing the guy to shorten his lifespan and Jim grip on his sanity. The month went by rather quickly and for some reason Sakura had taken to speaking with Kabuto. He knew the reason, but he knew that Sakura was up to something and he would not allow her to harm Sasuke. The good news was that she was disqualified from participating in the final phase. That was good because if they passed the final phase she would still be genuine and thus she would be placed in another team. Sasuke could practically taste the sweet taste of a team Banshee free. Naruto told his son not to say that or he might end up jinxing their chance of being free of the pink-haired pest. Mikoto did as her beloved husband asked and prepared Sasuke as best as she could with the help of Kakashi, teaching him how to control and manipulate the lightning element. The village was getting more and more important dignitaries, important business people and several members of nobility. The other was the presence of the cage of the visiting villages, mostly Kumo, Iwa and Suna. The Kazekage was actually paying most of his attention to Sasuke and not his son. This made Naruto look at the man with a great deal of suspicion. Normally a father would pay attention to his son, especially when said son managed to reach the final phase, while so many others did not. The Hokage decided to begin his explanation of the final phase. He told them that no matter how much they all wanted peace as of yet eternal peace was not something that the living could achieve. He told them that the final phase was in a sense a miniature world war and that the villages that sent their gen into these exams were indeed fighting for the honor and prestige of their home village. He also began to tell them the rules of the tournament. The Kazekage looked almost bored to tears as the Hokage finished his speech. Did you really have to explain something so obvious to Hokage? I for one would have preferred that the fighting started already. The cages of Kumo and Iwa both agreed that this was supposed to be a war as he said, and no one won a war where ninja fought by giving long-winded speeches. The fighting was a true display of the abilities of several fighters, Kankura using his puppet to entrap his opponent in such a way that the only means of victory would result in his death was a good example. Tamari using her fan to literally blow her opponent off the arena and into the spectator side of the area was another. Sasuke using the intercept style to beat Lee into submission, and Naruto knocking out his opponent by using several shadow clones to cause an explosion that sacked all the air around his opponent. The major fight that proved to be the most shocking was Gaara having to be stopped by several from killing his opponent for doing something simple like smiling. Naruto knew that he indeed needed to repair that seal and do so in a hurry. This was not a good indication on the mental health of the young man, not a good indication at all. The only time the Anbu stopped a fight was when Naruto fought Kiba. The fool tried to make him embarrassed or simply insult him. He told the entire stadium that after he became Chunin, he would pay Mikoto a visit and show her what a real man plowed a bitch. This did not have the intended effect of distracting him. Instead he upset Naruto so much that his focus became as sharp as a katana's edge. Kiba used a clan Fang over Fang, and he would have hit him if not at the instance he called the attack. Naruto using his shadow clones hit him with a 150 hit combo attack from all directions. Kiba looked like he was in the middle of a tornado. This assured that Naruto and Gaara would face off in the finals and thus made the One-Tail smile. Well, it seems Brother 9 did keep his word, how delightful. I can almost taste his blood, mother. I am sure it will prove my existence. Naruto and Gaara were about to face off when he was attacked by the sand that had been spilling from the gourd on his back. This was exactly like in his previous matches. He let the sand weaken his opponent if not outright defeat his opponent. He did the only thing. He was placed in what he called his sand coffin. There was only one thing he could do, and so much to his unhappiness he did it. He opened his eyes and with the Sharingan on both his eyes he felt all his anger, all his hate and all his bitterness take the form of a black flame that baked the sand to a crystal-like finish. He did see the look on Gaara's and spectators' faces. The Kazekage was the most surprised by the looks of it. He punched through the now glass coffin and it broke all around him. So you really did keep your word after all, Brother 9. Let me show you, mother, she is just as anxious of tasting your blood as I am. As Gaara said that he caused himself to fall asleep. This made the sand around him to pile on him till he was the human-sized version of the One-Tail. This was the signal for the Sound and their allies to attack. Iwa, Suna and the Sound Ninja came out of hiding among the expectations and began attacking the ninja of Konoha, who just managed to break through an illusion. Orochimaru was still pretending to be the Kazekage and was coming closer to Minato pretending to go to help the man. When he reached him he blocked a fatal strike from the very same man. So tell me, Orochimaru, did you enjoy these exams or was it simply too boring for you? Orochimaru, knowing his identity was discovered, took off his disguise. I always said that you would make a fine circus clown, Minato. These exams prove how right I was. They are a joke at best and an insult to Konohagakure at worst. You should have known that I would try to get revenge on you and this village for denying me the right to be the Hokage. Instead they named you someone who didn't do half as much to earn the title and position like I did. My research could have made Konoha into a force of unification. All the elemental nations would be part of Konoha and the world would know peace. Minato glared at him and spit some blood on the floor he was standing on. You mean I did not let you make Konoha ninjas your puppets to further your goal of achieving eternal youth and for you to use the lives you were supposed to protect to conquer the world so that you be the eternal emperor of all the world? Orochimaru signaled his men to complete the barrier to prevent him from escaping. Semantics, those are all semantics. As the eternal emperor of the world I would give the people of this world peace and with me lasting forever, no wars would even be fought to gain my throne. See Minato, you are as blind as my old monkey teacher. Speaking of which, why isn't Hiruzen Sarutobi present? I was hoping to kill him too. Minato took a kunai from his pocket and threw it against the floor that was covered with the barrier that surrounded them. It is useless, Minato, you will not be using your technique to escape. The kunai exploded into grey smoke. Who said I was not present during the final phase of my student? I was watching the entire thing from my successor's pocket all along. Hiruzen Sarutobi tried to kill him by trying to strike him with his staff. Orochimaru evaded and began laughing like the maniac he always was. So Minato brought allies with him to our little fight. I think I should do the same. Orochimaru performed the impure resurrection and 2 coffins appeared. As soon as the lids fell open they saw 2 mummified bodies and Orochimaru stabbed them behind their backs at a place that was hard for the person stabbed to reach. The bandages fell to reveal the resurrected first and second Hokage. I think my allies are better than your old monkey ally Minato. Let's see how the third Hokage measures up against the first and second Hokages. Chapter 19. Hiruzen took this opportunity to ask him why he betrayed the Uzumaki clan. It did not make any sense why they would. He told the first Hokage it made no sense since he actually was married to Mito Uzumaki. The first told him he did it to make Konoha be able to defend itself. Without it and the Uzumaki sealing techniques. The village was considered one of the weakest villages around. The very sealing techniques they later used for their security measures had actually come from scrolls stolen from the Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan was asked to share their knowledge of sealing, but their cage refused completely to allow anyone outside the clan to learn their sealing techniques. He forbade even those who were married to his daughter. I was forever filled with regret for what I had to do in Hiruzen. Killing and destroying all those Uzumaki and destroying the village hidden in the whirlpool was a thing I regretted to my final breath. But a Hokage must do what he must to ensure the prosperity and survival of his village, even if it is something he would suffer guilt for his entire life. Arunzen Sarutobi destroyed the resurrected form of his mentor and his mentor's brother. It was probably even more painful to him than anyone else. He knew that in the end he would have done the same, and so as he eliminated the second Hokage, he saw Minato almost be stabbed by a sword that came out of Orochimaru's mouth. He pushed Minato out of the way, but the sword did injure his arm. With the blood of his wounded arm he summoned the Shinigami, and he tried to seal Orochimaru's soul inside the stomach of the Soul Reaper. He did not manage to, instead he only managed to seal both his arms. Minato fell unconscious as Mikoto, Kushina and Anko took care of the people holding them inside the barrier. Seeing that he had no chance of victory without being able to do a single, he tried to run away. He did manage to make it to the exit of the village, but he saw several Jounin looking for him. That was when he heard a cry of a woman sounding like she was begging for help for herself and her child. The Jounin guarding the exit took off to help the crying woman. Sakura appeared next to him and helped him walk. So that distraction was your doing. Why would you do that, Sakura? Sakura looked at him and smiled. Because you promised that you would help me obtain my desire, Sasuke-cha. The two left and later would be met by Kabuto, who was quite glad his master was safe. Sakura was declared a traitor to the village, and her mother and father committed suicide out of sheer shame for their daughter's actions. Naruto was seen running towards the eastern side of the forest that surrounds the village. He was chasing a human-shaped tail. Using the many things he learned from his father's personal library, he managed to bet the one-tailed into submission. Having the upper hand, he touched the seal and entered Gaara's mind. Shikaku, why do you torment like you do? You do realize that if he dies you will die as well. The one-tailed raccoon looked at him, and he was looking rather angry. You can't know what my life has been like. You don't get used as a thing and have your feelings, wishes and dreams ignored. I know that by killing him I would also die, but the thing is I would rather die than to spend one more year being treated as a thing. Naruto walked over to Gaara, and he helped him get out of the mound of sand that he was buried under. Come on Gaara, give me a hand here. Digging sure made me feel tired. Gaara looked at him and asked him why he was helping him. He did try to destroy the village he called home after all. I tried to destroy your home, Naruto, so why are you helping me? It makes no sense. It would be easier to simply kill me. I am sure they would give you a hero's welcome if you did. Naruto helped him walk towards Shikaku. Sometimes the easy path is not the right path. Don't you worry, I will fix that lousy seal of yours and you will be able to sleep and dream for once in your life. But first I need you two to understand something. He placed him right next to each other and he looked at both of them. You have an opportunity to live a much happier life. He is not at fault for you being treated as a weapon. The village also did that to him too. Gaara, you wish to prove your existence. Stop taking the easy way out and prove it with your deeds and not by simply large body count. If you accept Shikaku, he can help you do that. Shikaku looked angry and asked why he should help him at all. Life is better with people you care about, Shikaku. You say that you hate being treated as a thing, but you are doing it to him. As friends you two could make your lives 1,000 times better than you being like you are. You will only know your true strength till you find someone or something that you can protect even at the risk of losing your life. Shikaku finally saw that he was doing the exact same thing he hated others doing on him. He asked Gaara to forgive him, and Gaara did the same. The two were grateful to Naruto for finally allowing them to see what was so obvious, but they needed his help to see it. Shikaku, as a show of friendship, gave him his approval and would answer his summons if he needed him. The seal was a complete amateur job. It took Naruto a few hours and the help of Kurama to repair and upgrade the seal to allow the two of them to live together in peace. The Anbu showed up as he was helping Gaara walk towards the village. When he made it back he saw the damage the failed invasion had caused. Rock Lee pushed himself beyond what he normally would and caused himself to have quite a list of broken bones. Several Anbu died when several large snakes devoured them whole, but those snakes also died when the Anbu injected themselves with a cyanide-based poison. The village had several dozen destroyed or damaged buildings. The places that were hit most were the residential sector for some reason. The business was largely left intact. Mikoto ran towards Naruto and hugged. It was clear to him she had been worried about him. It is alright, I am fine, Mikoto, how is our son? Mikoto calmed down as she heard him say that. Sasuke is just exhausted after saving the kids of the academy by himself. I know you will be proud when he tells you how he managed to defend those kids. Gaara was taken to a hospital and his brother and sister were scared as he was given a sedative. Gaara had his first good night's sleep in such a long time. He remembered that he could talk with Shikaku when he slept and they chatted about each other as he slept. The funeral of the third Hokage and those ninjas that died protecting Konoha was truly a sad event. Hiruzen Sarutobi was a very much loved and respected Hokage, and now that he died saving the life of their current Hokage. He was added to the village history books as a true hero. Minato ended up losing his left arm because of the damage caused by the sword Orochimaru used. He had to have his arm cut off since the blade was coated with a weird venom that was causing his arm to rot, and they had to cut off his arm to stop the rot from spreading to the rest of his body. It was then that Minato realized that he needed to step down from being Hokage and spend the remaining years of his life with Kushina and Naruto. He had been so focused on doing his best that he forgot why he was trying to do his best in the first place. He decided that he needed a person who has valued the lives of others and knew the loss of a loved one. The next morning Minato sent a letter and a vest to those that actually would have passed the exams if Orochimaru did not do what he did. The only one he didn't send one to was Naruto because he wanted to tell him personally. Mikoto and Naruto were both called to his office. When they both arrived they both saw that Jiraiya was talking with Minato about something rather important. When Minato saw the both walk towards his desk the first thing he did is toss Naruto a vest and told him that he passed the exams. Mikoto was so happy to hear that she kissed Naruto right in front of the two men. Well, now that is taken care of, I have another thing to say to you three. I have decided to step down from being Hokage. Now before you ask if I am crazy you should know that with one arm like I am, I will not be able to do the duties of a Hokage. I chose someone that if she accepts she will be able to heal all our wounds. I chose Tsunade Senju as the next Hokage. Jiraiya looked at his student and laughed. Good luck with that, Minato, you seem to forget the woman left the village after the deaths of her lover and brother. She is a wandering gambling drunken wreck. Even I would have a tough time convincing her of coming back here, and that is if I can find her at all. Which is why I called for Naruto and Mikoto. I am giving you three an S-class mission. Should you succeed I am planning to give Naruto a field promotion for managing something you could not, Jiraiya. The three left the office and asked why should Naruto succeed where he had failed till now. Mikoto looked at him with a glare and told him it was because Naruto and Tsunade were relatives, distant cousins but still family. As the three went from settlement after settlement, they did not notice that two men wearing black robes with red clouds were following them. In the town they decided to rest for the night when they finally heard a good bit of news. In the next town over they were going to hold a poker tournament, the winner would make a fortune. Itachi and Kisame sneaked into the hotel as they saw Jiraiya going towards the local brothel. Having passed the exams Mikoto and Naruto decided to throw caution to the wind and do some rather enjoyable aerobic exercise. They made love like there was no tomorrow. Itachi, are you sure the Nine Tails is alone in his room, cause it sure does not sound like it. It sounds like he is having fun with some women because of the amount of noise they are making. Itachi looked at him and asked him if there could possibly be a woman that was so degenerate to sleep with a kid like Naruto. He kicked in the door and that was when Itachi was hit by two realizations. The first being that Naruto indeed was with a woman and the second that the woman was none other than his mother. In a rage he marched to their bed and screamed. Naruto, what are you doing to my mother? Mother, why are you sleeping with a kid that is young enough to be your kid? Naruto was not too happy to see his son walking into their room and forgot his manners. Well, Itachi, it turns out that I am also angry that my eldest son forgot his manners. You should knock on a door, ask permission to enter and wait outside to hear if you have permission to enter. Not enter the room like you are some mad bull on a stampede. Itachi could not believe what their supposed target said to them. Why did you call me your eldest son, Naruto? As far as I remember my father was Fugaku Uchiha. Mikoto took this opportunity to use the bedsheet to wrap it around herself and wear it like a toga. Well, that is easy to answer, Itachi. Thank you very much for ruining my honeymoon, by the way. The reason Naruto called you his eldest son is because I am married to him and he is your new father. I was planning on giving you a little brother or sister, but thanks to your rude interruption, you killed the mood. Itachi was speechless as to what he heard and Kisame was too busy looking at her body to actually pay attention. Also tell your friend to close his mouth and stop staring at my body like that before your new father decides to use it to destroy his mind and leave him a mindless sack of flesh on the floor. Itachi was finally able to speak and saw Naruto had finished dressing. It all made sense, the reason why Sasuke had not been obsessed with revenge like he expected him to be, the reason why he would not reveal the location of Naruto even under the Tsukuyomi. Ever since he left his brother in a coma back when he went to ask him in Konoha, it had surprised him, but now it made perfect sense. So Sasuke is loyal to you because you are our new stepfather. I was wondering why he looked so calm when I paid him a visit back home. He did not even look that angry. Naruto, do you have any idea of what you have done? Naruto looked at him as he crossed his arms over his vest. I ruined your chance to make your brother crazy with rage and thus allowed you to kill him so that you can take his eyes for yourself and escape the possibility of going blind from overusing Mangekyou Sharingan. Does that cover it soon? For your information son, I happen to know a way for you to actually be still able to use your Sharingan and do not even have the risk of becoming blind. I got the secret from the very person who made it in the first place. He made my eyes too after all. Itachi didn't like a guy younger than himself calling him son, but he liked the idea of going blind even less. So what's the catch? You are not going to tell me for free, right dad? Itachi wanted him to feel what he felt when he called him son. Why must you mistrust Itachi? Your brother has seen how much he loves both of you. I know my husband only wants to see you happy. Makoto looked sad as she went to the bathroom to get dressed. Hey Sharkman, keep your eyes off and over here. Or so help me, I am having shark soup for dinner. Kisum looked at him and knew he was not kidding. As for you son, you are right. I want something from you. I want the real culprit of the massacre. I don't believe for an instant that it was you who killed them. Itachi was not expecting that one bit. Why would you want to know the truth, dad? Naruto smiled and looked at him with a great deal of love and concern. Because if my suspicions are correct, then I can talk with the Hokage, make the man pay, and you can finally come home. The group you are with does not want world peace, Itachi. Itachi again did not expect him to say that. What do they want, dad? What would be the true goal of this group I am a member of? Naruto told them both to sit down. Your leader is a man by the name of Nagato. He wants revenge for what happened to the Uzumaki clan, as he is one. The truth is he is just a figurehead. The real leader is Kaguya, the ancient goddess. But Kaguya was sealed by her own children ages ago. Kisum told them both. Yet the Black Zetsu is in fact the will of Kaguya, and she is manipulating Obito Uchiha or Tobi through his chakra. The plan would make every person trapped in an alright, but their bodies would become like the White Zetsu, a mindless puppet under her control. Itachi looked at him and asked how he knew this was true. Because the sage of the six paths left a tablet in our family's possession, it is inside the family shrine. It was where Fugaku found this other tablet that told him how to awaken the Mangekyou Sharingan by killing your mother. Chapter 20. Itachi saw Naruto and his mother seated in the bed like they had been married to each other for years. Okay, dad, let's say what you told me is true, what is it you want from me? Naruto looked at his son and just could not believe it. He still thought that he was trying to get something from him. I want you to come home and live a nice and happy life just like any parent wishes for their kids. I know from Itachi that Danzo gave you the evidence that Fugaku was going to try and kill the Hokage and take over. I know of the bargain you made to keep your mother and Sasuke safe. I just need for you to realize that the group you are in is just using you. Itachi looked at Kisum and he waited for his partner to say something. If what you told us is true, it is more than likely they will kill us off eventually. What do you think I should do? Naruto looked at the shark-looking man and smiled. You got to go back and try to get as many of the members to see the truth we told you. If they don't have all those members, they will not be able to extract them from anyone, and thus we will buy time to stop this plan. Kisum looked at Naruto and saw he was not kidding. You do realize that I could very well pretend to bring some of these so-called like-minded people and instead ambush you to take the 9 tails from you, right? Naruto smiled and he looked at his beloved wife. Do you see her and know of my kids, right? Then you know that there is practically nothing that I wouldn't do to return home. Kisum began to laugh as he heard that. Itachi, I got to tell you, if my dad was as half as committed as your new dad is, my life would have been so much better and a whole lot happier. Do you see these scars? He lifted his vest to show them a few dozen scars over his chest. My father was a drinker and a fiend. One night he goes crazier than usual, mom gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He does not like that, he does not like that one bit. So he takes the knife from her and begins stabbing her, laughing while he does it. I was so scared that I began to cry something awful. He walks over to me and tells me boys shouldn't cry. If I didn't stop crying he would give me a real reason to cry. I was so scared that I couldn't stop crying, so he came at me with a knife, and I guess you can imagine what he did. He was later killed and I grew up in an orphanage with Tsubusa Mamachi. I hear he is Konoha these days and I send my regards to my brother. Itachi asked what he wanted him to do now. Now we get to know each other better, and tell me how you have been since you left home. I won't lie to you, Itachi. Both me and your dad have been worried a lot about you. Naruto smiled and told him that he could help them find a person. He asked who was important enough so that they had to look. Makoto told him it was an old friend of the family, Tsunade Senju. Well, I think we are in luck then. Kakazu was telling me only yesterday about a poker tournament that he could win a huge amount of money if he won. The tournament is in the next village over. Tsunade is known to be unable to help herself when it comes to gambling or drinking. Naruto and Makoto walked towards the front desk and asked for any available rooms. The manager had been one of the people Naruto saved during his training sessions he did when he was younger. Naruto saved him from a cage that was in a bandit camp. He swore after the rescue that he would be forever grateful. Naruto, I would be happy to provide you with a room for this young man, but would you mind telling me why would you get this young man a room and even be willing to pay for it? Naruto smiled and he pulled Itachi in a one-arm hug. Itachi did not resist, instead he looked embarrassed. This is simply my eldest son, Itachi. So please give him a nice room. I want my poor tired boy to have a good night's sleep. The innkeeper smiled and did provide him a room, and Naruto did pay for it, just like he paid for the one he and his wife were sleeping in. It just had a very nice discount that the innkeeper decided not to tell Naruto about. The next morning the three got out of the village and decided to walk towards the village where the poker tournament was taking place, and using the transformation technique they changed how each looked. Itachi became the young son of a happy couple. Mikoto became a much modest-looking woman with a fair face, and Naruto grew older by a few decades, looking like the gruff take-no-prisoners veteran. The couple decided to enter the casino and thanks to his eyes, he began to win money fist over fist. In a matter of hours he won more than most of the people in the casino had won combined. This was all to attract the attention of the tournament organizers and gain entry into the tournament. The funny thing is the organizers pretty much figured that they would make more than enough with all the losses in the tournament. So you seem to be really good with cards, mister. Why don't you quit this kid's game and come over to a tournament that could make you set for life? Naruto looked at him through the that he placed on his eyes and thus allowed him to have his eyes active. What is the entry price? I know that there has to be one with such a big prize. The guy began laughing and sat down next to him. Indeed, there is about 1/5 of your winnings, but if you win you will more than make up for it, and then some. Naruto agreed to the prize and he was escorted to a different section of the casino. The organizers gave his remaining chips to the woman he told was his wife. Mikoto began to look around looking for Tsunade at the bar. Itachi kept betting on the low-cost games to see if he heard anything. This is the tournament that will either make you cry or make you rich beyond your dreams. The rules are simple, you each play on a table 5 per table, and the 3 top players move to the next round. But now the unpleasant warning. Get caught cheating or trying to cheat, you get the boot and you lose your entry fee. Naruto sat down and began to play the game. In a matter of a few minutes he had won enough to be the top winner at the table, but he kept playing till he was the only one left, having cleaned out the other people. The guy in charge of the table knew that he was not playing around and was in the tournament to win. After 5 hours of the most brutal poker anyone had ever seen and 10 people getting the boot for cheating. The final game was about to start and the players all looked like they knew what they were doing. The thing that caught Naruto's attention was a blonde young woman wearing such revealing clothes that everyone in the tournament saw her massive tits. Naruto knew this was his so-called missing relative, alright. After 2 hours they were the only ones still with money and so they began chatting, trying to get the other to make a mistake. So guy, what do you say you quit this game and come over to my hotel room and I can show you a real good time? Naruto looked at her and smiled. I have a better idea. Why don't we bet our entire stash on the next hand and you have to do what the winner tells you to do. Tsunade felt like she hit the jackpot when she heard him say that. She of course accepted the bet without thinking about it twice. Naruto had a full house and Tsunade had 3 of a kind. Naruto was declared the winner and given a bank account number where all his winnings and the tournament prize would be there for him. Okay, you won, what do you want me to do? Like I can't already imagine what you want to do to me. Naruto told her that maybe they should drink and get to know each other first. Tsunade began laughing and told him he did not look like such a romantic guy with all those scars. He told her appearance could be deceiving. The two walked to the bar as Naruto gave the signal to Itachi. Itachi told his mother that the target was in hand. So Tsunade, mind telling me why you ran away from your home village? I know your grandpa would be very sad if he ever learned about that. Tsunade took her shot glass and drank down an entire glass of sake in a single gulp. Not surprising considering I lost both my lover and baby brother to that village. They both wanted to be Hokage and died for it. They never once considered my fate when they made their plans. Naruto smiled and told her maybe the village would need her back. She told him it would take something extraordinary for her to return. Look, you are a nice guy, but there is no way I would ever want to return to that dump. I know that little Minato lost an arm and several people were extremely injured. So why don't you drop the disguise and show yourself to your cousin? You seem awfully well informed for someone in self-imposed exile. Tsunade. He dropped the transformation and she smiled to find Naruto sitting with her. You were the only guy that my appeal had no effect on, I figured it was you because of that. So what does the stupid village want from me? Naruto smiled and poured another drink for Tsunade. They want you to be the next Hokage and heal all those injured by the failed invasion by your old teammate Orochimaru. I should tell you the third Hokage died because of him. Tsunade gulped the drink and was about to leave before she decided to give her cousin a reason why she was about to refuse. Naruto, only a fool and a suicidal person would want that crappy job. Only a guy with a death wish would want that job. You didn't get to enjoy your childhood with your father because of it, and that job took the people I loved most in the world from me." Naruto put down his own glass and he got up to stop her from leaving. Naruto was mad, and I mean really mad. "I think you are in the mood for another bet, but we got to take this outside." Tsunade simply smiled and said that those words sounded like fighting words. "So do you think you can pick a fight with me, and I will take it easy because you are my cousin?" Naruto looked at her and his eyes both had the Sharingan fully active in both eyes. "No, I think a loudmouth old hag like you needs to learn some manners, and I think you are overdue for your next dose of humble pie. So here is the deal, I hope you apologize for what you said about the Hokage, and you will become the next Hokage." Tsunade now was angry. "And if you lose?" Naruto turned around and looked at the door. "Then you can ask me for anything, cousin." He began to walk to the door and Tsunade followed. She was thinking her victory was most likely a sure thing, so she told him something she would later regret. "I will only use these 2 fingers." She tried to flick him hard on his headband and knocked him out. Instead, what happened when she tried to do that, he grabbed her by the arm, threw her into the air like she was nothing at all, and jumped up to strike her 3 times before crashing down on her, hitting her stomach with his elbow. "You will have to be mighty lucky before you can hit me like I am some greenhorn from the academy. Take me seriously or you will have some broken bones after I am done with you, cousin." She felt that his words slapped her hard across her face. She had tried to catch him unawares, but she forgot that his eyes had been active the entire time. She decided to use Earth-style ninjutsu and try to finish off the duel when he was disoriented by the hits of her. Again she underestimated him once again, but this time she was met with a burst of black flame that burned the earth projectiles to nothing as he did a Earth-style dragon bullet jutsu. Damn, he has enough mastery of the black flames to call one of them without a hand sign. It is almost like Amaterasu is protecting him somehow. She decided to switch to water and she tried to use the water prison only to have the reflection back at her. When nothing seemed to work, she decided to use her strength and taijutsu. Naruto continued to evade everything she tried to do, and when she was tired enough he simply reached over her shoulder and pinched her hard. She was unable to realize what he did, but he temporarily cut off the blood to her head and she fainted on the ground. Mikoto and Itachi saw her fall to the ground as they exited the building and saw Naruto smile at her. "Well, it seems my cousin lost yet another bet. Itachi is a good boy and looks for Shizune and her pet pig. We are leaving for Konoha as soon as we can get Tsunade to sober up." Itachi left to find her, and indeed he didn't have to look hard as she came running to where Tsunade was on the ground and was hard at work reviving her. "Did you have to be so hard on Naruto?" She glared at him as she was trying to get her teacher and also mother figure to awaken. "I actually think he was taking it easy on her, Shizune," Mikoto told her as Tsunade finally woke up. "If that is taking it easy, what would you do to me if I try to run away and don't keep my end of the bet?" Naruto smiled at her and saw a particularly telling smile on his face. She had only seen it on Ibiki once, and that was when she saw him interrogate a prisoner during the last war. "I would stick you in a room full of sake bottles, but each and every bottle would smell and taste like urine, and the only way out of it is to drink every single drop. By the time we get to Konoha, even the mention of the word liquor would make you want to throw up." Shizune actually was entertaining the idea that it was not such a bad idea to use anyways. It would make her life easier if she stopped drinking as much as she did. "Good thing that I am keeping my word, but shouldn't you worry about how we are going to get Itachi in Konoha? Last time I checked he was still wanted for mass murder and treason." Itachi was about to say something when Mikoto stopped him. "Our son will tell them the truth of what happened that night and return home. I believe my husband already knows who is the guilty in that incident and has a plan to expose him." Chapter 21. Tsunade was actually having a good time traveling with her cousin. It was the sweetest thing ever to see how much Mikoto had her cousin tied around her little finger. "If we were to look up the definition of a whipped husband, I think we might actually see your picture next to its cousin." Itachi had to agree with her on that. "If that is what it takes to keep her happy, I am glad to be this way. I am just doing everything I can to keep the love of my life happy. Being mother to my 2 boys is hard enough, I don't plan to add to her already stressful day." Shizune was actually smiling and had a rather dreamy look on her face. Mikoto decided to ask if anything was the matter. "Nothing wrong, it is just that hearing your husband talk about your relationship with you, Mrs. Uchiha, it just makes me wish that I was as lucky as you." Mikoto told her to call her by her first name. Naruto began to look over his shoulder and Tsunade stopped to look in the same direction he was. There was something foul in the air and Naruto knew exactly what it was. "Orochimaru, you sort of defeat the purpose of hiding wearing that horrible cologne, you know. I could smell you from 50 feet. Orochimaru and Kabuto both came out of hiding as they heard that. "I simply wanted to see where you were taking my old teammate. I sure hope you don't plan to go to Konoha, you do realize that it would be a death sentence for Itachi to go there. I also have a very interesting proposal for Tsunade. One that would prevent her from ever having to return to that village." If you are going to say something foolish like you will bring her long dead loved ones back to life using that technique you stole from the village. I wouldn't if I were you. The time you used it to resurrect both the first and second Hokage didn't exactly do you any good. I don't think she likes the idea that you used two of her relatives to kill the third and fourth Hokage. By the look on her face he was actually being kind on his assessment. She looked ready to kill Orochimaru by pulling his innards out of him with her bare hands and then feeding them to Kabuto so he would choke on them. So you didn't just summon my grandfather but also his brother to kill our teacher. I was going to go to Konoha to tell Minato to keep the job and to the council where they could shove it. But since you still are willing to use the impure resurrection, then I really have no choice, and as an enemy of Konoha, I am sorry to say this, but I am going to have to kill you. Orochimaru began laughing like a maniac as he heard that. With your phobia I highly doubt that you will be able to do it. You cannot stand the sight of blood. He demonstrated this by biting himself and spitting some blood near her. Sure enough she was having a panic attack. She might have a problem with Orochimaru's blood Orochimaru, but you are forgetting something. I do not have such difficulty. You will face me, and Itachi will be so kind to keep his current boy toy Kabuto busy if you would be so kind. Itachi smiled at his comment and nodded his head and called him something that made him smile. I will take care of my father, but be sure to make it out in your fight. I would have to see Mother and Sasuke crying with me over your death. Naruto jumped where Orochimaru was standing and he did not look so worried. I might not have my hands on Naruto, but I am a sage. You will regret challenging me. Manda appeared right beneath him and was ready to swallow Naruto whole. The thing they did not expect was that the second he tried black flames appeared around him and burned the boss snake's tongue and mouth something fierce. I would not try to do that Manda, I can be quite the difficult little snack to swallow. Naruto I have nothing against you. I could have attacked you when we followed you out of the casino but didn't. I only want the help of my old teammate and friend to heal my arms. I would give her back everything she lost in return. Why do you stand in my way of me simply healing myself? Naruto began to focus his chakra and a giant being made of red chakra appeared over him. First the ribs and then the arms and finally the head and it continued to grow until it became the image of an armored warrior holding a sword in one hand and a shield on the other. The sight was hard not to recognize it was Susanoo. The giant kept striking at Manda as he kept trying to injure Naruto as Orochimaru tried to distract him with their conversation. As soon as Manda was sent back to his realm after his defeat the chakra giant began to contract around him till his black ninja gear was overlapped by the giant's red chakra armor and then something happened that had never happened before in the history of the Uchiha clan. The armor, sword and shield became solid. Orochimaru looked at him and it was almost like he was looking at Madara holding the sword and shield and for once in his life he regretted not giving the cursed seal mark to him rather than Sakura. Simple really, you plan to heal your arms and then leave my family and the village alone? I do not think so. I think that once you heal you will either try to weaken Konoha or simply try to take Sasuke from us and eventually try to destroy the village once again. I will not let the pink banshee use my boy. What makes you think I would even let you near my youngest son? Orochimaru did not like where this was going. The supposed fake Uchiha was showing more skill than he imagined, but he clearly would not fall for his deceptions anytime soon. The only alternative was to eliminate him to cause Sasuke to lose hope and then he would seek him out. He opened his mouth and 1,000 snakes came out of his mouth. It was a tidal wave of snakes coming his way, but Naruto did not look at all worried. As the snakes grew closer, out of each mouth was a long sharp sword. It was the idea that her own fears would cause her to lose her last relative that finally broke Tsunade out of her panic state. It was then that Naruto began doing a long series of hand signs that only Mikoto was able to follow thanks to her eyes being active and looking at him. Fire style. Great fire annihilation. The fire that came out of his mouth baked the entire wave of snakes to ashes and the swords melted like butter. This was not something he was expecting so as soon as he saw Kabuto severely injured he made a quick and hasty retreat. He simply could not afford to lose his personal medic since he depended on him more than ever. In truth he could have healed his arms on his own, but he did not want to lose the chance of making Tsunade suffer and possibly kill her. The main reason for his hatred towards her was twofold. The first, she was going to make his task of destroying the village that much harder, and second, he never got over the fact that during their time as a team, she always ignored every single time he tried to get her to fall in love with him. The only thing about it was that Jiraiya was as rejected as he was, but it did not make the memory of those rejections any better. Tsunade walked over towards Naruto and was about to give him a bone-crushing hug when the sound of Mikoto fainting caught her attention. Itachi and Naruto immediately went to check on her. It was when Tsunade was done checking her out that they relaxed a little. She was smiling in a way that made Naruto feel nervous. You don't need to worry, cousin. I am very happy to tell you that Mikoto is fine. She just has been infested with a parasite. But most people love this parasite when it comes out, they even give it a name and celebrate the day it comes out. Shizune of course understood what she was saying in a second. Itachi could not help but to laugh. Dad, you are going to have another kid. I don't know if you are ready for this since we became your kids when we were big, but if there is anything I can do. I might as well get some practice with this parenting thing in case I find myself a nice kunoichi that can make me as happy as mom does you. That was when Naruto finally felt the situation hit him like a ton of bricks. He smiled and kissed his wife, and she started to awaken. Mikoto, why didn't you tell me we were expecting a new addition to our family? She looked down and told him she did not want to be apart from him. If he knew that she was pregnant he would have insisted that she remain in the village. You have to understand that Naruto loves you and wants to be with you. I would want to be with the person I love too if I was her. So please try not to be too upset. Shizune told him while looking at him. And what exactly made you think I was upset at all? I understand my beloved the responses she just told me and she is in large correct. I would have told her to remain in the village for her safety and that of our child. Naruto held her close to her and helped her stand. But I would never ignore my wife's wishes. If she wanted to come I would have accepted in the end as she told me her reason. I would have made a few shadow clones to look out for her safety and needs, that is all the difference. Itachi asked if his mother could sleep with his father even though she was pregnant. Clearly he still remembers how he and Kisame found them in the hotel. She in fact can and is beneficial for her to have an active life. She is 3 months pregnant and thus the child is in a stable state. I would however recommend she eats more fruits and takes a few vitamin supplements to help with the discomforts. Mikoto laughed as she told her that she was not aware of this, she was the mother of 2 boys after all. As the group reached the village gate the guards tried to kill Itachi, but they were stopped dead on their tracks as they saw 20 shadow clones ready to kill them where they stood. Why do you stop us from killing this traitor Naruto? As our clan head you should want this traitor to our clan punished for what he did. One of them told him as he looked at them pass him. Because he is not guilty of what you think he is. The 2 did as he asked and sent a couple of them to the very interesting meeting he was going to have with Minato. Naruto, I do hope you have an explanation for your actions at the gate. It is a pleasure to see you again, Tsunade. I would hug you but I cannot. Naruto sat down on a chair in front of the Hokage's desk. He told Itachi to sit next to him. My son is innocent of the slaughter he is accused of. In fact I think the next person I would like you to bring will be quite an eye-opener. Could you have Danzo the Shadow of Shinobi escorted here, armed guards would be preferable. Danzo did not look happy how he was escorted to the office he so desired to one day call his own. Hokage mind telling me why am I treated as a traitor when you have an actual traitor sitting right in front of you? Naruto, acting like a master actor, decided to pretend to be quite friendly and concerned. I just wanted to make sure you are healthy and maybe heal your arm and eye. We have the extremely talented Tsunade Senju with us. She will be able to repair your arm and maybe even get you to recover your vision. Now would you kindly remove your bandages so she can evaluate your possible therapy and treatment options. Danzo did not like the way this was playing. He was up the creek and without a paddle, he knew that his actions would be exposed the second that his face and arm were exposed. He had always envied the Uchiha clan's ability to copy ninjutsu and would do anything to obtain the abilities granted by those eyes. The guard began to remove the bandages and as the last bandage fell to the ground, there was a collective gasp of shock by all the people in the office except Danzo and Naruto. How did you know what I did with Naruto? I know I can't escape you, but I really would like to know when you learned of my actions. Naruto smiled and showed his cold glare as he finished saying that. I am the clan head, I have to know the clan laws and all the things regarding my clan to make a decision. The clan law states that all eyes from dead Uchiha are to be collected and preserved by doctors of the Uchiha clan in a secure and secret location known only to our doctors and me. Naruto walked close to his son Itachi. My son may be many things Danzo, but traitor is not one of them. He would know I know this law. He could also have taken ahead and prevented the very blindness he is slowly taking his eyesight if he was the traitor. Now by the clan laws I demand that you return all eyes of my clan and be punished for treason against this village. Danzo began to laugh as if he heard the most funny joke ever. So that you may claim some for yourself. I don't think so, I would rather destroy them than have them removed and given to you and your worthless clan. The second he tried to do what he would do, Naruto's eyes showed the intricate design of his Migenkyo Sharingan. It took him a second to cast at Tsukiyomi. Danzo found himself crucified on a wooden cross and had barbed wire tie his arms and legs in addition to them being pinned to the cross with rather painful looking daggers. I gave you a chance to correct your mistakes. I gave you a chance to repent. What did you do for my kindness and consideration? You decided to not only insult me and the people I love but my entire clan too. Welcome to my world Danzo. I control everything here. You might know this sword is a blade that destroys not only a life but the soul of those it cuts. Danzo did not like that several hundred Naruto clones came out of the ground, each wielding a sword. They all rushed him and stabbed him in a non-vital spot. They might not be vital, but they still caused immense pain. That was 5 seconds, Danzo. By the end of 5 minutes you will beg that I end your misery. The torment continued, and indeed by the 5-minute mark he was indeed begging to end his misery. He used the sword that he obtained from Susanoo to end his life for good. The entire thing took only a few seconds, and Danzo fell to the ground dead. Tsunade, could you please collect the eyes and be sure to transplant 2 of them on my son Itachi? I would not want my precious son to become blind so early in his life. Tsunade agreed that it would be a tragedy if it did happen. Tsunade by the end of the day had helped Minato regain his arm, and Itachi now had 2 new eyes, and thanks to them being the eyes of his own father, he would never again have to worry about going blind again. Is there anything that you would not go through to make Naruto happy? Mikoto asked him as they were together in their bed. I love you, Mikoto, your happiness is one of the reasons I keep living. Chapter 22. Naruto lived to see his long-missing cousin become the 5th Hokage, and the time for Minato and Kushina to enjoy their retirement finally came. Minato understood that he needed to spend more time with his family, and with no longer having to do as much as he did as Hokage, he had the time to enjoy a peaceful and stress-free time. Naruto next did something that shocked the entire council as he told them he needed to speak with his cousin in private. The shocking thing was when they saw her slam her head a few times before knocking herself out while calling herself stupid each time she hit herself on the desktop. Shizune only glared at him and asked him what he said to the person she considered her mother. I said nothing insulting or harmful. I just told her the secret of beating paperwork, don't know why she reacted like that, truth be told. I just said 2 words, actually shadow clones. The minute she heard it she started beating herself on the desk and started calling herself stupid over and over again. Both the 1st and 2nd Hokage in heaven looked at the 3rd Hokage. To think that the person who actually figured out that you could use me to get through paperwork faster was an Uchiha of all people. Honestly, my student, did you not bother to leave a note for your successor to find? Barunzan Saratobi just looked at them and said he figured he would still be able to be Hokage for a few more years before considering leaving such a note. The 2 other Hokage could not help laughing as they saw Tsunade react the way she did to discovering that they had everything they could do, and with it the mountains of documents, scrolls and parchment could be taken care of rather quickly and efficiently. The first request by Naruto to the new Hokage was the fact that he wanted a nice peaceful desk job during Mikoto's pregnancy. Somehow he knew that he did not want his wife to be sad and possibly angry if he missed their child's birth. He was given a position he was not expecting at all. The Hokage wanted to get even for the way he told her the secret to beat paperwork. Tsunade assigned him as the new physical skills teacher in the academy. This made Iruka very happy, since now he did not have to teach both segments of the class alone. Naruto told him why and Mikoto was laughing really hard as she saw the look on her husband's face. Cheer up, my love. You will get to do dangerous life-threatening missions soon enough. Take this as a vacation. Who knows, maybe you will end up teaching our baby girl one day. It couldn't hurt to learn how to teach. Naruto became the teacher of the very class that he used to be picked on and bullied the worst. Iruka was actually quite happy to have someone that he could work with. Ever since Mizuki they had no one to teach the class, so Iruka had to do it all alone, and it was quite a workload. Naruto was introduced to the class as their new physical skills teacher. He was caught by surprise when several of the students were actually aware of who he was. Who in the village did not know about the much-loved and respected head of the Uchiha clan? Mikoto had good news as well, her pregnancy had no difficulties in the future, as Tsunade told her after the initial tests. Several months came and went, and they had several difficult situations for Naruto and his family. Itachi actually found out that AM was actually married to the son of her father's main flour supplier. He was so depressed that he even had to drag his son out of a bar a couple of times. The situation was becoming rather embarrassing for Mikoto. Seeing her eldest son drink like that and cry about losing the girl he once wanted to marry was sad, but it was no excuse to drink like that. One night he ended up drinking a little too much and he unintentionally ended up hitting on Anko Mitarashi. The fact was, as lonely and depressed as he was, she was even worse. The very next morning they found themselves in her apartment bare-buck naked and with clear signs that they slept together. Itachi had no recourse but to actually ask her out on a proper date to see if they were compatible, as he told Naruto. 7 dates later and the two became an official couple. Haku was actually talking with Anko about the possibility of making it a double wedding. Anko looked rather happy to consider such a thing. As time went by, Naruto quickly became one of the most strict and fair teachers the academy had ever seen when it came to physical skills training. There was no misbehaving, or he would assign them an exercise routine that made the one-might guy did seem a little like a gentle walk through the park while smelling the flowers. Iruka told him that he needed to loosen up and relax. There was no need to be so strict with the students. Naruto put an end to those ideas when in the teacher's lounge, he asked all the teachers their simple questions. Who amongst you wants to live with the guilt of a student's death because you chose not to be so strict? Who wants to hear of a student dying and know he died because you did not prepare him for the dangerous life of a ninja? Iruka understood there and then why he was so strict. Teaching these kids to be ninja was no laughing matter, it was a matter of life and death. The other teachers decided to get more serious about how they organized and prepared their classes from then on. The big surprise was for the Hokage. It seems having Naruto become a teacher had a much larger influence than he figured. The Hokage saw the numbers and he could not believe it. The number of graduates grew by 30% from what they had the previous year, and Naruto had only been teaching less than a year. The day that was awaited by Naruto and his family came. An Anbu appeared as he was teaching proper weapon maintenance and told him his wife was rushed to the village hospital, and Tsunade told her to tell her patient's husband to hurry since Makoto's contractions were getting quicker by the minute. Iruka was surprised to be told by Naruto that he would have to cover the classes for him for the rest of the day. Iruka asked why was he in such a hurry. The young Anbu told him it was because the clan head was about to have a new addition to his family. Iruka began to laugh as he saw Naruto run towards the hospital, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Sasuke and Itachi were there with their father, who at the moment was walking around the waiting room in circles. Father, for the last time, relaxed. Tsunade is with mom. She is going to be fine. He had been telling him that several times, but this was the final straw. Naruto glared at Sasuke, and his emotions were so upset that the pattern of the Magenkyu Sharingan was visible on both glaring eyes. Fine, I will take it easy and relax. But be warned, Sasuke, I will remind you of this when Haku is the one going through that pain giving birth to my grandson and you are stuck out here in the waiting room instead of being there for the woman you love. Itachi could not help but to laugh as he heard his father say that. I wouldn't miss that for all the gold in the world. But seriously, father, you need to relax. I don't want to tell my mother you were not there to greet our baby sister because you had a heart attack. He sat down and accepted the cup of tea his eldest son got from him. I just keep imagining the worst and I fear for your mother's and sister's lives. Tsunade came out of the waiting room and looked rather sad. Well, cousin, I have some bad news for you. Naruto got up so fast that he dropped the teacup he was drinking. You're in for a hard time. You just had a beautiful, healthy red-haired baby girl. Honestly, she looks like a little red-haired angel. Your wife is waiting for you in the recovery room. So you better hurry before she gets mad. Naruto ran towards the room where she told him his beloved wife was. Itachi was now the one to glare at Tsunade. Why did you mean he was in for a hard time? Tsunade got to sit down and told them both to sit down as well. Red hair was the usual hair color of the Uzumaki clan. If she is anything like the last red-haired woman I know, your sister is going to be hard to discipline and will have a horrible temper. Both things that tend to make being a father particularly hard. Naruto walked over to the love of his life holding a baby with a head covered in red hair. How is the most beautiful woman in the world? Makoto told him she was currently sleeping in her mother's arms. Naruto kissed her tenderly on her lips. I was talking about you. How are you, my love? Makoto smiled at him and looked at the baby in her arms. I must look like a complete mess after everything we went through. I am feeling pretty good right now, actually, thanks to the painkillers I finally got to take after this little bundle of joy was born. What would be her name? Naruto smiled at her and asked what she thought of the name Sayori. Half expected him to pick Kushina, but she had to admit Sayori Uchiha had a nice ring to it. So you're our little Sayori. How many times are you going to make it through this? Naruto picked his daughter up and gave her a kiss on her forehead, being very careful. As many times as you are willing. Now how about you tell me how many more kids you want to have? Makoto blushed as she heard him say that. As of this moment, I think 3 kids is more than enough, but then again it might just be the painkillers talking. Ask me again when Sayori wants to introduce you to her boyfriend. He placed his sleeping daughter back in her arms and smiled. So how was your day today, my love? Makoto asked him. Truth be told, it was simply dreadful. I got kicked out of the operating room hall 3 times by Shizune. I was trying my best to try and be with you so that you would feel I was there for you. Tsunade never told me she was a censor. I tried everything but Tsukuyomi. I am sorry I was not here to see Sayori be born. Makoto tried very hard not to laugh. It was for the best, I did not want you to see me scream like I did. Now that I think about it, I probably broke the hand of the poor nurse that was holding my hand. The mother and child had to stay over for a couple of days in observation. Itachi said that in reality they wanted to do some tests to make sure his mother and sister were alright. Sasuke did say that his sister was cute as he saw her sleeping in the maternity ward. It was a couple of days later that Naruto began to do something most husbands dreaded doing, but he actually liked to do. He began to wake up in the middle of the night and went and took care of their daughter's needs. Be they a diaper change or a new milk bottle or help with gas. Days came and went, and at Sayori's 3rd month Itachi and Sasuke decided to finally do something about their lives. They both married the same day to the women they each loved. Makoto was happy to see both her sons dressed in their formal uniform as they both married. Itachi married Anko, and she looked mighty happy about it. Deep down Naruto had a feeling that Orochimaru would scream about not being present for the wedding of the girl he once considered his only daughter. Sakura received word of the double wedding. She threw such a tantrum that she began to throw and break things in her room and was foaming at the mouth by the time Kabuto saw her. Kabuto continued to do this job as a spy for Konoha and kept detailed copies of all the useful research Orochimaru had come up with since he left the village. He also kept an eye on the possible plans that his so-called master may have to attack and destroy Konoha. It was not easy pretending to agree with Orochimaru in his hatred of the village, but it was something he would gladly put up with for his beloved village. Sakura had been training hard and deep down inside she still had the delusion of being with Sasuke. This news that he actually married Haku was Kabuto's idea of punishment for being a traitor to the village he was still very loyal to. The other reason is he got a perverse joy at seeing her act like he always believed her to be a spoiled, self-centered brat. You might change how your body looks like Sakura, you might become more skilled. Sasuke has a father that looks out for him and will never fail to guard his son against your evil influence or intentions. I wish Danzo was half the father he is to him as he should have been with me. Kabuto said as he watched Sakura recover from the latest surgery and hormone treatment. The only girl in the Sound 5 heard him as she was Sakura's constant guard. She could not help but to laugh quietly as she heard the very words she often thought about. Maybe that Kabuto is not such a bad catch after all. Maybe I should try to work my way into winning his heart after all. He does look rather cute when he is not wearing those glasses. Sayori's first birthday both happy couples gave the future grandparents the news that had Mikoto give both her sons a bone-crushing hug as they told her and Naruto that they too were expecting a child of their own. Haku and Anko were currently both on maternal leave from their respective positions. Anko was the current right-hand interrogator working with Ibiki Moreno. Haku on the other hand became head of the nursing department of the village hospital. Patients have never been happier since she became a nurse in the hospital, and now both women had to be home because their husbands got them both pregnant during their honeymoons. Naruto was smiling as he was rocking his daughter for her nap, and Mikoto was busy with making the baby bottles for the night. So tell me Naruto, do you regret getting married to me? Or us having such a large family? Mikoto asked as she saw her husband with their daughter in his arms, singing a lullaby to the now sleeping young baby girl. I can honestly tell you without you or our kids I would still have no home. You and our kids are the joy of my life. I am very happy to have this family with a woman that means the world to me. Mikoto smiled as Naruto placed Sayori in her crib so gently that the baby didn't even wake as he covered her up in her blanket. The real question is, are we ready to be grandparents to God knows how many kids those two will have? Mikoto laughed as she pictured Sasuke and Itachi having to deal with 4 teenagers and trying to help their wives with the housework. Naruto, I imagine you have been and will continue to be a good example as to what a good husband should do. I mean, don't think I haven't noticed that you did all the laundry and dishes all this week. Guess you really want me to get my little figure back and lose all that weight I gained during my pregnancy. Naruto laughed and kissed her lips ever so tenderly and gently. Mikoto, even if someone else one day calls you a dried old prune, you will always be as beautiful as the day I married you. You also forget my love. You have a bond with my chakra and thus we will get to see quite a few generations of our children's children. I don't think I would be able to live without you. Chapter 23. Some people say that time flies when you are having fun or that kids grow up faster than you think. Well, as it turned out for Naruto and Mikoto both proved to be true. Tsunade was doing a fine job as Hokage. If you could get her away from the nearest liquor bottle and Shizune was doing a great job doing just that. Naruto really liked his time teaching the practical lessons, but it wasn't the same as when he got to do missions. Now he had a very nice tidy schedule, which means there really was no excuse for him to be late on anything. He often wondered how in the world did Kakashi ever get away with being late for everything. Sayori grew up faster than a weed and was twice as resilient and stubborn. Mikoto often was heard saying to herself where was her precious baby girl that used to listen to her every word. Soon told her that she became a teenager and that it could be worse. She joked that maybe sometime in the future she would bring a boy home and the kid is not going to be one to meet her standards. The day Naruto decided to quit teaching was when he heard some of the most vulgar language come out of his baby girl's mouth. He just had to march right up to Tsunade and tell her point blank to give him a mission that involved plenty of violence and preferably killing. Why the sudden urge to go out and kill a small crowd of people, Naruto? He sat down and looked like he just lived a nightmare. If I am not out of this village for at least a week, you will have to perform reconstructive surgery on my daughter's behind. She just came into class today saying some of the most vulgar language I have heard in all my life. I kid you not, Tsunade, and for crying out loud stop laughing, I am serious here. Tsunade stopped laughing as she saw him glare at her. Well, what can I say, Naruto? Welcome to the challenges of parenting. And you wondered why I never had any kids. I thankfully adopted Shizune and I never had any of these problems you seem to be having. The bad news is that we don't have that many missions that involve the mass slaughter of a small army at the moment. Tsunade, I often wished for a peaceful and safe world. Who knew my wish would one day come right back and bite me in the back? This was when Shizune and Tsunade both raised their hands. Ha, ha, very funny. I will remind you of this, Shizune, one day when you hear your child spout some of the vulgar language mine did. I will wait for that to happen, and trust me, revenge will be sweet. Shizune just had to hit him on the shoulder. You will not have to wait that long. As it turned out, I and Iruka better set a wedding day, cause I am not having this kid first. This made Tsunade drop what she was holding and rush towards her. How could you not tell me? I am your mother. If anyone deserved to know I was about to become a grandma, it is me. Remember what I said, Tsunade, revenge is sweet. I am already a grandfather to two loudmouth and apparently foul-mouthed kids, if Sayori is any indication. This made all of them laugh as they realized they never would have believed they were having this conversation a year ago. Very well, Naruto, I am sending you on a week-long mission with Mikoto to check and see how Suna is doing lately. We are getting some troubling reports that a group of criminals have been trying to kidnap ninja from several villages. Naruto had a notion of who was doing this. Itachi is coming along too. I have an idea who it is that is causing this, and I imagine their targets are like the Kazukiage. I guess you can get someone else to take my job as a teacher. I personally recommend Ibiki Marino, but who knows if he can stomach that kind of work. Tsunade looked at him and smiled. I am sure the head of the interrogation division can handle it. If not, there is always your daughter-in-law. I am sure Anko will not be happy that you just decided to take her husband away on a dangerous mission. And as he was about to open the door, he turned around and smiled. On second thought, let her be my replacement teacher. A couple of weeks with that crowd, she will jump at the chance at joining us for a dangerous mission. It was then that Mikoto came into the office and saw her husband. I guess you can't stay out of trouble, can you, husband? Naruto got up and he held her close to him in a hug. As he kissed her, she felt like something was wrong. Sayori is a student in one of my classes, Mikoto. The way I heard our baby girl talk would make even you mad. I need this mission to work out my anger so that I don't take it out on someone else. In the end, Naruto, Itachi and Sasuke went to see what was wrong with Suna. Guess Kisame didn't get them to leave that organization after all. Sasuke looked at Itachi and he was thinking about something. Or the thing controlling their so-called leader has grown desperate and has found a way to control the rest of the group. Naruto didn't like the sound of that one bit. Kagaya is sealed. The only way for that to happen is that they found and busted her out of the seal. Trust me, that is not something a living person can do. As the three came to the gates, they saw there were no guards to greet them. That only made Naruto and the rest rush towards the cage office. In the office, he saw something he never would have believed. Chiyo, the Grand Master of the puppet arts, cried like there was no tomorrow. Naruto didn't like this one bit, so he walked over to Temari. It's Gaara, isn't it? What happened to Gaara, and don't waste my time. Tell me every detail or we might be too late. Temari was overcome by the sheer anger she felt when she heard him give her an order. A group of people wearing black robes came and told him they would kill the entire village if he didn't come with him. One of our most infamous road ninja was with them. Naruto knew the one she was talking about. The way Chiyo was crying now made sense. She was the one to teach him the puppet arts in the first place, and she also considered him as close as her own son. Very well, but I will need someone from this village that knows him to track him. I would prefer someone like Chiyo, but that doesn't seem likely. Chiyo stopped crying when she heard that. No, Kunoichi wanted to feel underestimated or unnecessary. And why wouldn't I be able to help? Naruto smiled at Chiyo as she cleaned the tears off her face. Because it is highly likely that we might have to fight Sasori and maybe even kill him. I don't think you or any mother is able to go knowing they would have to kill their own son. That is where you are wrong. As far as I am concerned, Sasori of the Red Sand died the minute he tossed away his humanity and chose to make a puppet out of himself. I was crying not because Sasori was the one to threaten Suna, but because he planned to use my teachings to do it. Naruto walked closer to her and told her that if she was fine with the idea, then they would leave immediately. The trip didn't take as long as they figured since the team that took Gaara was using a safe house that Itachi knew about. On the way to the safe house, they found the badly injured body of Kisame. It appears Kisame tried to prevent the others from taking Gaara anywhere. Naruto came close to him and he did the necessary healing for the man to wake up. Sorry, I failed, Naruto. I tried to convince the others, but the truth is they knew the truth already. Kakazu was only in it for the money, hiding for sacrifices to his god, and so on and so on. Nobody but me and Itachi were in it for world peace. Sasuke gets this man to Suna and gets him some medical help. When he is better, come and find us. I am guessing we are in for some fight since they took him out. Sasuke listened to him and did as he was told to. As they ran towards the entrance of the cave, he knew that he was wrong about something. From the damage to the surrounding area, he could tell that there had been some heavy fighting. He could practically see the places where chakra was used in elementary school. The pain he felt was nothing words could describe as blood began to flow down his face, as if he was crying blood. It was then that his eyes reached their full maturity, and the color went from red to purple, and had the distinct pattern most would describe in fear and in history books. His eyes became dreaded, and as they did he saw what had happened. Kiss him did convince some of them, but the ones that beat him were not them. They had been the corpses of the people he once knew being used as puppets. As he entered the cave he knew that he was too late. Obito was still there though, waiting for him to arrive. It was something like wanting to rub salt into the open wound of an enemy. Took you long enough, Naruto. I was beginning to think you wouldn't show up. Obito was smiling as he greeted him in such a friendly way. I was a little detained taking care of my shark friend. But the real question is, what should I call you? You aren't Obito, Madara, or even Toby. What should I call you? Kagaya, mind telling me how you make it out of that seal? I know it is deep in space on the moon as a matter of fact. Obito began to laugh really hard. Oh, it wasn't easy, let me tell you. I had to leave a bit of myself out here as I was sealed by my own children. You met Zetsu, haven't you? I guess you haven't. He is the part I left behind, and using what your father made, I was able to get down from there to here. It only took a long time for me to get healed. As for the name, you might call me Grandma. Well, Grandma, I hope you haven't gotten the idea that I am about to let you try your insane plan again. The whole eye on the moon plan failed once and it will fail again. Naruto glared at the masked man with both eyes showing. You can try, Naruto, you can only try, but I have all the time in the universe to try and try again. I will have my revenge against those who betrayed me, and I will rule this world as I should. They will worship me as their true goddess. I am guessing Nagato finally woke up, didn't he? What finally woke him up? I am guessing seeing you kill the love of his life did that to him. Naruto was making his way to where Gaara was. Something like that. I tried to take possession of her body. You know, I tried to make a new body for myself, but she was so stubborn. She kept saying that the only one that she would ever sleep with was Nagato. So I tried to have my way anyway, and thus she resisted. Gaara looked almost cold to the touch. Chio took a hold of him and ran away with him on her back. You know what that old woman will do, don't you, Naruto? If you value her life you might want to stop her. Naruto glared at her, and then he jumped with his sword in hand. And miss out on our little reunion. Now why would I do something as rude as that? They both fought each other, and as they did the bodies of the now dead Akatsuki began to move around Itachi and Sasuke. I don't care if it feels wrong to do this, Itachi. We must burn them to ash or they will be used again and again. Your so-called friends aren't here anymore. Itachi glared at Sasuke, and he knew that what he said was true. They took a position so they would be back to back and began using the fire stream and began to burn them. You really should be proud of your boys. They are working rather well together. Say, Naruto, here is an idea. Why don't you and you boys join me? I could even let you rule the world. Naruto could only laugh. You have to forgive me, Grandma, but that argument is not going to work on me as it once did on Nagato. I am not that blind yet. Kagaya simply was not having good luck. First off, she could not get a new body for herself, then most of the people she tried to use suddenly woke up and decided to quit, and last but not least, the only person who could in fact use the eyes that could revive her told her pretty much to go and jump off a cliff. You do realize that the world will never be a true peace, don't you? I am doing all this to achieve the very same thing you once wanted to achieve. To bring about a world where war doesn't exist. Why are you still not able to grasp that and help me, instead of trying to stop me? Naruto looked at her with a disappointed glare in his eyes. Because that is not peace, it is just plain manipulation. People want to be safe, but what you are trying to do is no better than killing everyone. Your plan is to destroy their identity, their minds, and I would go as far as to say their souls. Naruto saw the look that he knew too well. She was angry, and I mean really angry. So what are you saying? That the peace I want to bring into this world is no better than the peace of the grave? Naruto kept avoiding her attacks, and he finally understood. You can't see where you are, can't you? Why else would you come to this place if you knew where you were? It was time for Naruto to take his sword and make the point clear to the possessed Obito. This is not a cave, Kagaya, this is a tomb. The tomb of both your own children. How do I know all this, you wonder? Kagaya was speechless as she heard him say those words. It is quite simple, Kagaya, I've been told all this for years every time I sleep. I have been told your insane plan, and this place is the place you were sealed long ago, but sealing you cost the lives of both your own children. I on the other hand am not as merciful as my ancestor was. The sword in his hand began to glow and the armor around his body as well. This sword of mine is not one that merely cuts flesh, Kagaya, it can cut a soul as well. Today I am putting an end to your plan for good. So you better make your prayers, cause you are not leaving this tomb alive. Itachi and Sasuke were having a rather tough time fighting off the dead bodies that just seemed like they kept multiplying as soon as one body was burned to ashes. Just as Naruto's armor began to glow, all the dead bodies rushed to act as a sort of shield against his next attack. Naruto with all his strength filled his sword with chakra and cutting the air sent a shockwave that cut through every single one of the dead bodies, and just as Kagaya was about to escape, he plunged the sword into the chest of Obito, killing him once and for all. You might have stopped me this time, Naruto, but be assured you haven't seen the last of me. I will succeed. She must have been so happy to escape with her life that she didn't even notice the one that killed Obito was none other than a shadow clone. The real Naruto was behind her, and he cut her head off as soon as she abandoned the body she was possessing. I told you, you were not living in this tomb. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoy it. Turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.